Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto trained by summons for Chunin exams harem. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Namikaze09 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Bride, Inheritance and Summons. Konoha Hospital. The 14-year-old Naruto was currently arguing with his so-called sensei in the hallway of the hospital. "What do you mean you can't train me for the finals?" Naruto yelled while Kakashi, who had his book in his face, sighed. "Because Naruto, I'm already training Sasuke and I can't help you both. Plus he's facing that ninja from Suna and he needs all the help he can get." The copy nin responded while Naruto looked at him in shock. He wasn't even gonna try to help him. "What the hell do you mean he needs all the help? I'm facing that Bakaniji in the first rounds, damn it, and I don't even know how to fight him." The blonde screamed. Again Kakashi doesn't bother to look at Naruto's, who had a look of anger and hurt on his face. But that all changes when Kakashi says these words. "I know that, and so what? You're not ready to take the next step as a shinobi, and perhaps getting beat by Neji will wake you up to reality. Sasuke is the only one on the team who has what it takes to be a real ninja, and I won't waste my time with someone who can't even control his own chakra. I'm sorry Naruto, but you have no talent nor do you deserve to be a ninja," he said, but failed to realize that Naruto was trembling in rage with his head down. His eyes became slitted as he realized that Kakashi didn't give a shit about him. He was just like the other villagers and teachers, minus Iruka in the academy that ruined his academics. "The only reason you're a ninja in the first place is because the Sandaime felt sorry for you," and he said until smack. Naruto smacked the book out of Kakashi's hand, shocking the Jounin, and saw the look on Naruto's face. His eyes were filled with anger, hatred, rage, and hurt. If looks could kill, then Kakashi would be dead right now. Naruto just looked him with a dark expression on his face. He was clenching and unclenching his hands, trying to keep himself from socking his sensei in the face. "Is that so? I have no talent as ninja, huh? I'm not ready to take the next step as a ninja just because I'm not like Sasuke," he said, raising the tone on his voice. Kakashi realized that everyone in the hospital was hearing Naruto raise his voice and started to speak up. "Please Naruto, calm down," he tried to say, only for the pissed blonde to cut him off. "Shut up," he yelled out, making the man's eyes widen in shock. "I will not calm and I will not listen to a fucking thing you say, Haddock. Let me tell you something, you piece of shit. I may not have talent like your fucking Uchiha, but at least I'm not a fucking coward who's a jutsu stealing bitch. I have done more for this team than that spoiled brat has. I'm the one who got your sorry ass out of Zabuza's water prison, not Sasuke. I'm the one who beat Haku, not Sasuke. And not only that, in the forest of death, I took on Orochimaru while your so-called Uchiha and Haruno froze up like little bitches. But do you want to know what pisses me off more?" he growled out while Kakashi looked at Naruto with the same shocked expression. "You didn't follow your own damn motto. Those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than trash. I guess that makes you and those brats lower than trash, because unlike them I took that motto to heart. You are nothing but a fucking hypocrite," he yelled out at the silver-haired Jounin. "Look Naruto," Kakashi tried to say again, but got cut off again. "Save your bullshit for someone who cares, asshole, because as of now I'm done with this team. So go ahead and train that fucking brat. I don't need your training. I'll find someone who will train me, and then not only will I kick Neji's ass, I'll kick Sasuke's and that Tanuki from Suna's ass also. If I don't make Chunin, then I'll ask for a team transfer. I'm pretty sure Guy would make a better sensei than you. After all, he trained a dead last that kicked Sasuke's ass and almost killed Gaara. Even if he is a little odd in the head." He then walks off while the doctors moved out of his way because they didn't want to face his wrath. Kakashi tried to grab Naruto's shoulder, only for the blonde to swipe at his hand with his now clawed hand. Kakashi slowly backed away from the snarling blonde. "Touch me and I'll rip your fucking hand off, you son of a bitch. I can't believe you of all people was my father's student," he said, and again walked off, leaving a wide-eyed Kakashi in the hallway. Little did they know, Mei Terumi, the goddamn Mizukage of Kurigakure, was watching and couldn't help but smile when she saw her so-called deceased fiancé was still alive, but frowned when she realized that the council lied to her about him dying with the yondaime who arranged a marriage with her and his son, and also growled when she saw his sensei brush him off. "Don't worry my maelstrom, if he won't help you then I will," she said, and shunshuns out of the hospital. Naruto was now in a forest, no longer wearing that black jumpsuit but a black one with fingerless gloves, sitting under a tree branch with a blank expression on his face. "I should have known that bastard wouldn't teach me anything. Hell, the only thing he did teach me was tree walking while going to train the Uchiha in private. That fucking asshole. No talent, my ass. I was the one who saved his sorry ass from Zabuza when he trapped him in that water prison while that team and Haruno wanted to run away like little bitches." He then closes his eyes and falls asleep. I'll show him no talent when I kick Niji's, Sasuke's, and that sand nin's ass in the finals and make Chunin. It's time I stopped playing the fool and show Konoha what I can really do. He mumbles. He then finds himself in his mindscape, which was in the form of a forest. He opens his eyes and finds himself resting his head on the lap of a red-eyed woman who in his eyes looked like a goddess. She wore a ruby-red kimono with flowers on it and had flawless skin. She smiled back at Naruto, who did the same as well. "Kid, we have to find a way to get rid of that seal the Hebe put on you in the Forest of Death," Kyuubi said while Naruto nods. "I know, Kyu-chan. It's been screwing up with my chakra control and I can only stay in contact with you for a few minutes, so what do we do?" Naruto asked. Kyuubi thought about it and was about to speak until a voice spoke. "Simple, my other half, we must become one again." That's when another version of Naruto appeared, but there's a difference. Instead of being 5'3" he was 5'6" and was built like an athletic swimmer. There was hardly any baby fat on his face and the whisker marks on his face were gone, and he also had deep blue slitted cerulean eyes and canines that jutted from his upper lip. His hairstyle and facial appearance was similar to the Yondame's, Minato as a kid. He also wore a black jumpsuit. "Hello, my other half. How many years has it been?" Naruto's other half said while he smiles. "7 years," he started to say, but felt a pull in his mindscape by the seal. "Look, we only have a few seconds before I'm pulled out by that accursed seal. We need to become one again," Naruto said while his other half nods. "Hi, let's do this." The other half replies and reaches his hand out, as does Naruto. When their hands grasp each other, their bodies glow. Kyuubi's eyes widen in shock when a white light surrounds them, and the white orb grows larger and larger until it covers the entire mindscape. Outside Naruto's body. Naruto's resting body is surrounded by a blue cocoon made of chakra and it slowly grows white. After a few minutes, cracks then started to surround the cocoon and then it shattered and there stood the new and improved Naruto wearing a new outfit. He was now 5'6", wearing a dark blue long-sleeved jacket with pockets on it and a silver line going down the sleeves. He also wore black Anbu-styled pants with a silver line going down the middle and Anbu-styled sandals that stopped below his knees. He also wore a black muscle shirt that hugged his body and wore it like a second skin and it showed off his chest and abs. On the back of his jacket was the picture of the Kyuubi in a crouching position, as well as the 5 elemental kanjis for water, wind, lightning, fire, and earth. He also had black fingerless gloves on and they had metal plates on them. He also had crimson highlights in his bangs. Naruto walks over to the lake and looks at himself. He smirks and looks at his new clothes. He then stretches his arms and sighs in relief. "Man, it's good to be whole once again. I don't know what I'd do if I had to play the fool for one more day. I better inform Oji-san that I'm back and ask him about this seal that's cutting me off from Kyu-chan," he says but stops for a moment and performs a ram seal. Small trees started to form around him but stopped when they only reached to his height. He sighs and wipes a bead of sweat off his brow. "Damn. I must have lost a lot of my strength when my soul split in half. I guess I have to regain my strength again," he says until he hears a voice that sounds like an angel's. "Perhaps I can help you, Naruto-kun," said the soft and serene voice. Naruto turns around and sees someone whom he can only describe as a goddess in human form. It was the only way to describe the woman that was in his line of vision. She had long red russet-colored hair which was pulled up into an elegant topknot on the top of her head and a bang came down from the top of her head and covered her right eye. Her eyes were a beautiful jade green, a small nose and beautiful lips which had blue lipstick on them, all of which were perfect for her face. She also had on a full-body fishnet suit and over it she wore what appeared to be a one-piece blue garment that hugged her hurgless body and showed off her flawless cream-colored sexy legs. This woman was without a doubt the epitome of beauty and Naruto couldn't help but blush. Mei, who was watching his eyes wander on her figure, giggled at his dazed look and smiled. "Are you done checking me out now?" she asked, which caused Naruto to blink for a while and when he realized what he was doing, he turned red and jumped back. Sorry. I didn't mean to stare at you like that," he said while she giggles and walks up to him until they're a few feet from each other. Naruto had to keep his eyes from ogling her cleavage and chest. "It's okay. I expect my future husband to look at me like that," she said. "Oh, I see, wait, what?" yelled Naruto, whose eyes were the size of dinner plates while Mei just smiled at him. "I'm your fiancé, Naruto-kun," she said, and Naruto did the only thing he could do. He fainted while Mei looked at his unconscious form. She sighs and rubs the back of her neck. "Maybe I shouldn't have been so forward," she says to herself. A few hours later, Naruto slowly opens his eyes and finds his head resting on her lap while she smiles down at him. "I'm glad you're finally awake, Naruto-kun," Mei says while Naruto sits up and rubs his head in embarrassment. "Sorry for fainting, but I could have sworn you said that I was your fiancé," he said, and she nods. "Yes, I did say that, Naruto-kun. You and I were supposed to be engaged, but certain members in this village lied to me about you dying, and I need to talk to the Hokage about it. She said while caressing his face while he had to hold in a shudder. I see, but I don't think Saruoji had nothing to do with it. That's not his way of acting. I should know he did train me before that incident occurred. He said while she blinked at him in confusion. Okay. Let's go meet him and after that I'll help you with your training. She said and wraps an arm around him pulling him close to her ample chest while he blushes a little and they disappear in a swirl of water. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi was currently doing paperwork while glaring at the rest that was piled up on his desk and on his floor. I swear Minato died just to get away from this accursed paperwork. He muttered. That's when a swirl of water appeared in his office and he jumped out of his seat, pulling out a kunai. When it cleared, he saw Mei the Gade Mizukage with a boy who looked like a younger version of Minato. Hiruzen blinks for a while and looks at him for a while before his eyes widened. Naruto? He asked while the boy nodded and grins. What's up Saruoji? I'm back. He said. Sarutobi blinks for a while and then smiles. I see. That's good to hear Naruto. It must have been hell for you to play the fool for the last 7 years. He replied while the blonde sighs in frustration. I'm just glad to be whole once again. Do you have any idea how tough it was for me to do it? The only difference is my strength and knowledge. I lost half of it after what happened to me when I was 7. He replied while Sarutobi nods. I see. Mizukage Dono, I apologize for ignoring you. What can I do for you? He asks while Mei has a serious expression on her face. You can start by explaining why you sent me a false document stating that my fiancé died along with his father, Minato Namikaze, during the Kyuubi attack 14 years ago and cancelled the arranged marriage. She asked in a dark tone. An action like can be considered an act of war. Mei growled out while Sarutobi looked at her with a look of confusion on his face. I'm sorry Mizukage Dono, but I don't recall sending you a document and cancelling an arranged marriage. He replied while Mei raised an eyebrow while Hiruzen smirks. I may be old Mizukage Dono, but I'm not senile. Do you happen to have the documents with you? He asked while she nods and pulls it out of her garment and hands it to Hiruzen who takes it. He opens the paper up and looks at it. When he looks down at the Hokage signature his eyes widen and narrow. He then looks up at the Mizukage. I'm sorry to say Mizukage Dono, but this isn't my seal of approval. This seal is a fake. He says and her eyes widened. What? But I could have sworn are you sure? I mean the elders of this village had an Anbu with a blank mask sent this. Naruto's and Sarutobi's eyes widen when she said elders and an Anbu with a blank mask. Naruto's eyes narrow as does Sarutobi's. I'm going to kill that crippled bastard and his flunkies. Naruto said in a dark tone. You're gonna have to get in line Naruto because I'm gonna deal with them first. Those idiots could have caused a war for doing this. Sarutobi growled and smashed his fist onto the desk. Mei's eyes widen in shock. So you didn't send that Anbu with a blank mask? Hiruzen shook his head. No, I didn't. Mizukage Dono on behalf of myself and Konohagakure no Sato, I offer you my deepest apology. I promise you once I get enough proof on those fools I'll have them publicly executed for treason and nearly starting a war. If not then I'll have them sent to you in chains and you may deal with them. I know it isn't much now, but unless I find proof of this then there's little I can do. He says while she nods. That was when Naruto spoke up. Speaking of seals Oji-san, there's this seal on me that's screwing up my chakra and contact with Kaiu-chan. Naruto then lifts up his shirt, showing off his six-pack and getting a small blush out of the Mizukage. Sarutobi walks over to Naruto, kneels down, and looks at it. He notices 5 extra seals on the Shiki Fuin and HMMS. The Gajo Fuin, 5 elemental seals. Looks like my student Orochimaru's work. He mutters. Just give me a minute to get rid of this Naruto. He says and his fingertips glow blue in his right hand. Brace yourself Naruto, Gajo Kain, 5 elementals unseal. He says and thrusts his palms into Naruto's torso and removes them instantly. Naruto gasps out in pain and clutches his stomach. Sweet Kami that hurt. He cries out but can feel his chakra control return to normal. Thanks, Oji-san. Is it possible for me to get my parents' scrolls now? He asks and gets a nod from the old man. He goes to a grey vault and opens it up, pulling out 3 scrolls. One was yellow and had his father's jutsu, the other was red and had his mother's, and the last one contained his mother's sword style, and her fighting style. Here you go Naruto, the rest are in your family's compound, but I had to seal it back due to certain people trying to break into it. Hiruzen says getting a nod from the blonde. Thanks Oji. I'll be spending the next 2 months training with Mei-chan so that I can get my strength back to what it once was. He says while Sarutobi had a look of confusion on his face. Shouldn't Kakashi be training you to face Niji Hyuga? He asked only to see Naruto's eyes grow cold. No. Unfortunately I'm not worth his time and don't have any talent. But what pissed me off was the fact that he said the only reason I became a ninja in the first place was because you pitied me. He said while Saratobi's eyes became murderous and he grinds his teeth in frustration. He was gonna have a long talk with Kakashi after the Chunin exams. I see. I'll be sure to deal with him after the finals, Naruto. I wish you luck in your training and we'll see you in 2 months. Now I have to get back to my paperwork. He said with disdain in his voice while Mei's sweat drops at the piles of paperwork. She had the same issue in Kiri. Naruto snorts at the sight and then grins. I think I know a way on how to get rid of your problem, Saruoji. Naruto says. Saratobi looks at him in shock, then appears on his knees begging, scaring the blonde while tears fell from his face. Please tell me, Naruto. He asks in a hysterical voice while Naruto thinks about it in mock thought while Mei just looks at him with wide eyes. I don't know, Oji-san. What do I get if I tell you? Naruto asks. Anything. Access to the Hokage vault. Sanin traveling rights. Name it and I'll do all in my power to grant it. He says frantically. Show this old man some mercy and tell me please. Did I mention that I always thought of you as my grandson? His lip quivers and he does the puppy eyes jutsu. Naruto however was laughing his ass off inside of his mind. Okay, I'll tell you. He says while Saratobi's eyes become stars. Why not use Kage Bushins to finish it faster? They pass their knowledge back to the user when they disperse. He says while Saratobi's jaw drops and Mei just look at him. The old man then gets up from his desk and he starts banging his head on the wall while calling himself a baka. Naruto however was laughing at him but then calms down when Saratobi returns to normal. Well, I'm a man of my word, Naruto, so for helping me find a way to finish paperwork faster, I'm giving you your first S-ranked mission pay for helping 2 Kages deal with our worst enemies, which is that. He says pointing to the piles of paperwork. And also access to the Hokage vault and Sanin traveling rights. He finishes. Naruto had the biggest grin on his face and was about to say something but found himself being glumped by Mei and having his head buried into her cleavage. Yes. My future husband rid me of my biggest issue. She said and burying him even deeper into her chest. MMPH. Naruto says while waving his arms around the air, struggling to breathe and free his head from her cleavage. Saratobi was watching this and couldn't help but giggle pervertedly at the scene. Naruto, you lucky bastard. If Jiraiya was here, he'd be flying out the window via nosebleed right now. Naruto was finally able to pry himself from her cleavage and gasped for air. Caillou, who had just woken up, was fuming. That slut. Who does she think she is hugging my Naruto-kun like that? It should be me hugging him like that. She ranted while her eyes glowed red. When Mei releases him, a sly smirk appears on her face. I guess that means that I'll have to reward you for helping me, Naruto-kun. She says in a sexy voice while a blush appears on Naruto's face and he starts sputtering. She then leans next to his ear and whispers into it. Naruto's blush grew bigger and a trickle of blood drips down his nose. Mei-chan. He says while she giggles and sets him down. She then winks at him, grabs his hand and leads him out of the Hokage tower while swaying her hips in his line of vision. Naruto just kept his eyes on her ass and drool escapes from the side of his mouth. Caillou however was grumbling. Her ass isn't that great. Mine is way cuter. Naruto snaps out of his daze and speaks to her in his mind. Caillou-chan, are you jealous? He asks and she HMPS. Please, why would I, the queen of the Makai realm, be jealous of an Injin? I know my ass is hotter. How come you don't stare at mine like that? She asks with a pout on her face. An evil smirk appears on his face. Because I have another reason for wanting your ass. He says, sending pictures in his mind of him violating her ass. She sees them, blushes and hides her ass with her tails. Hentai. Oh well, I can't blame you for wanting to do that to me. Think you can convince Mei-chan to let you do that to her? She asks with a sly grin on her face which causes Naruto to nearly fall on his face. What? He yells out loud, getting Mei's attention. Is something wrong, Naruto-kun? She asks while they head to the forest again. Naruto looks at her and shakes his head. No, Caillou-chan is being perverted. She mentioned something about me doing something to you. He says and rubs the back of his head while looking away. Mei raises an eyebrow and stares at her fiancé. You doing what to me? She asks and Naruto gulps and motions her to lean over and she does. He whispers into her ear and after a while she blushes at the thought. Naruto moves his head away from her and she just stares at him for a while. She then grins pervertedly at him. So you like to give it a try, Naruto-kun? She asks and he gives her a shocked look. Hey. Mei-chan, are you serious? We barely know each other. He protests while she laughs. I know. I don't expect us to become that intimate for a while, but if you want to we could, she started to say, but Naruto waves his arms in protest. No, it's fine. We can wait. He says laughing nervously while Mei laughs at him. You're so cute when you act like that. Anyway, before we start our training let's introduce ourselves. She says getting a nod from Naruto. I'm Mei Terumi, soon to be Mei Terumi Namikaze, Gade Mizukage of Kurigakure. My likes are my fiancé, village, green tea, and hot springs. My dislikes are men who think women are only good for breeding, traitors, and the elders of Konoha who lied to me about the death of my fiancé. My hobbies are relaxing in hot springs, swimming, and performing tea ceremonies. My dream is to get married, have children, and know what it's like to be loved by a real man. She says while Naruto blushes. My name is Naruto Namikaze Senju. My likes are training, ramen and dango, Iruka-sensei, Oji-san, and Kayu-chan. My dislikes is most of the village, Team 7, Uchiha's, rapists, and the civilians and elders of the council. My hobbies are sparring with Oji-san, morning jogs, swimming, gardening, cooking, and a lot of other things. My dreams are to become the strongest ninja to ever exist, revive my clan and have a large family. He said and Mei smiles. So does that mean you'll have to take on more than one wife? Mei asks and Naruto nods. Yeah, but only those that will love me for me and not for my status or money. I hate people who do that. I hope you're okay with this, Mei-chan. He replies while she thinks about it. I'm fine with it. However, I want to be the one who bears your first child, understand? She asks and he nods with a blush on his face. Sure. Mei smiles and kisses him on the forehead. Oh, I also have this for you. No one has held this contract for a long time and is considered to be very powerful. She bites her thumb, performs a few seals, and then slams her hand onto the ground. Kuchiyus no Jutsu. Summoning Jutsu. In a puff of smoke a large silver-white scroll appears and on top of it was the head of what looked like a silver dragon with fangs. This Naruto-kun is the contract for the Akihei, Hydra, clan. They're a clan who are of a higher group of serpents, but they're related to dragons. I found it in a cave off the shores off Mizuno Kuni. Once you sign this, you'll be sent to their realm to meet their leader, so try not to upset her or she'll kill you. Mei said in a serious tone while Naruto gulps but nods. The scroll opens up and reveals a list that only had one name in it, but it was smudged, so Naruto couldn't tell whose name was on it. He then bites his thumb and smears his name on the blank space next to the smeared name and finishes it with the Senju symbol. His name glows blue on the scroll and it suddenly trembles and rolls up, shocking the blonde. The head on it comes to life and lets out a roar before disappearing in a puff of smoke as does Naruto. Mei was watching this and couldn't help but be afraid for him. I hope he's the one, Yamada no Urachi. She says and sits cross-legged onto the grass. Meanwhile, Naruto appears in a puff of smoke in another world. He looks around and couldn't help but admire the sight. He was currently at a lake's edge. Turning around he saw a forest that seems to stretch for miles, and next to the forest was a green hilly area that was attached to a huge mountain. At the foot of the mountain was a huge cave. As he finished surveying the area he turned back towards the lake and sat down. Okay, I'm here now, what do I do? He says to himself until he hears the sound of splashing water and turns his head around only to see a large gold-yellow slitted eye that was the size of a full-grown man staring at him. The eye was connected to the head of what looked like a giant serpent that had silver-white skin and blackish-green spots on it. It also had what appeared to be long sharp spikes on its head and probably went down its neck and back. Naruto just sat there staring at the giant eye for a few minutes and did the only thing any person would do when they saw something of that size. He screamed like a little girl and ran for his life. While he did that, a small sweat drop appeared on the Hydra's head as it watched Naruto run away waving his arms around and screaming his head off about giant snakes trying to eat him again. Inside his mindscape Kayu was rolling around the ground laughing her ass off and clutching her stomach. Oh Kami, this is priceless. Naruto-kun is running away from Yama-chan. She then stops and looks up at the sky. Can't blame him though, Yama-chan does have that effect on people when they see her in that form. But it was still funny. She says and continues to laugh. Naruto was currently running away until a large white and blackish green tail stopped in front of him, causing him to crash into it. Again the Hydra sweat drops, but chuckles when he falls over clutching his head. Damn, that hurt. He mumbles and finds himself staring in shock as the Hydra fully rises from the water. Water glistened from its body and dripped from its black underbelly. Naruto's eyes were the size of basketballs and his jaw was on the ground as he looked at the Hydra. It has 8 heads and 8 tails. One of the heads moved down to Naruto and looks at him for a while. Why, hello little ninja. What are you doing in my realm? The feminine voice asked while Naruto just sputter and points at her. Said Hydra sighs at this. Why is it that people always act like this whenever I'm in this form? She thought and then decides to show her true form. She glows white and starts to transform. As she shrunk her heads melded together and became one head while her tails resided into her body and she became smaller and more human-shaped. When the transformation started to end, there was a flash of bright light which temporarily blinded Naruto. When his eyesight returned to him, he was met with the most beautiful woman he had ever seen in his life. She had silky smooth black hair that stopped to her mid-back and it had silver highlights in it. Her skin was creamy white and smooth, and it seemed to shine from the sunlight. She had beautiful gold-yellow slitted eyes and fangs jutted from her upper lip. She wore a black kimono that had white dragons on it, and the outfit seemed to hug her hergless figure and assets that weren't too big or too small. She also had a slit on the right side of her kimono and showed off her long, sexy, flawless legs. Naruto couldn't help but blush at her appearance. A sly grin appeared on her face, and she leans over to give him a better view of her cleavage. "Like what you see?" Yamada asks while he does the next thing that came to his mind. He fainted. Again. The Namikaze and the Water Goddess. Hey Omina, hey everyone. This is NAMIKAZE09 back with another chapter for the Senju Heir and the Goddess of the Sea. I'm sorry if the last chapter was too short, but don't worry, this one will be longer and better. Jutsu. Kaiten Hijutsu. Daiguren, original, so I get credit. Jutsu or Japanese translation. Secret fire release technique. Great Crimson Lotus. Normal speech. Was I drunk when I agreed to be a part of his crew? Scroll book author notes event titles. The Great Shinobi Wars. Demon Summoner fusion speech. Finally, I can go wild. Human thinking. Oh, shit. This is gonna cost us. Demon Summoner fusion thinking. Oi. Don't you dare ruin my fun, you hear. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any other anime video game weapon, technique sect. But I do own the made-up weapons, jutsus, fighting styles act. Chapter 1. Training, perverts, and finals. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and finds himself sleeping under a tree with his body resting on it. He groans and slowly gets up. Man, I had the weirdest dream. I was face to face with an eight-headed, eight-tailed hydra that was the size of the Hokage Tower, and it then transformed into a beautiful woman. He mutters but then hears a soft and angelic voice speak up. So I'm just a dream you thought of? That really hurts my feelings. He looks around the area and doesn't see anybody, but then he looks up to see the same woman from last time sitting on a tree looking down at him with a hurt look on her face. Naruto looks at her, and his eyes become bug-eyed. "Oh Kami, you are real," he says out loud, getting a grin from her. "Of course I am, you silly ninja. This is my human form after all." She then leaps off the tree and lands on the ground softly. She walks up to the blonde and looks down at him. "I am the Yamada no Urachi, but call me Shiroi Akihei, White Hydra." Shiroi asks in a calm tone while Naruto nods. "Okay. So you're not the boss summon for a guy named Orochimaru?" Naruto asks while Shiroi blinks in confusion and then shakes her head. "No, I've never heard of him. Why?" she asks. "Because he's a senin for the snakes," he answered, but the shivered when he saw the dark look in her eyes. Light green chakra swirled around her and she let out a hiss. "I see. So that traitorous bastard Manda has a summoner? I should have killed that power-hungry fool when I had the chance a long time ago. He had the nerve and audacity to try and overthrow me. The Yamada no Urachi," she hissed out and cracked her knuckles. "I swear I'll kill that legless worm and feed his remains to the crocodiles. Anyway, I'm sorry for scaring you." She paused for a moment until Naruto rubbed the back of his head nervously and spoke up. "Sorry Shiroi-chan, I'm Naruto Namikaze Senju," he said but didn't notice the small blush appear on her face. "Naruto, I know you signed the contract for my clan, but I must ask you this. What would you do with me as your boss summon, and why should I even let you summon my kin?" Shiroi asked in a serious tone. Naruto looks at her with an expression that represented a strong will and determination. "Shiroi-chan, I give you not only my word, but I swear on my clan's honor and title that I'll never abuse the power of you and your kin. I will treat you like I treat my comrades and not as tools, and I wish to fight by your side as an ally," he said while Shiroi looks at him for a while and then smiles. "Your eyes hold no lies or ill intentions. Very well Naruto Namikaze Senju. I Shiroi Akihei, the Yamada no Urachi and leader of the reptile clan, grant you the right to summon me and my kin. Now hold out your right arm," she orders and he does. Her fangs extend and she clamps them down on Naruto's wrist. Said blonde winces in pain while he felt a burning sensation go through his wrist and forearm. The pain dies down and she lets go of his arm. Naruto looks at his right arm and sees the tattoo of an eight-headed hydra wrapped around his arm. He looks at Shiroi for a while, then bows to her, getting a look of surprise from the hydra. "Thank you Shiroi-chan for giving me the honor to summon your kin," he says and she smiles. "You're welcome young Namikaze. The last couple of people who tried to force me under their command were crushed, poisoned, melted by my acid, or eaten, though I had to cut back on eating ninja because they give me heartburn," she said while Naruto chuckles nervously. "Remind me to never piss you off Shiroi-chan," he replies while she laughs lightly and does a dismissive wave. "Don't worry. Also, to summon me you must wipe your blood on top of the tattoo. There are also other members of my clan. They are the sea serpents, the crocodiles, hydras, and Komodo dragons," she explains and he nods. "I also have a gift for you," she says and walks over to the lake and stretches her hand out. Ripples appear around the water and with a splash, a katana with a deep blue hilt, white diamond-shaped patterns that has a white diamond on the end of it. The guard was black and carved in the form of a hydra coiling around the blade. It was in a black and red sheath that had a white dragon wrapped around it with its maw opened. She grabbed the sword and walked over to Naruto. She then held it out with both of her hands in front of the blonde, who looked at it for a while and at her. She nods for him to take it and he does. When he unsheathes it, he gasps at the blade's beauty. It was a silver blade and there seemed to be no scratches or any sign of markings on it. He could also see his reflection off the blade and the sun's rays shining on it only made it more dazzling. "This sword is beautiful," he says, and Shiroi nods while smiling. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. This sword is called Shinken no Akuhei, Fang of the Hydra. I had it forged from my fangs and scales and forged in the white flames of a dragon and cooled in Susanu's lake. Try channeling your chakra affinity into the sword," she says, and he nods. He channels his lightning affinity into the blade and suddenly lightning runs up the blade and the blonde's eyes widen in shock and awe. "Wow, so I can channel my chakra and elemental affinity through the blade. This is awesome." He then stops channeling chakra into the sword, sheathes it, and then hugs Shiroi, whose eyes widen in surprise but returns it, and they then let go of each other. "So how do I leave this place, Shiroi-chan?" Naruto asks. "Just imagine yourself back at your previous location," she replied. Naruto pictures the forest of Konoha and Mei, and he disappears in a puff of smoke. Konoha Forest. Mei was sitting in the same spot where Naruto disappeared from, but then she jumps up on her feet when a puff of smoke appears, and when it clears, Naruto is seen with a sheathed katana in his left hand. He then finds himself being glomped by Mei and his head buried into her cleavage. "Naruto-kun, you're back. I thought Yamato no Orochi killed you," she cried out while the blonde let out an MMPH. After freeing himself, she lets him go and he smiles at her. "Now Naruto, you said you needed to get your original strength back, right?" she asks, and he nods. "Yeah, when I was 7 I had an accident where I was working on a seal that let Kaio-chan come in and out of the seal without killing me. I wrote the wrong sealing symbol on my father's jutsu and it resulted in my chakra and Kaio's to go haywire. I came so close to dying that day, but luckily Saruoji was there and placed chakra compression seals all over my body," he said, getting a look of horror from her face while he continued. "He had to call in my Kyofu, Jiraiya the Gamma Sennin to repair my seal. While that happened, Kaio-chan had to separate half of my soul in order for me to recover and also turned me into a Hanyu that day." He saw Mei was about to speak up and he just chuckles. "No, I didn't gain fox ears or a tail. I gained those when I turn 18. I did gain claws, fangs, and other abilities I don't feel like explaining out in the open. If that incident hadn't happened, I would be at least as strong as an Anbu, but now I'm only on par with a high Chunin level nin, so I need to gain it back as soon as possible." He finished explaining and she nods. "So what affinities do you have?" Mei asked while Naruto pulled out a piece of white paper and focused his chakra into it. First it split it in half, then it got soaked up on one side, wrinkled up in the other, and burned and turned to dust on the other sides. Mei's eyes widened in shock as she saw that he had an affinity for all 5 main elements. Being the container for the most powerful Bijuu in the elementals and a Hanyu does have its advantages. I gained wind from my father, water and lightning from my mother, and fire from Kaio, since it's her major affinity. I gained earth from one of her tails, but also gained a few sub-elemental affinities." He pulls out another chakra paper, focuses even harder on it. A plant grows out of one side and the other side is molten. Mei looks at the paper and her eyes were bigger than dinner plates. "Why, you have the same sub-element like I do. And you also have Mokuton." She then squeals out loud and pulls him into a hug, then nuzzles his cheek. "My future husband is so amazing." She then lets go of him and he then destroys the 2 papers. "The last thing I need is for those bastards in the council knowing this. So Mei-chan, after we finish training, do you want to go to the hot springs?" he asks his future wife, getting a smile from the young Cage. "I'd love to. We can go in the co-ed side and wash each other's backs, Naruto-kun," she says in a seductive tone while Naruto rubs the back of his head, blushing. "Sure, I'll wash your back, Mei-chan," he replies, and the both start to laugh. That's when Naruto spoke up. "You have a beautiful laugh, Mei-chan." This causes a blush to appear on her face. "Thank you. Anyway, let's get started on your training." For the next couple of hours, Naruto worked in his chakra exercises as well as did push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups and his mother's Kenjutsu and Taijutsu styles, the heightened Mitsurugi Ryu, Flying Heavenly Sword and Shinku Ryu Ken, Crimson Dragon Fist. After spending the next 5 hours training his ass off, they headed for the hot springs. After signing in, Mei reserved a co-ed side for her and Naruto only. Said blonde was relaxing his body into the warm soothing water with his eyes closed. Sleeping on top of his head curled up into a ball was a red fur-covered fox with 2 tails. It was Kaio. Said Fox's ears shot up and opened one of her pink-colored eyes. She saw Mei walking towards the hot spring with her hair down and a towel wrapped around her body. A grin appears on her face and she jumps off of Naruto's head and into the hot spring, swimming away from him and later leaps on a warm rock, shakes the water off and falls back asleep. Naruto feels two arms wrap around his neck and a chest pressed up against his back. He turns his head to see Mei smiling at him and she kisses him lightly on the lips. Said blonde returns it and gets a good look at her body. The towel hugged her flawless body like a second skin and showed off every single curve her body had. Naruto wraps one arm around her waist and pulls her onto his lap, getting an eep and a look of surprise from Mei. Naruto smirks at her and pulls her body close to his. "Are you comfy, Mei-chan?" He asks while she smiles and rests her head on his shoulder. Naruto inhales her scent and she smelled like exotic fruits. Mei shivers a little but lets out a sigh and closes her eyes. "Well, don't you two look cute together?" Caillou says telepathically while Naruto rolls his eyes at her. "Look Caillou, I'm not ignoring you anything, but I'm trying to spend time with my fiancé. I promise I'll make it up to you when we go back to the apartment." Caillou looks at Naruto and grins. "Fine. When we get back to your apartment you have to let me sleep with you in my human form," she says, giggling inside her mind while Naruto blushes and glares at the grinning fox. He then gets an evil glare on his face, making Caillou who's in her fox form eye twitch. "If I were you Caillou, I'd watch my backside when sleeping with me. I might end up doing something to it that'll make you scream my name." Caillou shivers and gives him a heated glare. "Try it and I'll change your gender, you perverted Hanyu." She growled while Naruto snickers at her expression, but then his eyes widen and then narrow when he hears a giggle from the distance. "Mei-chan," Naruto says. The Mizukage opens her jade eyes and looks at him. "Yes. There's a pervert nearby." He whispers into her ear, making her eyes widen a little. "Would you be so kind and send him here so that I can deal with him?" she asks. Naruto nods and gently removes her from his lap, then gets up, acting like he's leaving the hot spring. On the tree branch, a man with long white spiky hair, wearing a green guy, a red vest, red Jetta sandals and a headband with the kanji for oil, was peeping on Mei, who got up and looked like she was about to remove her towel with a telescope. He was Jiraiya, the Gamma Sennin. Right now he was giggling like a madman when he saw Mei about to remove her towel. "Oh yeah, I hit the jackpot with this one. My next book is gonna be a huge hit," he says as a small drop of blood falls from his nostril. Little did he know that Naruto, who was now in a pair of shorts, was behind him crouching and grinning like a Cheshire cat. He puts his two hands together and extends his index and middle fingers and aimed them at Jiraiya's ass. "Konoha Taijutsu no Aogi. Senin Garashi." The yells, startling Jiraiya was too slow to react and ended up having a pair of chakra-enhanced fingers shoved in his ass, resulting in a girly scream from Jiraiya, who was clutching his butt in pain and was sent flying into the hot springs, creating a big splash, soaking Mei, whose eyebrow was twitching dangerously. Steam was coming off of her skin while Jiraiya, who was rising out of the water, was growling. "When I get my hands on whoever did that," he started to say until he froze up from the murderous intent he felt behind him and slowly turned his head to see an angry Mei glaring at him with her icy jade eyes. Jiraiya gulped and started to laugh nervously. "Now Mizukage don't know I can explain," he started to say until he heard her crack her knuckles loudly and walked over to him slowly. "Shut up and I'll make this as painless, actually I won't," she said as her shadow loomed over the now whimpering Jiraiya. Naruto was in the changing room with his clothes on and his katana strapped to his back, leaning against the wall. 321, he says to himself, and suddenly the sound of girly screams and fists making contact with a body were heard all over Konoha. Hiruzen was in his office reading his Icha book while his shadow clones were doing the paperwork. He then heard a scream coming from the hot springs and sighs. "When will you ever learn, Jiraiya?" he mumbles. "Please, not the face, not the face. No, not there either, please." Naruto winced when he heard the sound of a foot making contact with a groin. "Oh Kami, my manhood." The toad sage screamed out while Caillou, who walked into the room, saw Naruto and leaped on the top of his head. "Shouldn't you go help your Caillou, Naruto-kun? I don't think he'll enjoy having his jewels melted off by your fiancé," Caillou asked while the blonde shrugs. "Not now. Let Mei-chan beat the crap out of him for a while," he says and strokes her back with a finger, getting a purr from the fox. 10 minutes later, the beating stops and Naruto walks back into the hot spring section and sweat drops at the beaten, broken, bloody, and twitching form of Jiraiya. Mei-chan was massaging her sore knuckles and mumbled something about perverted old fools and melting off their balls with lava. Naruto chuckles at this and walks over to Mei and then places his hands around hers and they glow green. "Is that better, Mei-chan?" Naruto asks his future bride, who smiles and kisses Naruto on the lips. "Yes it is," she says. They then notice Jiraiya groaning and getting up from the beating he just suffered. "Oh Kami, I haven't been beaten that badly since Minato caught me peeking on Kushina." He mumbled while popping his back in place. Naruto's eyes twitched dangerously when he heard that. What was that, Kyofu? Do I need to let Mei-chan here melt your balls off? He growled out only for Jiraiya to turn around and see Naruto glaring at him. Gaki. Wow, what happened to you? The last time I saw you, you were a chibi version of your dad. He said with a goofy grin on his face. A small smile appears on his face. I hit a growth spurt. That and I was finally able to become whole again. He said, causing Jiraiya's eyes to widen a little but return to normal. I see. He then looks at the Mizukijin back at Naruto and a grin appears on his face. So do you mind explaining what you're doing with the Mizukage Gaki? He asks and Naruto mutters about perverted godfathers being nosy. If you must know, she's my fiancé. He says, causing Jiraiya's jaw to drop. Did you just say that she is your fiancé? Naruto groans and nods while rubbing the back of his head. Jiraiya then finds himself bowing down before his godson chanting, I am not worthy, while Mei and Caillou sweat drop. I'm never gonna leave my children kits alone with that man. They both thought while Naruto sighs at how he was acting. Jiraiya then places his hands on his godson's shoulders while tears fell down his face. I'm so proud of you, kid. 14 years old and you already have an older woman, a cage no less, as your future bride. He ranted on until Mei coughed out loud, getting their attention. Please don't corrupt my future husband, Jiraiya-sama, or I'll have to kill you. She said in a sweet tone, making the man shiver at the tone. Don't worry, I don't plan on it. Yet. So Gaki, do you need any help with your training? I already have Mei-chan helping me, but I could use your help with Fuinjutsu and get me back to my original level of strength. Also, do you think you can help me with the Rasengan? He asks and gets a nod from Jiraiya. Sure, I was actually planning on teaching it to you when I came back and let you sign the Toad contract. Thanks, but Mei-chan already gave me a contract for the Akihei Hydra clan, but I could use the Toads as a support summons. He said and Jiraiya's jaw dropped again and saw the tattoo of an 8-headed 8-tailed Hydra on his right arm. Damn Gaki, you're gonna be one hell of a ninja if you have that clan as your summon, and sure, I'll let you use the Toads as a support summon. Naruto grins while Mei walks in to get changed. I also heard from the old man that you tangoed with a white snake in the forest of death. Are you okay? He asks in a serious yet sincere tone and Naruto nods. Yeah, despite the fact that I was eaten alive by a snake and then fought said summoner and got my chakra screwed up by a seal, the team slammed into my gut while my teammates froze up like a bunch of bitches. Other than that, I'm fine. Speaking of seals, do you know the Gajo Fuin, 5 elemental seal? Jiraiya blinks at Naruto for a while, but nods. Yes, I do. Why? He asks. I might need to use it in the finals because there's guy from Suna who's a container like me, only his seal makes him unstable. I know he has the Ichibi no Tanuki Shukaku sealed inside him due to the fact that the demon is a sand apparition. Naruto explained and Jiraiya rubs his chin for a while and grins. I see. So are you facing him first? Jiraiya asks. No, I'm facing a prick named Nichi Hyuga. Naruto answers. But I already know how to beat that idiot due to the fact that the Hyugas only use their Byakugan and Jaiken style, but Gaara is gonna be tough for me even when I gain my strength back. He can manipulate sand to the point where it protects him and attacks his opponents. He also has a final defense called Suna no Yoroi, sand armor, and it is stronger than steel. But it's also his weakness. In order for him to keep his armor strong, he needs chakra. His taijutsu is non-existent and I doubt that he knows Genjutsu. Naruto explains while Jiraiya smirks. Great. So we have 2 months to get you ready to face the Hyuga kid and the Tanuki, raccoon dog kid. But let me ask this first, Gaki. What did your sensei Kakashi teach you, because the old monkey just glared at me and told me to ask you? Jiraiya replied only for Naruto to frown and narrow his eyes. Aside from tree walking. Nothing. He was too busy being Sasuke's bitch to teach me or that pink-haired brat anything. He also said I wasn't worth his time and didn't have what it takes to be a shinobi, and that our leader only made me one out of pity. He answered and sees Jiraiya growl and release a small amount of kai around the area, but then stopped and an evil grin appeared on his face. Don't sweat it, Naruto. After the exams are over, I'll take you on as my apprentice like I did your old man, even if you don't make Chunin this time. Also, how far can you go when using the Hiraishin no Jutsu? The Toad Sage asks, causing Mei's eyes widen in shock and awe. Why, you know the Hiraishin too? She asks and Naruto nods. Yes, I do, but not to my dad's level. The farthest I can go is 50 miles per hour. And I can only use 4 kunai at a time. Last time I tried to use more than 4, I almost threw up my stomach. He mumbles while Caillou, who was in fox form, snickers. Jiraiya's jaw dropped at this, but then a huge grin appears on his face. Man, Gaki, you are full of surprises. I knew sensei was helping you with your skills when you were younger, but damn. Well, I should get going. You and your fiancé meet me at training ground 26. It's the one with the huge waterfall in Lake Jana. he says and disappears in a puff of smoke. Mei then walks over to Naruto and smiles. I have to go to Naruto or else my bodyguards will get worried. I'll be at the Golden Leaf Hotel. She replies, getting a nod from Naruto. Mei then wraps her arms around his neck and kisses him fully on the lips for a few minutes and then ends it with Naruto just staring at her. She giggles and disappears in a swirl of water. Kaio leaps off Naruto's head and morphs into her human form, wearing a black shirt and red pants, and started to stare at a dazed Naruto and sighs. She then grabs his cheeks and stretches them out until Naruto cries out in pain. Aitai. Kaio, what's wrong with you? He cried out, rubbing his sore cheeks while she glares at him and huffs, crossing her arms against her chest. You were in a daze, Baka. Anyways, it's getting dark, I'm hungry and tired, and you promised to sleep with me while I'm in my human form. She said with a cheeky grin on her face while Naruto groaned. Fine, Kaio-chan, but don't try anything funny. He said in a playful tone while her grin grew. And if I do? She asks but eeps when he pulls her against his body. I'll give you a reason to watch your backside, you sly vixen. He growled in her ear and squeezed her ass. She squeaks and frees herself from his grip, glaring at the grinning blonde. Keep your hands off my ass or I'll make you regret it, you pervert. She growled, showing off her canines, but Naruto just smirks at her. I'll try, Kaio-chan, but you know how my hands wander while I'm sleeping. He says, making her twitch. He then walks over to her and again wraps his arms around her and kisses her on the lips for a while. She then looks at him and smiles a little. Can I at least cope a feel, Kaio-chan? I know you like it when I massage your cheeks. He says in a husky tone, causing her to grumble, but gives in. Fine, but I want to give you something in return. She says, and he blinks for a while until she leans into his ear and whispers something into his ear. Naruto's eyes widen and a tint of pink appears on his face while she giggles and licks her lips. She sees the look of shock on his face and she grabs his hand and shunshins them to his mother's apartment. Midnight, Naruto's bedroom. Naruto and Kaio were engaging into a tongue battle while in their underwear on the bed. Naruto was wearing a pair of black boxers while Kaio was wearing a red bra and panties and was on top of him. After 5 minutes of tongue wrestling they stop for air, panting heavily. Kaio grins evilly at the blonde whose eyes widen but return to normal. So are you ready to do that to me, Kaio-chan? He asks while she nods and giggles pervertedly as she watches the tent in his boxers grows. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy this, Naruto-kun. She says and grinds her waist against his friend, getting a groan from Naruto. Not as much as I am, you horny vixen. He says while her grin became bigger. After doing that he pulls her panties back on her, his anatomy in his boxers, and wraps his hands around her waist and kisses her neck. Naruto, you jerk. You better be lucky I'm your mate or I'd be castrating you. She mumbles and turns around to sit on his lap. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle and starts to kiss her jawline and neck. They lay back on the bed with Naruto on top of her, still kissing her neck. He then moves down to her stomach and starts to kiss and lick her navel, making her giggle. Naruto does that for a while, then make his way back to kissing her lips. After all that they snuggle against each other with Kaio purring on the crook of his neck while Naruto rubs her bare back. Good night, Naruto-kun, she mumbles and goes back to sleep. Good night, Kaio-hime. He says and rests his chin on top of her head. For the last 2 months Naruto spent his time training with his Kyofu, godfather, and Finis. Jiraiya helped him with Fuinjutsu and also taught Naruto some of his personal ones like the Hari Jizo, Needle Guardian, and Yomi Numa, Swamp of the Underworld. He also helped Naruto with the Rasengan and to his shock, Naruto managed to master it in a week. Mei also helped him with his Yoten element and taught him a few Suiton Jutsu. For the rest of the second month, Naruto worked on his mother's Kenjutsu and Taijutsu style. 2 months later, Chunin Exam Stadium. In the cage booth, the Hokage and Kazekage, Orochimaru in disguise, were sitting and waiting for crowd to settle down. The genin that didn't make it to the finals were sitting with the crowd. I wonder where Sasuke-kun and Naruto are. They're not here with the other finalists. Ino replies while Sakura scoffs. Who cares about that blonde baka? He's nothing compared to Sasuke-kun and Neji, and they're geniuses. She said, not caring if the Hyuga killed Naruto or not in the finals. Ino looks at Sakura in shock. Sakura, he's your teammate. I know he's not as smart as Sasuke-kun, but have some faith in him. Ino said and Choji nods while eating a bag of chips. Shikamaru looks around and frowns when he doesn't Naruto or Sasuke. Troublesome, those two are missing, and so is that Doku guy. Stop looking around, kid, and face the audience. In this main tournament, you guys are the stars. Said a Senbon chewing jounin named Genma. At the Hokage booth, a jounin appears next to Sarutobi and whispers into his ear. Hokage-sama, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha still haven't showed up yet. What do we do? He asks. Then Sarutobi looked out of the corner of his eye to see Mei and 2 of her bodyguards coming up. Don't worry, I am sure that Naruto Uzumaki is fine, but keep a lookout for Sasuke Uchiha. He says, getting a nod from the jounin who shunshins away. Mei sits down next to the Hokage with her guards flanking her. "Hello, Mizukage Dono, I trust that the long journey was not too long?" He asks with a smile and she smirked. "Not at all, Hokage Dono. Hello, Kazekage Dono." The Kazekage nodded his head in respect to her, but inside, Orochimaru was panicking about her presence. Curses. Another cage is here. I might have to cancel the invasion. I can't take on both Sarutobi and the Mizukage. He thought in his mind. Sarutobi turns his head to Mei and whispers. "Mei-san, do you know where Naruto is?" She smiles at him and says. "Don't worry. He's just preparing for a flashy entrance." Sarutobi chuckles at her response. Just like his father. Now then, he then stands up while the crowd gets quiet. "Thank you, everyone, for coming to Konoha's Chunin exams. We will now start the main tournament matches between the 8 participants who made it through the preliminaries. Please stay and watch until the end." The Kazekage then spoke up as Hiruzen started to sit down. "If it's 8, then 2 appear to be missing." Sarutobi said nothing, and while that happened, Genma pulled out a piece of paper. "There's something I would like to tell you before the matches, look at this." Everyone peered at the matches to see that it was even. "There are some minor changes to the tournament, so check again who you are fighting." Shikamaru thought, "I had an extra match, did that Dosu guy forfeit?" Gaara's hand began to twitch as he waited and said, "Okay, this is the finals, secrecy is different, but the same rules from the prelims still apply, got it. Now will Naruto Uzumaki and Neji Hyuga step forward?" Neji stepped forward with a smug look on his face, and suddenly a swirl of water, wind, and ice dance around the arena, shocking everyone but Mei, who was smiling under her hat. After that, a hooded figure wearing a dark blue cloak appeared in the middle of the whirlwind, and then it died down. Genma looks at the figure who grabs the cloak and flings it off, shocking everyone in the stadium. It was Naruto Uzumaki, but what shocked everyone was his appearance. He was now 5'6", wearing a dark blue long-sleeved jacket with pockets on it and a silver line going down the sleeves. He also wore black Anbu-styled pants with a silver line going down the middle and Anbu-styled sandals that stopped below his knees. He also wore a black muscle shirt that hugged his body and wore it like a second skin, and it showed off his chest and abs. On the back of his jacket was the picture of the Kyuubi in a crouching position, as well as the 5 elemental kanji for water, wind, lightning, fire, and earth. He also had black fingerless gloves on, and they had metal plates on them. He also had crimson highlights in his bangs. Strapped to his back was a sword with a red hilt, gold guard, and a black sheath. It was Naruto's mother's sword, the dragon sword, and on his right hip, he had another katana strapped. It had a deep blue hilt, white diamond-shaped patterns that has a white diamond on the end of it. The guard was black and carved in the form of a hydra coiling around the blade. It was in a black and red sheath that had a white dragon wrapped around it with its maw opened. It was the Shinken Akuhei. Around his neck was what looked like a Magatama jewel that was attached to a necklace, Eye of the Dragon from Ninja Gaiden. "Oh my god, that's Naruto." Ino shouted out, while Sakura couldn't believe that this was Naruto and thought that it had to be a trick. Sarutobi chuckles at this. Most of the girls, both civilian and Kunoichi, were blushing at the new and improved blonde Genin. Denton's cheeks were red and she couldn't help but admire his swords. Tamari was also blushing and couldn't help but look at his chest and abs. Whoa, he went from shrimpy to hottie in less than 2 months. I wonder if I can get him on a date after this. She said to herself while her cheeks burned red. Shikamaru's eyes were wide as well, but he chuckles and mutters troublesome blondes. Gaara looks at him too but had a feeling that this blonde kid from the exams was dangerous and smiles darkly. Perhaps you'll be the one I prove my existence to Uzumaki. He thought but was wondering why Shukao was quiet. Naruto looks at Genma and grins. Am I late, Proctor-san? Naruto asks while the Jounin chuckles and shakes his head. No. Actually you're just in time for your match against Neji Hyuga. He says while the blonde nods. Good. So can we get started? I have a Chunin flak jacket with my name on it and a prick's ass to kick. He says ignoring the glare Neji was giving him. Genma nods and looks at the other Genin. The rest of you go to the stadium and wait for your match. He said as they walked away. One moment, Proctor. Oi. Tamari-san. He yells out, getting her attention. He then removes his swords from his back and right hip and holds them out to her. Would you mind holding these for me? He asks, getting a nod from her, and he hands them to her. Thank you, beautiful. He replies, making her blush. She then walks over to the stairs quickly while Naruto chuckles. I'm definitely going on a date with her. He says to himself but then looks back at Neji. In the stadium, Izumo and Katetsu look at the blonde. This ought to be good. I wonder how strong the kid got in 2 months. Izumo wondered while Katetsu smiles. Who knows? But the question is, can he beat Neji Hyuga, who's considered a prodigy in the Hyuga clan? Katetsu replies. This should be good. Kiba says while Hinata clutches her chest. Naruto-kun. She says quietly. So the Baka changed his clothes. So what? He's still gonna lose. Sakura says and Ino glares at her former friend. Some teammate you are Sakura. Naruto may be the dead last, but at least he's in the final so shut up. Ino replies while the pink-haired girl looks at Ino in shock but then turns away from her. Ashi and his daughter, Hanabi were also watching the fight. Watch closely Hanabi, there isn't another Hyuga whose blood is stronger than Niji's. He says getting a nod from his daughter. Meanwhile as Genma moved back so he didn't get caught in the crossfire. Niji decides to speak up with an arrogant tone. So you've changed your wardrobe, facial appearance, and you now have 2 swords that I doubt you could use. That won't save you though because fate has declared me the victor of the tournament. He says waiting for the blonde to lash out at him. Naruto just stands there with his hands in his pockets and just glares at the Hyuga. He then removes his hands from his pockets and tilts his neck a few times, getting a few crack noises out. He then breathes in and out and looks at Niji like he's a short-minded fool. Niji raises an eyebrow at Naruto. I suggest you get ready to admit defeat Uzumaki. I have fate on my side and no one can defy fate. He says. Naruto then decides to speak up. Niji do me a favor and shut the fuck up. He said getting a gasp from everyone while Niji twitches. There's no such thing as fate. It's only an illusion that weak, ignorant, and pompous fools like you use because you don't have the strength or the balls to defy it. He said while Niji growls at the blonde and gets into a Jukin stance. I'd pick my next words carefully you fool. They may be your last. He says and activates his Byakugan. Naruto smirks at the Hyuga prodigy and speaks up. Oh shut up pale eyes and get ready to have your ass kicked. He says and leaps back performing a few hand seals. Kurigaku no Jutsu. He says and suddenly, a white mist appears around the stadium, making Naruto's image vanish in the mist, while Niji frowns and looks around. So you know a jutsu. Big deal it won't save you from my eyes. He says but hears no response from the blonde. The mist gets thicker and Niji gets frustrated because his eyes can't seem to trace Naruto. What's the matter dead last? Can't face me like a true shinobi. He taunts but his eyes widen and he ducks as a barrage of shuriken move past his head. He gets up and looks around for Naruto. Come out and face your fate loser. He yells while Naruto who was in the mist grins and moves his right arm forward, pointing his index and middle finger at the Hyuga. Raiden. Byakurai he says while his fingers glow and a small orb appears with static electricity. When that happens, a beam of white lightning shoots towards Niji's back. The Hyuga senses something behind him and that was a bolt of lightning coming straight at him. He manages to dodge it but his cheek gets grazed by it, making the Hyuga wince from the pain. Damn it. If that attack had hit me it would have he started to think only for Naruto to appear on his right with his fist cocked back and swings at Niji. He ducks and gets ready to perform a palm strike to the blonde's chest, only for Naruto to sidestep and grab the Hyuga's wrist. He twists it slightly and delivers a chakra-enhanced kick to his chest, sending the Hyuga flying through the mist. Niji manages to flip in midair and lands on the ground, skidding back a couple of feet and coughs a few times. Lucky shot. He mutters. I heard that girly boy. Naruto says in the mist. The mist suddenly clears and Naruto is seen twirling a Fuma shuriken in his hands at a slow pace. Niji just frowns and charges. Naruto smirks at the prick and twirls the windmill even faster until it's a spinning buzz saw he then tosses it at Niji full force, the Hyuga leaps over it and lands on the ground again and charges at Naruto full speed. Naruto's eyes widen and before he could do anything, Niji strikes him in the chest with a palm strice and he gasps out, shocking everyone. Ha. Told you he'd lose. Sakura says. Niji smirks at the shock expression on Naruto's face, but his smirk becomes a frown when Naruto says one word. Fool. He then bursts into water, surprising and shocking Niji. What? A Mizubunshin, water clone. When did he cries out, but then the windmill shuriken turned into a puff of smoke, revealing Naruto in the air with another spinning windmill in his hands. Hey Niji. Naruto yells out and the prick turns around to see Naruto with another windmill shuriken in his hands. Said blonde then throws it and performs a few seals. Kage Fuma shuriken no jutsu. He cries out and the one Fuma shuriken becomes 20 but Naruto isn't finished there. Futon. Senpuken wind, release. Hurricane fist he says and Naruto punches his fist out and releases a gust of wind that increases the speed of the shurikens that were going for a shock Niji. Whoa. He knows a wind jutsu. Now I really want that date with him. She says to herself and hugs his swords to her boy. Tenten was glaring at the Suna Kunoichi because she wanted to hold those swords. The other genin's eyes widen at what Naruto just did. Kiba then shouts out. Yeah Naruto. Niji curses and his body glows for a while. He then spins really fast, creating a spinning chakra shield Kaiten. Heavenly rotation. He cries out and the shuriken are deflected. Ashi had a look of surprise and awe as did Hanabi. T2 Sen that was. I know. Such skill is wasted on the branch family. he says in a low tone. Naruto lands on the ground as the kaiten dies down. Neji then stops spinning and smirks at Naruto. You should be honored. It's not every day that I use my trump card on a mere commoner. He replies. While Naruto just looks at him and scratches his head. That was your trump card. Pretty lame if you ask me. He said, getting a face fault and sweat drop from most of the ninja and civilians. Hiashi growls at the blonde for insulting his clan's most powerful technique. Wow, is this dude delusional or what? Sarutobi couldn't help but chuckle. Leave it to Naruto to insult a clan like the Hyugas. Asuma and Kurenai hear this also, and Asuma smirks at the blonde's actions. That kid must have balls of steel to insult one of the strongest clans in Konoha. He says, and Kurenai nods with him. Neji now was fuming. How dare this nobody insult my technique? He'll pay. Neji once again gets into the Jukin stance. I'm done holding back Uzumaki. Now I'll show you the true power of the Hyuga clan. He says while Naruto looks at the ninja in mock shock. You were holding back. Wow, and here I thought you were a spoiled brat with a stick up your ass. He said while Neji growls. Shut up you peasant. He yells and charges at Naruto. Naruto's expression hardens and he gets into a fighting stance with his legs slightly spread apart, his right arm cocked back into a fist and his left arm out with the palm opened. When Neji is a few feet near him, Naruto swings his right arm at Neji who dodges to the left and performs a sweep kick at his legs. Naruto leaps over the move and lands on the other side. He then dodges two of Neji's palm strikes and performs a roundhouse kick at Neji who blocks it with his arms, but Naruto adds more force to the attack, breaking Neji's defense. Seeing this, Naruto spins and knees Neji in the gut, making the Hyuga gasp out as Naruto performs another knee strike, then grabs Neji by his jacket, flips him over, and slams him onto the ground hard. The Hyuga winces in pain, but then his eyes widen when he sees Naruto lift his right leg up into the air and brings it down fast and hard. He barely manages to roll out of the way as Naruto's foot comes down and makes an impact with the ground. After rolling out the way, Neji watches as Naruto removes his foot from the small crater his foot made and just stares at Neji. He then pulls one kunai from each hand and throws them at Neji who pulls out one and deflects them. Two shadow clones flank Neji's side with a Kodachi in their hand and swing at Neji's sides. The Hyuga jumps into the air and another clone appears performing a drop kick. Neji manages to tilt his body back as the clone passes him and he lands on the ground only to get an uppercut to the jaw by the real Naruto who leaps into the air, grabs Neji by the collar of his jacket and arm. As they went down, Naruto slams Neji into the ground while said Hyuga coughs up a little blood. Naruto's not finished and he picks the Hyuga up and punches him hard in the stomach 3 times, knees him into gut, cocks his fist back and socks him hard into the jaw, sending the Hyuga sprawling to the ground, skidding backwards and stops a few feet from Naruto. Before Neji could do anything, his ankle was grabbed by Naruto and he was lifted off the ground only to get slammed on his back on the opposite side. Naruto does 3 times and then spins around fast with Neji spinning also. He then flings Neji into the wall and hits it hard, leaving an imprint of his body onto the wall while he slides down. Naruto then vanishes and appears before Neji and grabs him by the collar of his jacket and flings him back into the middle of the field. Naruto then slowly walks towards the Hyuga who was struggling to get back on his feet. That when Naruto once again grabbed him by the collar again and pulled him to his eye level. So are you gonna apologize to Hinata or do I still have to make an example out of you? He asks and Neji spits blood and saliva on Naruto's face, shocking everyone. Naruto on the other hand rears his left fist back and socks him across the jaw hard and proceeds to unleash a barrage of punches on Neji's face, making the boys jerk back. To say everyone was shocked would be an understatement. Neji Hyuga, last year's Rookie of the Year and member of the Hyuga clan, was getting his ass handed to him by Naruto Uzumaki, the dead last. Man, he's beating the crap out of that Neji kid. Hopefully the blonde doesn't kill the kid with those punches. Genma mutters and his face twitched a little when he saw a couple of teeth fly out Neji's mouth. Chaoji dropped his bag of chips and couldn't help but keep looking at the beating Naruto was giving to Neji. Remind me to never piss Naruto off. He says to Ino who just nods without looking at him. Naruto however continues with the assault but the pause is when he sees Neji's bloody face. He then performs an uppercut that sends the prodigy flying upwards in midair. After that, Naruto runs towards one of the walls and runs up it. He then adds chakra to his leg and uses it to launch himself off the wall at high speed towards Neji and kicks him back into the same spot, making the crater bigger and once again he slides down the wall. Neji wobbly get up but the feels a fist buried into his stomach and hunches over in pain, coughing out saliva. Naruto then grabs Neji by his hair and drags him across the field and onto the middle of the arena and drops him. He then stomps on the Hyuga's hand, breaking the knuckles and a few bones. Neji screams out in pain while Naruto releases his foot from the Hyuga's now broken hand. Neji rolls away clutching his now broken hand. While Naruto just glares at the boy. Pathetic. I expected you to be stronger than this. Boy was I stupid in getting worked up with kicking your ass. So much for the Hyuga clan being the strongest clan in Konoha if their prodigy is this weak and pathetic. But do you know the most embarrassing part? You got the shit beat out of you by the dead last. Ironic, isn't it? Your clan always preaches about how their bloodline makes them invincible. Such foolishness and arrogance is not needed in our ranks. Do you honestly think that your all-seeing eye and Jukin style is enough to beat your opponent? Please, I can think of 20 different ways to beat you and your bloodline without breaking a sweat. He says in a cold tone. The Ashi clenches his fist at the boy. Neji gets up and glares at Naruto. Don't get up, Neji, you can't fight me anymore now that your hand is broken, unless you know one-handed seals, which I doubt, since you probably didn't even bother to learn more than your clan techniques. Am I right or what? He asks only to get silence, and he chuckles. Ami, you bloodline users are stupid. What would have happened if you faced an enemy who knew how to fight your Byakugan and the Jukin? You would have had to retreat or you would have died and had your eyes and balls taken to be examined and probably produce a new clan of Hyugas who aren't in Konoha. He replied. Shut up. Who are you to tell me to expand my horizon? I am a Hyuga and there's no one else in this village or any other that is stronger than you. POW. Neji got punched right in the face by Naruto. The sound of cartilage breaking is heard and he tumbles away. He stops and clutches his face in pain and lets out a muffled scream. Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit. You have no room to talk about whose clan is stronger because if your clan was so fucking strong, then why haven't any of them become Hokage yet? He yelled out. Asuma had to bite down on his lip to hold in a laugh. I take what I said back. His balls must be made of brass and steel. The clan who enslaves their own family and treats them like pets is not a clan. Even the Uchiha clan didn't have slaves, which is very shocking to me. So tell me, Neji. What's it like to kiss the ass of a bunch of old farts who can't even shit right without assistance? He asks while Neji gets up, holding his nose, but by the scrunching of his face, he was pissed. Sarutobi lets out a cough to prevent himself from laughing. Mei looks at him and smiles. Is everything alright, Sarutobi-san? She asks while he nods. Yes, I am just a little fit. The Kage chuckles at what he was hearing. Your genin skills are impressive, Sarutobi-san. I thought he was the dead last of the academy. Sarutobi snorts. Deception is a shinobi's most deadliest weapon, Kazuki-sama. He nods and looks back at the fight. Naruto then spits on the ground and looks back at the pissed off Hyuga. What's wrong, Neji? Are you pissed because I insulted your clan? Or is it because you are the pet who can't do nothing more but respond to your master's call like a dog? He says and senses the kai coming from the boy. Proctor, call the match. He can't fight me with a broken hand or cast jutsu. If not, I'll do more than break his hand and nose. He says and cracks his knuckles. Genma moves between them. The winner is Naruto Uzumaki. He says while the crowd cheers, but as soon as Naruto walks away he hears a roar filled with hate and rage and turns his head to see a pissed off Neji charging at him. I'll kill you. Neji screamed out with his Byakugan springing to life. Demna tried to stop him, but the Hyuga was too quick. Naruto vanishes and kicks the enraged Hyuga in the side of the head so hard that he is sent into a tree and collapses into unconsciousness. When the proctor announces the winner, Hyuga, you limp away to the medical ward, not attack the victor. He says and vanishes into a swirl of leaves and to the other genin who were in the finals. Naruto walks towards a blushing Temari and stops in front of her. May I have my swords back, Temari-chan? He asks while grinning at her. She nods with a blush on her face and hands them back to him. Thank you and I wish you luck in your match. He says as he straps his words back on. Thank you, Naruto-ku, I mean san. She said as her blush increases. Naruto just chuckles and walks away from her and back to the other genin grinning. Hey Shika, Shino, how's it going? He asks and the Nara decides to speak up. Okay Naruto, I know you probably have the answer, but what the hell happened to you? He asks and Shino nods. Yes Uzumaki-sen, I too am curious about your new appearance and skills. The Aburam asks. Naruto smirks and replies. Come on now Shika, I know you're lazy but not stupid, and Shino isn't deception all part of the shinobi way? Naruto asks and Shino raised both eyebrows. I understand now. I apologize if I insulted you in any way Uzumaki-san. He says and Naruto rolls his eyes. Shino, you don't have to call me Uzumaki-san. I prefer Naruto. He says while the bug user nods. Very well. He says while Shika chuckles. Man Naruto, you are so troublesome. He says while the blonde grins. Oh shut up lazy ass. You think everything is troublesome. No wonder all the females in your clan kick your asses. He said while Shikamaru twitches. Speaking of females, when do you plan on asking out Ino? He asks out loud, getting a blush from Ino and from the shadow user. Don't worry dude, I'm not going to steal her from you. I'm more interested into Tamari. He says while the wind user looks at him, turns red and sputters while he winks at her. Mei hears this, and a smirk appears on her face. It appears Naruto has already found another female to join his harem. She's not bad looking, but if anyone is bearing his first child, it's me, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She thought while Naruto, Caillou, Tenten, Tamari, and Anko sneeze. Someone's talking about me. Probably Mei-chan thinking about our honeymoon. He says to himself. Meanwhile in the cage booth Raidu appears near Tsurutobi. Hokage-sama, Sasuke Uchiha still hasn't showed up for his match. What should we do? He asks. Tsurutobi sighs in frustration. Tell Genma the Sasuke Uchiha is disqualified. He says and the Kazekage spoke why not postpone the match. Everyone including the lords from the other nations came to see the Uchiha fight. Raidu looks up at the Kazekage excuse me, but someone who doesn't show up on time doesn't have the right to be a Chunin. Clan members are not an exception. He says while Mei is right. I agree. If this was a war and the Uchiha's team was late due to his ignorance, then it'll cost not just the current team, but the entire village. Ninja who don't follow the rules have no right to be ninja. She says and Tsurutobi agrees. They're right Kazekage Dono. I can't show favoritism to anyone, that will be disqualified, and that is my final answer. He says while Raidu shuns away to inform Genma. Damn that woman. The invasion has been compromised. I have no choice but to call it off. The Kazekage made a hand sign to call off the attack and Kabuto saw it and just stood there, observing the match. After Genma got the message he announced this. Due to him not being on time, Uchiha Sasuke has been disqualified from the match, making Gaara the winner by default. He replied while the crowd booed at the decision. What? That's not fair. Sakura screamed out while Ino, who covered her ears, smacked the girl upside the head. Shut up Sakura. Ino yelled. Naruto smirks at this. So much for the almighty Uchiha clan. He says and Shikamaru mutters troublesome again. Skipping the other matches. After Shikamaru gave up his fight, he walked back up to the arena, glaring at a grinning Naruto. If you ever do pull something like that again Naruto I'll kill you. He said in a dark tone while the blonde shrugs. Not my fault you're lazy. He says and then appears next to Tamari who eeps. Naruto chuckles and puts an arm around the blonde Kunoichi, who blushes when she felt the muscles in his arms. Great match Tamari-chan. Too bad you didn't clock Shika in the head with your fan. Well it's time for my match. He says but then whispers into her ear. I'll help your brother defeat his inner demon. He says and her eye widened but before she could say anything he vanished in a swirl of water and ends up in the arena with his arms crossed. Gaara does the same with his sand and appears a few feet away from Naruto and smiles a smile filled with bloodlust. I see you've gotten stronger Uzumaki. Perhaps your blood will satisfy my mother. He says in a monotone voice while Naruto smirks. Sorry Tanuki, but your mother won't be tasting my blood today. Plus the only one who gets to taste any part of me is my water goddess. He says with a smile on his face. Mei hears this and blushes when Naruto calls her that. Genom was about to start the match until they were interrupted by swirling leaves and in the middle of it were Sasuke and Kakashi. Naruto narrows his eyes at the man and at Sasuke. Yo did we make it? Kakashi asks with an eye smile while Genma frowns. No Kakashi the Uchiha was disqualified now get off the field. He says getting a shocked look from Kakashi and a look of anger from Sasuke. What? I can't be disqualified I'm an Uchiha. The prick yelled while Genma snorts. And your point? Now beat it kid or I'll remove you from the field personally. Sasuke sees Gaara and starts to charge at him in anger, but he is then knocked out by the Shinken no Akuhi's sheath courtesy to Naruto, who then tosses the brat at Kakashi who catches him. Bet your butt buddy off the field Haddock. Naruto says coldly while the Jounin shivers from Naruto's words and vanishes into the stadium. Sorry about that Gaara. It's always the arrogant and weak-minded ones that don't know when to piss off. He says while Gaara nods. Apology accepted Uzumaki. Shall we begin? He asks while Naruto nods and removes his jacket and swords, revealing his skin-tight shirt which showed his well-toned body. The females, minus Sakura blush at this. Mei however was licking her lips, if he's this gorgeous now I can't wait to see what he's like when he's older. She thought as did the other girls, again minus Sakura. He places Ryokan and Shinken no Akuhi on his back and then tosses his jacket to the side and when it hits the ground, a large crater is created, shocking everyone due to how wide and deep the crater was. Naruto stretches for a while and smirks. Let's get started Gaara. He says and flares his chakra which was a dark blue color. Gaara nods and the cork on his guard pops off and his sand swirls around the sociopath like a snake. Naruto grins and then leaps back when a sand tendril hits the area he was at. Naruto then pulls out Shinken no Akuhi and twirls the blade around for a while, then gets into a Kenjutsu stance with his sword in a thrusting position. He then charges at the red-haired genin and does a horizontal slash at his head only for a wall of sand to block the attack and Naruto jumps back when another tendril tries to strike him. Naruto then plants the blade on the ground and performs a few hand seals. Kaiten. Karyuenden. Fire release dragon flame bomb he says and shoots red hot flames that was in the form of a dragon at Gaara. Another wall of sand appears in front of Gaara while the flames hit the sand, turning it into glass. Naruto then sheathes his sword, jumps into the air and performs more hand seals. Suiton. Teppadama, water release. Water bullets. He says and fires 3 water bullets from above Gaara's head, but again the sand protects him. Naruto lands and backflips a couple of times to avoid being crushes and continues to fire water bullets at Gaara, who starts to get bored at him firing water bullets at him. Naruto performs a few more seals and yells out. Suiton. Suaikuryuiden, water release. Water hydra missile. He says and focuses his chakra into the ground. The ground trembles and suddenly, a large amount of water heads rises from the ground and morphs into a herta with glowing red eyes and it hisses at Gaara before charging at the red head. A dome of sand surrounds him and when the water hydra makes contact, it explodes into water and soaks the field. Sarutobi's eyes widen in amazement when he saw the technique. In the stands, the genin saw this and their jaws dropped. Sasuke grits his teeth in frustration because he wasn't able to copy it for some reason. Damn it, why can't I copy the jutsu? He thought furiously while Kakashi wondered how could he do a jutsu with his level of chakra control. Wow, what an asshole. When the water dissolves, Naruto sees the sand drop and Gaara was unharmed. Is that it, Uzumaki? I expected more from you. He says and holds his hand out to have his sand constrict, but when the sand rises it falls back down. Gaara's eyes widen in shock. What the, he says and tries again only for it to do the same thing. Naruto chuckles and speaks up. You should know, Gaara, that when sand makes contacts with water it becomes soluble and results in becoming clump of mud. Its weakness is water and it needs to be dry in order to move freely, but that also means. He starts to say, but he then appears beside Gaara, delivering a jaw-shattering punch to his face and send Gaara flying into the wall, resulting in a crater appearing on a wall and Gaara falling to the ground groaning while his face cracked and pieces of sand fell from his face. You're nothing more than a sandbag waiting to get ripped apart. I know about your sand armor being stronger than steel, but I wonder. Can you keep it intact? He says and charges at Gaara, who growls out and sends a wave of dry sand at Naruto, who leaps over it and shoots out a jet stream of water from his mouth, making the sand soggy and then fires a second stream at Gaara's. Suna no Yoroi, sand armor. The water makes contact with Gaara's armor which turns dark brown and he struggles to sit up because the water made it heavy. Here's another chemistry lesson, Gaara. What do you get when you add wet moldy sand with lightning? He asks as he focuses yellow lightning chakra into both hands and places them on the wet sand. You get a French fried redeed. Raiten. Raikou Nagashi, lightning release. Lightning current. He yells out and a huge current of electricity spreads throughout the ground. Gaara screamed in pain as Naruto sent the currents to the gourd on his back and electricity coursed through the Tsunade Jinchuriki's body. The boy fell to the ground, panting with smoke rising out of certain parts of his body. Naruto watches as Gaara starts to get up slowly and glare at Naruto. I will not lose. I will prove my existence. He says and his chakra spikes while Naruto curses. He then appears in front of Gaara and grabs the Chunin by the throat. Sorry Gaara, but I can't let you endanger the lives of these people. He says and adds pressure to the Redeed's neck, causing Gaara to struggle for air and he says and his fingertips on his right hand glow yellow. It's over, Gaara. Gajo Fuin. He cries out and slams his hand into Gaara's stomach, causing the sand user to cry out in pain and then enter the world of darkness. And cut. I told you guys this chapter would be longer. Also, here's the women that can be added to the harem, but only 6 can be in it. Mei and Caillou, Fem. Kyuubi are in it, so now 4 more can be added. Chapter 3. Promotion, Family, and Fight. Gaara's unconscious form falls over, but the blonde catches him in his arm. Maybe now you can regain what you lost, Sabaku no Gaara. He says and sets the Suna down gently. He then lets out a sigh of relief and wipes a bead of sweat from his brow. Man, that was close. I need to work on that Suiton jutsu though. It took too long for me to pull that water from the ground. Naruto says and stretches his arms. Again, everyone was shocked that Naruto beat someone even Lee couldn't beat. Orochimaru was seething at the fact that this boy had ruined his plans. Naruto looks at Genma and speaks up. Well, are you gonna call the match? He asks and Genma nods. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. He says while the blonde does a victory sign while grinning. Mei was smiling as was Sarutobi. Well done, Naruto. Your parents would be proud. He said quietly. That was when the crowd cheered very loudly. Kiba jumped up shouting. Woo-oh. Alright, Naruto. The Inuzuka cried out. Choji's eyes were wide and Ino's mouth was hanging open. Unbelievable. Naruto just beat Neji and that Gar guy. She said while Choji nods. Yosh. Naruto's flames of youth were amazing. He yells out while Lee was happy yet a little jealous that Naruto had beaten his rival and the kid from Suna. Sasuke was pissed beyond belief that Naruto, the dead last, had beaten someone of Gaara's level, and what frustrated him even more was that he couldn't copy his jutsu. Why couldn't I copy his jutsu? How could the Dobe, the dead last of the academy, get so strong? I should have that power. I need it more than he does. Sasuke rants into his mind while Kakashi wondered who trained Naruto and where he learned that water jutsu from. He'll just ask him and have him teach Sasuke that move. Wow, what a jerk. Sakura thought she was dreaming that the baka on their team beat that monster. There's no way Naruto's that strong. This has to be a trick. She says to herself. Izumo and Kitetsu were smirking. Damn. First he beats Neji like a rag doll and then he beats the kid from Suna. The kid has come a long way. He should be promoted to Chunin after this. Izumo says while Kitetsu snorts. Chunin? The kid should be a Takebetsu Jonin. His strategy and tactics were at least mid-Jounin level as was his stealth. Hell, he even hinged himself into a Fuma Shuriken and Kawaramite with a Mizubushin. That takes a lot of skill to pull off. Kitetsu said. Naruto was about to walk back to the ring until a white-haired man wearing a kabuki outfit appeared in front of Naruto with a grin on his face. Yogaki, that was one hell of a match. He said while the blonde smirked. Thanks, sensei. He says while a deadpan look appears on Jiraiya's face. Something tells me that this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. He says while Naruto frowns at him. Yes it is, you should know why. He says while Jiraiya groans. Damn it Gaki, are you still mad at what happened? He asks with a peeved look on his face. You bet your perverted books I'm still mad, Iro Sennin. You walked in on Mei-chan when she was in her underwear. He yells at his godfather while everyone sweat drops at this. Mei however tilted her hat down to hide the blush on her face while Hiruzen looks at Mei and a smirk appears on his face. Care to explain Mizukage Dono? He whispers. Shut up you old monkey. She mumbles while Hiruzen chuckles. Damn it Gaki, how many times do I have to tell you that I thought you were in the room? He yells in his face. I told you I was in the room on the right side, not left, Gama baka. He yells back. I am not a baka, you blonde-haired brat. No. You're a superhero baka who needs to get his brain checked. Naruto yells back. What did you say? He yells. You heard me, or are you deaf too? He yells back and they growl at each other. Ino blinks at the scene and then speaks. Who's he? She asks and Guy speaks up. That is Jiraiya, the Gama Sennin who was taught by the Sandame, along with Tsunade-sama and Orochimaru. Jiraiya-sama was also the one who trained the Yondaime Hokage. He may look odd, but he's as strong as a cage. He says in a serious tone. Sasuke frowns and clenches his fist. How the hell does the dope know him? He snarled while Guy ignored his attitude but answers. Who knows? He says, Orochimaru eyes narrow in frustration at the situation. God damn it, Jiraiya is here too. It's bad enough that the Mizukage is here, but now that fool is here too. Curses. Just you wait, Sarutobi, I will kill you one of these days. He thought. Genma coughs so that he can get their attention. Not to be rude or anything Jiraiya-sama, but we still need to continue the matches. He says while Jiraiya rubs the back of his head and grins sheepishly. Sorry about that. He then picks up Gaara's unconscious form and looks at Naruto. I'll deal with fixing up the kid seal. He says and vanishes with a container of Shukaku. Himari had just came down from the stairs and then says. I forfeit Proctor. This is one match I know I can't win due to the fact that you beat my brother. She says while Naruto grins. Oh come now Temari-chan. I won't rough you up that much unless you want me to. He says while wiggling his eyebrow while the blonde Kunoichi was blushing and looking at the ground. You pervert. She mumbles while he snickers at her. Winner of the Chunin exams, Naruto Uzumaki. Genma says getting a loud cheer from the crowd. Naruto smirks while wondering about the irony that he, the village pariah, was now gaining respect from the people who used to despise him. I'm proud of you Naruto-kun. Looks like I'll have to reward you for winning. She says in a husky tone while Naruto blushes and Kaio giggles. Meanwhile the Hokage, Mizukage and Kazekage appeared on the field as do the Genin, minus Gaara, who stand before the three cages. Thank you all for participating in this exam, now will the following please approach me as I call them. Sabaku no Temari, Shikamaru Nara and Naruto Uzumaki. He says. Sasuke frowned and brooded that his name wasn't called and the dead last's was. The three called stepped forward. Temari had a small smile, Shikamaru had a lazy look and Naruto had a large grin on his face. Mei had to hold in hers while Sarutobi spoke up. You three have shown extraordinary skills in tactical expertise, strategy, cunning and trickery, also used a terrain to your advantage, then exploited your opponent's weaknesses. Therefore it is my honor and pride to dub you three as Chunin. Congratulations. He said. Mei handed them their certificates and their flak jackets, and she shook each one of their hands in respect. Naruto winked at Mei, who also winks back at him. Now to the rest of you, don't give up and try to do better next time. This concludes the Chunin exams, we will see all of you in 2 years. He says. The people who came leave from their seats while Shikamaru groans. Troublesome. Now I have to do more work. He says while Naruto smirks. It's either that or deal with your mom, and if I remember, she knocked you and your dad out of the house with a frying pan because you left the deer's pen open. He says while the Nara pales. Say, didn't Yoshino-san put you in a coma because you ate one of her pastries? He asks while the Naruto twitches. How should I know? I had amnesia when I woke up from being in it for 2 days. He said while Naruto blinks at him for a while. Dude, it wasn't for 2 days, it was for a week. He says while Shikamaru raises an eyebrow at him. And how would you know? He asks and Naruto snickers. I was there when it happened. I was helping your mom clean deer antlers. He says while the Nara walks away mumbling about blondes being too smart and moms with short fuses. Naruto saw Temari walk up to him and speak. I still can't believe you beat Gaara like that. She said while Naruto smiles at the blonde. You sound like you were worried about me, Temari-chan. He says while she crosses her arms against her chest smirking. Yeah, I was fearing for your life. Anyway, what happened to you? You went from a loudmouth shrimp to a hot blonde. She asks while he rubbed the back of his head. Well, he started to say until he heard Sakura screech out his name. Let's take this to the medical ward. Hiro-senin should be done with your brother's new seal. He says and wraps an arm around her waist, making her blush as they Mizu shunshins to the ward to avoid the Banshee and the Brooder. Medical ward. Jiraiya wipes the sweat that was on his head with his arms, finally finishing making Gaara's new seal. Naruto appears with Temari behind the sage, who turns around and to see his godson. Hey Gaki, who's she? He asks and Temari steps forward. I'm Sabaku no Temari. The daughter of the Kazukiage and Gaara's older sister. Is he alright? She asks with concern and walks over to her sleeping brother and panics. Why is he sleeping? If he falls asleep the Shukaku will, she cries out, but Jiraiya places an arm on her shoulder. Relax, I already knew about his sleeping problem. Don't worry, Shukaku won't be bothering him at all. He says and gets up and pops his back. Well, I'm off to get a little R&R, Naruto. I'll see you later. Ja. He says and disappears in a puff of smoke. Gaara slowly opens his eyes and sees Temari looking at him with a concerned look on her face. Kankuro had walked in and Naruto explained what happened. Temari? He asks while she reaches for his hand and places it in hers. The Redeed freezes up at first, but when he sees the look of hurt in her eyes, he relaxes, getting a small smile from her. Gaara, I'm glad you're not hurt. She says while Gaara looks around and sees Naruto leaned against the wall. Why didn't you kill me, Uzumaki? I failed to prove my existence. I don't deserve to live. Gaara says while a saddened expression appears on Temari's face. Naruto sighs and gets off the wall. Simple, Gaara. 1. Your life was similar to mine, and 2. I didn't want to break your sister's heart. He replied, making Gaara's eye widen. What do you mean? He asks. I'm a container just like you, Gaara. I know what it's like to live a life of hell, but the only difference was that I gained people who cared for me while you were left alone. Am I right? He asks while Gaara just looks at him. You've suffered your whole life, didn't you? No one to care for you or become your friend. You were declared as a monster and abomination by your own people, weren't you? Gaara's eyes widened even more. I would have ended like you if I hadn't met them. Saruoji, Choji, Shikamaru, Kiba, Akamaru, Mei-chan, Iro Kyofu, Haruka-sensei, the Ichirakus, Kayu-chan. They saved me from my life of hell. His hair covers his eyes and he talks in a low tone. They are my precious people, Gaara, and I won't let you or anyone else, whether they're comrades or not, harm them. If you try to harm them, I'll stop you. He then looks at the Sunanin with cold slitted eyes. And if have to kill you to protect them, I will. He says, getting a shocked look from Gaara. Why? Why go so far for them? He asks because he was still confused, and Naruto's gaze softens, because they're the ones who give me strength. As long as I have them by my side, I can accomplish anything. Gaara, you may not think it, but Temari and Kankuro care about you. They're your family and they want to be there for you, but unless you stop being so cold and distant from them, you'll end up losing them. Naruto says while Gaara looks over at Temari and Kakuro, who look back at their little brother with sympathy in their eyes. Temari increases her grip on Gaara's hand a little, and her eyes become glassy. Don't push them away, Gaara, let them in, and I promise that you won't regret it. He says while Gaara thinks about what he said. So he gains his strength from people who are important to him, huh? Perhaps I can too. I may not have as many people as he does, but at least I have Kankuro and Temari. Maybe I'll gain more in the future. Naruto Uzumaki. Thank you. He says and looks at his siblings. Kankuro, Temari, I'm sorry. He says. Tears form around Temari's eyes and she lets go of his hand and pulls her brother into a hug. while sobbing quietly. Gaara's eyes widen at the hug but relaxes and rests his head on her shoulder. Kankuro walks over to them and places his hand on his sister's shoulder and on Gaara's back. "Don't sweat it, Gaara. We're family no matter what," he says. "A family, huh? I like that," he says with a true smile on his face and falls asleep on his sister's shoulder. Temari places him back down gently and then gets up and walks over to Naruto. She then hugs the blonde Chunin. "Thank you, Naruto-kun, thank you for helping my brother and bringing my family back together," she says and hugs him even tighter. Naruto blushes in embarrassment but returns it. "You're welcome, Temari-chan," he says. She lets go of him and kisses him on the cheek. Kankuro smirks at this and Naruto rubs the back of his head. "Oh, and Kankuro, do us a favor and stop wearing your sister's makeup. People might take it the wrong way and think you're gay," he says with a cheeky grin and shunshuns away, leaving a pissed Kankuro and a laughing Temari. "Stupid Gaki, it's war paint," he mumbles. Meanwhile, Mei was on the roof of the Golden Leaf Hotel and felt a pair of arms wrap around her waist. She smiles and turns her head to see a smiling Naruto who lets go of her and walks beside her, holding his hand into hers. "Congratulations on your promotion, Naruto-kun," she said while he smiles. "Thanks. I owe it all to you, my Unabara no Megami, goddess of the sea," he says while a tint of pink appears on her face and tightens her grip on his hand. "I just helped you with your training, that's all, Naruto-kun. I didn't do that much," she says but Naruto leans over and kisses her on the cheek. "Yes, you did, Mei-chan, and I'm eternally grateful for your help," he replies while she looks at him with a loving smile on her face. "Thank you, Naruto-kun. Your parents would be proud of you. I know I am. I just hope this engagement between us will turn out great. I really want this to work, Naruto-kun," she says, and he smiles at her. "It will, Mei-chan. I'm positive it'll work out. I know this seems to be rushed, but I feel like I've known you for a long time," he says and she nods in agreement. She was about to say something until he saw Kakashi appear looking at Naruto. "Naruto," Kakashi said while the blonde just gave Kakashi an icy glare that made him nervous. Mei just looks at him with a blank expression, but on the inside she was furious that this fool interrupted their moment. "What do you want, Haddock? Can't you see that I'm talking to the Mizukage right now?" he said in a cold tone, making the copy nin flinch but remain stoic. "I just came to tell," he started to say but was cut off. "I'm not interested in hearing any of your stupid ass excuses, nor do I have the patience to deal with your bullshit, so what the hell do you want?" he said, making his tone even harsher. Kakashi cringed at the sound of his voice. "Where did you learn those jutsu and where did you get those swords?" he asks while Naruto's eyes narrowed. "That's none of your fucking business," he answers while Kakashi decides to pull rank. "I ask you a question, Chunin, now answer it," he ordered, and Naruto's eyes flash red for a moment and was releasing Kai on the nin until the Mizukage placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and speaks. "I suggest you leave, Jounin. I was in the middle of having a conversation with this young man until you decided to be rude." Mei spoke up while Kakashi gave her a lazy look. "With all due respect, Mizukage Dono, I don't have to listen to you because you are not the Kage of this village," he says but instantly regrets saying it when he feels murderous intent coming from Naruto and Mei. "What the fuck are you doing, you idiot? She's a VIP in the village and you dare talk to her like she's a fucking commoner. Are you trying to get us in trouble, you dumbass?" Naruto snarled and was a few seconds from punching this idiot in the face for talking to his fiancée like that. "You shouldn't talk like that in front of the Mizukage, Naru. Shut the fuck up, you dumbass baka. I'll talk anyway. I want now, get the hell out of my sight, you trash, before I dub you as a threat to our client and have you arrested, and stop staring at her chest before I beat the shit out of you and get you demoted," the blonde yelled while Kakashi narrowed his eyes at Naruto. "What did you call me?" he says in a low tone. "I called you trash because that's what you are. I'm not gonna tell you again to leave, Haddock," Naruto growled and flexed his hands. Kakashi frowned at the blonde. "Naruto, I know you're mad that I didn't train you, but Sasuke said," but was interrupted by Mei. "Had what it took to be a shinobi and deserved to move up into the ranks. You also said that you won't waste your time with someone who can't even control his own chakra and said he didn't have any talent and shouldn't even be a ninja, did you not say that, Jounin?" Mei said while Kakashi paled when he looked at her. "How did you? I was in the hospital when I heard you neglect your student. You could have given him a scroll or a few books on how to improve his chakra since you were too lazy and stupid to help a subordinate. You know what? I bet you were hoping that the Hyuga would kill him during the finals," she said while the Jounin's eyes widen. "And no, I am very disappointed with you and I am sure the Hokage is too, since I reported to him how insensitive one of his Jounin were. He was very displeased with your actions and told me that he will deal with you accordingly," she said with a smirk on his face while Kakashi turned as white as a sheet. He was about to say something else, but Mei snaps her fingers and 4 of her personal Anbu appeared around her and Naruto with their ninjados drawn. Leave or I'll consider you a threat to my life and have my Anbu kill you. She said and Kakashi shunshuns away. Mei snaps her fingers again and the Anbu melt back under the roof. Naruto lets out a frustrating sigh and brushes his hair back. Mei sees this and wraps her arms around him and kisses him on the forehead. Are you okay Naruto-kun? Mei asks him, but he nods. Yeah, I'll be fine. I was 10 seconds from feeding that baka his own teeth. He says while Mei giggles at him. Can you believe that he was ogling you? I swear the next person who looks at you like that will be getting their eyes ripped out of their head. Only I can look at you like that. He says with a cheeky grin on his face and grabs her hand. Mei couldn't help but blush at what he says and was about to say something until an explosion was heard from the main gate, getting their attention. Mei-chan, you head to the Hokage Tower. I'll go check and see what that explosion was. He says and she nods. Okay, but be careful. She says and Naruto nods back and kisses her hand. Naruto shunshuns away. Anbu. She called out. The 4 previous Kiri Anbu appeared around her. We're heading to the Hokage Tower. She says getting a nod from her men who follow her to the Hokage Tower. At the main gate. Civilians were running away screaming while 3 three-headed snakes were hissing and demolishing buildings with their tails. Some ninja were escorting the civilians while the others tried to hold them off by throwing kunai shuriken and casting jutsu. Orochimaru and Kabuto were watching this from a tree far away. My invasion may have failed, but that doesn't mean I won't leave Konoha without giving them a farewell gift. He said with a sneer on his face. Kabuto tilts his glasses up and speaks. Should we stay and watch how this occurs Orochimaru-sama? The medical nin asks. Smirk appears on the Hibi's face. As fun as that would be, I have more important matters to attend to. And Kabuto, if you ever get the chance, kill Naruto Uzumaki. That brat has been a pain lately and I want his head mounted on my wall. He hisses out while Kabuto nods and they vanish. Meanwhile Naruto had landed on the street and saw one of the 3-headed snakes. Time to let Yama-chan out to play. He says and bites his thumb, then rolls up the sleeve on his right arm, revealing the Hydra tattoo. He smears his blood on the tattoo and slams his hands onto the ground. Fuchius no Jutsu. Yamada no Orochi. He cries out and in a huge puff of smoke, a Hydra with 8 heads and tails, silver-colored scales and a black underbelly, and 4 legs with black claws on them, appeared with her 8 tails swishing around and the 7 heads swaying back and forth. She also had 2 folded black bat-like wings on each of her sides. It was Yamada no Orochi, queen of the reptile clan and divine beast of the dragon clan. Her land form is the form of a dragon. Naruto was on the middle head while the snakes stopped causing destruction and looked up, only to tremble in fear at who they saw. Some of the ninjas saw the new summon and started to sweat bullets. Oh no, not another one. One Jounin called out, but the other one was wondering. Why isn't the snake attacking? What's it waiting for? The second one asks. Hey, isn't that Uzumaki on that snake? The third Jounin asks while the others squint his eyes. It is. But why would he summon a snake? The first one asks. That's not a snake. Said a deep voice. They turned around to see the Sandaime in his battle uniform. Sandaime-sama. If that isn't a snake then what is it? He asks while Sarutobi looks at him. That is Yamada no Orochi, the Hachibi no Akihei and ruler of the divine reptiles. He says while their eyes widen. She's a Bijuu? The Anbu with a lion mask asks. Yes, but she's a divine beast. He replies while their eyes widen. I wonder how he got that contract. Probably from Mei. He says quietly. Meanwhile one of Orochi's heads looks at Naruto. Hello, Naruto-kun. I didn't expect to have you summon me so soon. Shiroi says while Naruto looks at her with a small grin. Hey Shiroi-chan. I thought you'd like to get reacquainted with some old friends. He says pointing to the 3 snakes. Another of her heads look at the quivering forms of the snakes and an evil grin appears on her face. Well, if it isn't the triplets. I'm gonna enjoy hearing you vile worms scream. Her 7 heads let out a mighty roar, making the earth beneath them shake. She then walks towards the trembling snakes and then she spreads her large wings and takes off into the sky. Whoa. Naruto cries out and adds chakra to his feet to stop himself from falling. Sorry, Naruto-kun. She says while he lets out a sigh of relief. Don't worry, I'm fine. I didn't know you had 2 forms Shiroi-chan. Naruto says and she smiles. Yes, I have 2 forms. The one you saw in my realm was my water form. This is my land form. She says while Naruto nods. Cool. But I think your human form is way better. He says while a tint of pink appears on her face. We can flirt later fox boy, but now we have some bugs to exterminate. She says getting a nod from the blonde. Hey Naruto, get ready to perform a wind jutsu. She said and one of the heads opens its mouth and a ball of red fire appears swirling around. Naruto nods and performs a few seals and sucks in air. Futon. Mugen Tatapa, infinite great breakthrough. He then unleashes a huge gust of wind at the three snakes, while Shiroi's head shoots out a powerful red flame. Kaiten. Akuhei Hydra Flame. Yujutsu. Hinatbufu, Fusion Jutsu. Firestorm. The fire combines with the wind, creating a huge fire that moves towards the snakes at high speed, and the attack hits. The snakes cry out in pain as they were reduced to charcoal, and their forms collapse while the flames devour their bodies. Shiroi cackles with glee in her eyes when she saw the burning bodies of the snakes while landing near the rubble. The Akuhei then lowers her head down, and Naruto leaps off her head. Thanks Shiori-chan. Anytime Naruto-kun. Let's do this again. Ja. She says and disappears in a puff of smoke. Naruto sniffs the air and smells the scent of burning snake meat. You. He says while some of the Chunin and Jounin perform water jutsu to put the burning snakes out. That was when Jiraiya appeared out of nowhere grinning and pats the kid on the back. Nice bonfire Gaki. He says and the blonde looks at his godfather. Where were you Kyofu? Naruto asks while Jiraiya shrugs. Just went to swat a few flies. Anyway thanks for dealing with those snakes. I was on my to help you, but when I saw Yamada I figured you had the situation under control and let you increase your rep. He says while Naruto chuckles at the man. Thanks he started to say until he heard a voice Ho didn't want to hear. Hey dope. Sasuke yells with Sakura following behind him. Naruto smacks his head when he saw those two. Oh Kami. He mutters while Jiraiya raises an eyebrow when the Uchiha approaches him. I saw you riding on that creature and performing that jutsu. Where did you get them? He demanded. None of your business Uchiha now piss off. He says while the Uchiha frowns. I wasn't asking looser now tell me where you got that creature, those swords, and those jutsu now. He yelled Yao Baka tell Sasuke-kun where you got those at. Sakura screamed and Jiraiya winced from her voice. Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Sasuke's face and grabbed him by the collar of his shirt, shocking the Uchiha and releasing Kai on the boy. Now you listen here you jutsu stealing cock-sucking emo. He said making the brooder's eyes widen. I don't have to tell you shit. I'm a Chunin you bitch and I can have your shinobi license suspended or have you removed from the program permanently for ordering me around and the last time I checked only the Hokage can order the ninja around and you little boy are not the Hokage. Now get the fuck out of my sight before I break you in half. He said and throws the Uchiha into the street. Sasuke gets up slowly and glares at the blonde Chunin and gets ready to pull out a kunai until he felt a kunai pressed against his neck and realized that the Naruto in front of him was a clone who disperses and the real Naruto was behind him, ready to slit his throat. Attempting to attack a fellow ninja is considered a B-class felony and by all rights I can have you thrown in jail for a long time. I'm letting you off with a warning Uchiha, but if you try to do this again I will kill you. He said in dark tone while Sasuke shivered in fear. Now Genin get your sorry ass out of my sight. He said and disappears in a puff of smoke, then appears next to Jiraiya with a murderous look on his face. Sasuke decided to be smart for once and leaves. Sakura was about to yell at Naruto for threatening her Sasuke-kun until the blonde gives her an icy glare too. You leave to you slut. Go stalk your faggot of a boyfriend and suck his dick because that's all you're good for. Bait in being a slut now piss off before I hurt you. He growled. Tears well up in Sakura's eyes and she runs away from the sight. Naruto spits on the ground and then walks away with Jiraiya following him. Damn Gaki if looks could kill you and your father would win big time. Hell your mother would probably make someone like Orochimaru run away screaming like a girl. He said chuckling while Naruto smirks. That was when an Anbu appears in front of them. Uzumaki-san Jiraiya-sama, Hokage-sama and the council wish to see you. He said and vanishes again. An evil grin appears on Naruto's face and he chuckles darkly. Jiraiya sees this and backs away slowly. You got that smile on your face again Gaki. Are you thinking of doing something that is cruel and unusual? He asks and cringes when Naruto turns towards him with the same look. You bet you itcha books I do. My heritage. He says and Jiraiya also gets an evil grin on his face. Kid I knew you were dangerous, but damn. The council is so screwed when you tell them about your heritage. He said. Oh they're not screwed, they're fucked big time. He says laughing evilly as they head for the Hokage Tower. Council chambers. Naruto and Jiraiya walked inside of the room to see the civilian council, the elders, along with Danzo glaring at Naruto. The shinobi side who were made up the clan heads looked like they didn't want to be here. Okay I'm not pointing this to the shinobi side or to the Hokage, but what the fuck do you assholes want? I have better things to do than listen to you retards yell and bitch about me being the demon brat and trying to execute me. He says getting a huge glare from the civilians and elders while the shinobi side held in their laughs. Tsume let out a snort while Sarutobi coughed. You will show us some respect you brat. A civilian member yelled only to get an icy glare from the blonde and he shivered from the gaze. Shut up civilian you may be a member of this council, but you will not order me, a ninja around. Now shut your yap or I'll do it for you. He said trailing his hands on the hilt of Ryokan. The civilian gulped and shut his yap when he saw the sword. Now I'll ask again. What the fuck do you assholes want? He asks in a harsher tone. Uzumaki-san, we would like to know who trained you for the finals. Chaoza asks and Naruto smirks. By Jiraiya of course. Since I wasn't worthy of being trained by the perverted Cyclops who spends his time being the Uchiha's personal cocksucker, Sensei here saw the potential I had and decided to train me to face the fate addict. No offense Hiashi-sama, but your nephew needed had that beating coming, and I hope you don't take my insult to your clan the wrong way. He said while Hiashi nods. None taken young man. He says while Naruto nods a thanks to the man. Why would Jiraiya-sama train someone like you and not the Uchiha? He has more potential. Danzo says while Naruto snorts. Please, that brat would have died if he fought Gaara and is for potential. Please. I have more skill in my pinky finger than he does in his whole body. Naruto says wiggling his finger while the civilian council fumed. How dare you speak to Uchiha-sama like that? Who do you think you are? The Haruno councilwoman screeched making everyone wince at her voice. The one who rip your voice box out if you don't stop screaming like a damn howler monkey. Naruto yelled out while she cringes in her seat. Jiraiya, we of the council demand you train Sasuke Uchiha since you trained the demo. Himura started to say until Hiruzen glared at the man. Finish that word Himura and I'll have you executed, and also who are you to command my ninja around? Last I checked I was wearing the Hokage hat. He said releasing some kai at the frightened man. Jiraiya scoffed and folded his arms. Like I would train that spoiled brat. He can kiss my A. On second thought, I'd better start watching it because I think the brat plays for the other side. He says turning green. Jiraiya. Kaharu yells while the man blinks, giving her a look of innocence. What? He doesn't seem to be interested in girls, so he must like boys. He replies while Naruto snickers. I agree. All those fangirls that chase after him and he doesn't even look at them. I'm beginning to think he is gay. Uchiha-sama is not gay. Haruno yelled while Naruto growls at her. Didn't I tell you to shut up, you flat-chested bitch? The pink-haired woman growled at him until Sarutobi spoke up. Enough. I didn't summon you here to listen to you civilians whine, now shut up. He roared and they did. And you three don't order my ninja around unless I give you permission to do so, am I clear? He said glaring at the fools, and they nod fearing for their lives. Now I have come to announce that I will be stepping down as Hokage and I've already picked who will replace me. He said and they listened. Danzo fumed because he wanted to be Hokage, but he can't since he already competed for the title. It better not be me, sensei. I have better things to do than be a paper pusher and listen to people fight like 5-year-olds. Jiraiya said digging into his ear with his pinky finger while civilians and elders fumed at him while the shinobi side snickered. Hiruzen chuckles and says. No Jiraiya, it's not you, it's my other student. Tsunade Senju. Danzo was sweating inwardly. Tsunade was the granddaughter and grandniece of the Shadame and Nidame and was practically royalty. Tsunade-sama. She hasn't set one foot into the village since the third war ended. Inoichi said while Jiraiya smirked. Oh, I think I can convince Tsunade to return since her nephew is still alive and was lied to by certain members of this council. He said in a dark tone while the elders sweated inwardly. The clan head's eyes widen when Tsum speaks up. She has a nephew. Who is he and is he in the village? Jiraiya and Naruto smirk. You're looking at him. He says and places his hand on the Gaki's head. Tell them my full name Kyofu. He says with a dark grin on his face. The civilians looked like they were seeing the Shinigami. His full name is Naruto Namikaze Senju. He says while the civilians turn white, the elders pale, and the clan head's eyes widen. Why you mean a civilian says only for Naruto to cut him off. That's right, asshole. I'm the son of the Yonde Man Yellow Flash Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki Senju the Red Whirlpool. I guess that makes my status on par with a daimyo's. He said as his grin grew and the civilians yell out in outrage. You lie. You are not related to our cages. I refuse to believe that the demon brat is the son of the he never got the chance to finish and ended up having a blade shoved through his mouth and killed by Raiken. Naruto pulls his sword out of the now dead councilman's head and wipes the blood off with the dead man's clothes. Does anyone else want to break the Sandame's law? He asks in a cold tone making the civilians and elders cringe in their seats. I didn't think so. Also speaking of my inheritance as the last heir of the Senju and Namikaze clan, I'm demanding that the civilian council make retributions to me for treating me like shit as well as those who were under your peril. The orphanage that I was kicked out of when I was 4. I'm having the employees that treated me like crap fired and executed and it now belongs to me. The same with those who kicked me out of stores, restaurants and other markets will have their things confiscated and given to me, and the same goes with the businesses that I own under my father's name. And also the academy teachers who tried to neglect my training. They're gonna get fired and thrown in prison with their chakra sealed away forever. Failure comply with my demands will result in me taking everything you own by force and then executed. He said in a cold tone while the civilians trembled in fear. Most of their businesses did come from the Namikas, and now they were screwed. If you think my demands were merciful, just wait until Tsunade Oba-sen gets back here. I now own you bastards, and if you even think about stepping out of line, I'll kill you. He replied while Haruno frowned at the blonde. Also, why was it that my fiancé was lied to about my death, Koharu Hamura, Danzo? Naruto asks, giving the old fossils an icy cold glare. Said elders were sweating inwardly. What are you talking about? Koharu asks, only for Naruto to narrow his eyes. Don't play stupid with me, you ancient relic. I have proof that you bastards committed treason and nearly caused Konoha to go to war with another nation. He says while they gulp. Naruto then turns his head to the door. You can come in now, Mei-chan. He says, and the door opens, revealing the Mizukage walking towards Naruto. She places her hands on the sides of his face and then kisses him fully on the lips while everyone watches in shock as Naruto returns it and places an arm around her waist and pulls her closer to his body. A grin appears on Jiraiya's and Saratobi's face while the elders cursed inwardly. Kai was watching the scene while eating popcorn. This is getting good. Damn, how long can Naruto-kun and Mei hold that kiss for? She thought as they kept at it. Meanwhile, Mei and Naruto ended the kiss and smiled at her. Did you miss me, Mei-chan? Naruto asks while she smiled back. I sure did, Naruto-kun. She says in a seductive tone. He looks at everyone while keeping his arm around her waist. Everyone, this is my fiancé, Mei Terumi the Gade Mizukage, or should I say Mei Terumi Namikaze? He says. Danzo was now livid. Damn it. Now Hiruzen knows that I sent my root members to her. He thought while Saratobi smirked at the Warhawk. That's right, you fool. You can hide your drones from me, but I can now remove your 2 pawns. If you try anything, I will have you killed. The god of shinobi thought as he saw the look of fear in Danzo's face. Now that Naruto's inheritance has been revealed, he'll be receiving everything from both the Namikas and Senju clan estates. Not only that, but everything that he has demanded from certain members on this council will be given to him, and if you fail to do so, I'll have you removed from the council, your possessions taken by force and your families living on the streets. He said with a stern look on his face. Naruto and Mei grin at the civilians who were gulping in fear. They had wronged an heir who belonged to not one, but 2 clans, and they were paying the price for it. Saratobi then looks at Koharu and Hamura. And as for you two, how dare you deceive another Kage by sending a document I didn't approve of and forge my seal of approval? Do you idiots realize that an action like that would have caused a war between us? He yelled at his former teammates. We did what was necessary, Saratobi. We couldn't allow the boy to be in another village. Hamura said, not caring that he could have started a war that he was sure Konoha would win, and Koharu nodded. You and the Yondaime were being foolish and trying to make peace with a weak village like Kiri. We do not need to associate ourselves with barbarians like her. She said, glaring at the Mizukage, but they instantly regretted it when Naruto grabbed them by their throats and lifted them off their seat and near his face. Naruto's eyes were now crimson and his fangs became longer. Both elders were struggling from his grip while he tightened his hold on their necks, making them choke. How dare you talk to my fiancé like that, you pieces of shit. I should kill you both right now for all the hell you've put me and my family through, but I'm not, because I'll be hurting your grandchildren. If you value your lives, I suggest you shut up from now on, or I'll send you on a one-way trip to meet the Shinigami. Do I make myself clear? He says, making them nod in pain, and drops them on their asses. Saratobi then snaps his fingers and 4 Anbu appear. Place Koharu and Hamura under house arrest for treason and for interfering in clan and foreign affairs. You two are no longer my advisors or permitted to come to council meetings unless I say so. Be lucky Naruto is merciful, because I know Tsunade won't be when she gets her hands on you. He says while the Anbu drag the struggling elders away. Naruto, I don't doubt your power or anything, but do you think it's wise for your heritage to be known? Tsume asks while Naruto looks at her. If you're concerned about Iwa knowing, then I'm not worried. I doubt they want to start another war with us, since the last thing they need is a second yellow flash crippling their forces. He says with a smirk on his face. Plus we're allies with Kurigakure and Sunagakure, and speaking of Suna, what's going to be done about them? Naruto asks. We should wipe them off the map. They plotted an invasion with an S-class criminal who was from this village and shouldn't get away with it. Danzo said while Naruto glared at him. Shut up, you old fool. If we did that, then that'll make us look bad to the other villages. We are not barbarians, so shut up. You're annoying. He said, and Danzo glared at him with his one eye. Suna was desperate due to the loss of military power since the Wind Daimyo cut their funding and sent missions to us. Therefore, they had no choice and joined Orochimaru, who can be highly persuasive when he wants to be. Inoichi says. So to prove that they are still our allies, Suna is offering the former Kazukige's daughter to marry in a political marriage to a shinobi of our choosing. The Yamanaka finished. She should be given to the Uchiha. She is strong and will bear him powerful children. Haruno said with the civilians agreeing. You have no say in the matter, civilian. This is a matter between shinobi, not you people. Hiashi said while they fumed since their power was reduced to a minimum. Sasuke Uchiha was not the one who defeated their strongest ninja, so Temari is being given to Naruto Namikaze. Shibi Aburam says, getting a raised eyebrow from the Namikaze Senju. The Uchiha would have been killed if he faced Gaara, who is the container for the Ichibi no Tanuki Shukaku. Naruto-san knew Gaara's weakness, which was his sand, and used water and lightning jutsu to beat his attacks. He also used a Fuin jutsu that cuts him off from his Bijuu, making him weaker, so Tsunagakure didn't want to face the power of the one who beat Gaara. They're offering his sister to you, Naruto-san. Shibi says while the blonde rubs the back of his head. Oh well, as long as she agrees with it, then I'll be more than happy to accept it since I fall under the craw. I already talked to Mei-chan about it and she was okay with it. He says while the clan members nod. Since Naruto is the Mizukage's future husband and he is the only one she trusts, he should be the ambassador for us in Kiri. Shikaku says. Okay, is that all? Naruto asks until Haruno speaks up. No, we want to know why you attacked Uchiha-sama. She yelled and a vein appeared on his face. That prick demanded me, a Chunin, to tell him where I gained my techniques, and when I refuse, he tried to attack me by pulling out a kunai. So I restrained him and threatened him that if he tried something like that again I'd kill him, since attacking a comrade is a B-class felony, which would have gotten him sent to prison, and his chakra and bloodline sealed. Now shut up. And keep your slut of a daughter away from me or you'll regret it, you whore. He said, unleashing Kai at her, and she falls out of her chair and runs away. After the meeting the civilians were dismissed and the clan heads left also. Alright Gaki, let's go get my teammate. Last I heard she was in a town called Tenzakugai, so let's hurry and get back. Mei-san, would you like to accompany us so that you and Naruto can get better acquainted? Jiraiya asks with a lecherous grin on his face, but then leaps out of the window because Naruto tries to cut him in half with his Raikon. He sheathes it, mumbling Iro Senin, while Mei giggles but eeps when Naruto holds her in his arms bridal style, while the blonde grins at her surprised expression. He then looks at Sarutobi and disappears in a swirl of water. Route to Tenzakugai. Jiraiya was ahead of the others, mumbling about short-tempered blondes while rubbing the lump that was on his head. Naruto was carrying Mei in his arms bridal style while she rested her head on his chest. Naruto got a good view of her cleavage, causing a tint of pink to appear on his face. Mei saw this and moved her body a little to give him a better view. Like what you see, Naruto-kun? She asks while his eyes look the other way. Mei giggled and kissed him on the cheek. I don't mind you ogling my chest. I actually prefer if you did than your godfather. She says while he snickers. I heard that. Jiraiya says while Mei just giggles. I think it's better that I walk now, Naruto-kun. She says while Naruto shakes his head. No can do, Mei-chan. I don't want you ruining your beautiful feet on the hard and dirty ground. He says while she smiles at him. Well, aren't you sweet? But don't your arms hurt from carrying me this far? She asks while Naruto smiles and kisses her on the nose. Me get tired of carrying my tenshi. Never. I have arms of steel, Mei-chan. He says. Mei sighs and rests her head on his chest. Naruto kisses her forehead and walks up to catch up with Jiraiya. Hotel. After they checked into the hotel, Jiraiya ran off with some female who winked at him while Naruto sighs at that and he and lets Mei down. They head upstairs to the room they rented. Naruto unlocks the door and throws his backpack on the floor and Mei sets hers down also. The blonde then places his swords next to the bed and Mei removes her sandals and shin guards. Naruto sits on the bed while Mei walks over to the blonde and sits on his lap and Naruto wraps his arms around her waist. Think Jiraiya will come back anytime soon? Mei asks while Naruto shrugs. Let Iro-senin go do his research. It just means more alone time for you and me. He says and tickles her sides while she giggles and squirms in his grip. He stops and she wraps her arms around his neck and they go into a lip-locking session. Naruto moves his hand down to her exposed leg and strokes it, making Mei shiver and let out a moan when he moves his hand up and down her leg. Naruto removes his lips from hers and starts to kiss her jawline while Mei lets out a sigh. His hands explore her curved and flawless body and he makes his way to her neck. Mei moves her hand through his soft blonde and spiky hair and places her other hand on his chiseled chest. Said blonde moves back up to her jawline and then to her lips. Their make-out session continues until Naruto's eyes widen, as does Mei's. They then stop. Mei gets off his lap and they get up slowly. Mei, do you sense that? He asks and she nods. Hi, and they're close. I know one of them is familiar and has the chakra of a Jinchuriki. The other is a mystery to me. She says. The other one is Itachi Uchiha. I remember that chakra level. He killed his entire clan in one night. Naruto picks up his bag and hers. Mei places his swords on her back and puts her sandals and shin guards back on. They then slowly move towards the window and Naruto carefully opens it. The knock was heard and the blonde curses. Mei-chan, come on. He whispers. She nods and looks out the window. She then sees a platform and steps out on it. Naruto then does the same and then closes the window. Outside in the hall were two figures wearing a black cloak with red clouds. One was taller than the other. He was blue and wore a mist headband with a scratch symbol on it. He also had what seemed to be gills on the sides of his cheeks, and on his back was a man-sized sword that was wrapped up in bandages. He was Kisame Hoshigaki. Next to him was a male with raven black hair that was tied into a ponytail, and he had red eyes with 3 tomos in them. He was Itachi Uchiha. They were following Jiraiya, Naruto, and Mei so that they could capture Naruto for the Kyuubi. Itachi knocked on the door again but once more, no one answered. Kisame was getting impatient and growled. "Fuck this," he said and kicked the door off its hinges and walked in. Itachi did too and looked around for any source of chakra. He narrowed his eyes at the window for a while and spoke up. "Let's go Kisame. They're not in this room," he said and the shark nin nodded. They left out of the room to search for their target. Meanwhile, Mei had her arms around Naruto's neck while he slid down a water pipe. When Naruto's feet touched the ground, Mei let go of him and lets out a sigh of relief. "That was close. We should find Jiraiya and leave as soon as possible. I can handle Itachi, but Kisame is one person you don't want to fight. His chakra levels are on par with a Jinchuriki's and he also has a sword that eats chakra. Come on Naruto-kun. It's only a matter of time before they realize we're not in that inn," she says and he nods. He grabs her hands and leads her into the crowd of people. Meanwhile Kisame was fuming at the fact that they lost the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. "That damn kid and the Mizukage gave us the slip Itachi. What do we do now? Go after them?" Itachi closes his eyes, then reopens them. "Come Kisame. It appears that we're on a hunt," he says and the shark grins. Mei and Naruto were currently leaping from roof to roof until the blonde Chunin curses. "Shit. They already realized that we gave them the slip and are heading our way. Mei-chan, let's head to that clearing in the forest. We can't fight those guys in the town otherwise everyone here will get caught in the crossfire," he said. Mei nods and they head to the forest. Itachi and Kisame were following them and the Kirin grinned. "So they want to take this fight away from civilization, eh? I can't wait to get reacquainted with Mei. Who would have thought that she of all people would become a cage?" he said, placed his hand around the hilt of his sword. "Don't get cocky Kisame. We don't know the extent of Naruto's abilities and that could get you killed. Same goes for the Mizukage, don't get too excited," he said while Kisame grunts. "You sure know how to ruin my fun Itachi." Kisame grumbled while a small smirk appeared on Itachi's face while they increased their speed. Forest clearing. Naruto and Mei land in the clearing of the forest. Naruto throws off the backpacks and Mei tosses him Raiken and Shinken no Akuhi. Naruto places both blades on his back and cracks his neck. That's when Itachi and Kisame appeared a few feet away from them. "So you guys finally caught up. It's been a while Itachi, or should I say manga-san," he says while a small smirk appears on Itachi's face. "So you remember my Anbu ni Mei Naruto-kun? You've gotten taller," he says in monotone. The blonde smirks at this. Mei however frowns when she sees Kisame grinning and stroking the hilt of his sword with his fingers. "Why hello Mei-chan. I heard you are now the Mizukage of Kurigakure. Congratulations. How is Shijiro doing?" he asks while she scoffs at him. "He's fine, but I don't think you came all this way just to talk about the good old days, did you?" she asks, getting a chuckle from the shark man. "No, I didn't actually, we're here for the brat, so if you could just hand him over please do. I don't want to shave off that pretty face of yours," he says, showing his sharp white teeth. Mei narrows her eyes at the monster of the mist. "If you think I'll let you touch Naruto-kun then you better think twice," she says while Kisame lets out a sigh. He then removes the bandaged sword from his back and slams the blade on the ground hard, creating a small crater. "You always were the stubborn one in the group, Mei. Now I have no other choice but to use force," he says and grins evilly. "Naruto-kun, we can do this the easy way or hard way. Come with us and she won't be harmed," Itachi says, making Naruto narrow his eyes and pull out Shinken no Akuhei. "I have a better suggestion. I kill you and tuna fish over there and collect the bounties on your heads," he replies while Kisame growls at being called that name. "Watch your mouth, brat, or I'll cut off your arms and legs," he says. Itachi sighs and looks at Naruto. "Apparently I'll have to use force," Itachi says and opens his eyes fully, revealing a fully mature Sharingan. Naruto's eyes become as cold as ice and he twirls his sword around twice. "I know I can't beat you Itachi, but I can at least injure you," he says and his sword glows white. He then deals a vertical slash, creating a crescent chakra wave at the missing nin. Itachi moves to the left and charges at Naruto, pulling a katana from under his sleeve. Naruto does the same and when they meet, their blades, causing small sparks to fly. Mei pulls out a scroll and opens it, the seal on it glows, and a puff of smoke appears. Out of the scroll appears a strange looking sword that looked like a Zweihander with a red hilt, Red Queen from Devil May Cry. She grabs the hilt with her right hand and places the flat side of her sword on her shoulder. Isam chuckles while he lifts Samahata up into his. Oh ho, it appears that Samahata, Sharkskin, and Kenham, Blaze Princess, get to play again. I wonder if your Kenjutsu got any better. He says while Mei removes the flat end from her shoulder and holds the hilt with both blades. She then twists the hilt making the blade glow a reddish-orange color. I'll be then happy to show you traitor. She says in a dark tone while Kisam's grin grew even bigger and the two swordsmen charged towards each other with flames trailing from Kenham. Itachi and Naruto were engaging into a sword fight with Naruto on the defense. Itachi seems to be forcing Naruto back and then he unleashes a kick at Naruto's chest while the blonde leaps over it and land behind Itachi. He then swings at Itachi's side while the ex-Anbu captain turns and blocks it with the flat end of his sword and Naruto pushes against it with his sword. Itachi then breaks the stalemate and does a thrusting strike with his sword at Naruto's head who sidesteps but ends up getting a small cut on his cheek. Naruto growls and performs a series of slashes and thrusts at Itachi who had to increase his speed a little due to the fact that Naruto got in a few cuts and slashed at his arms and shoulders. Isam swung Samahata vertically and horizontally at Mei who ducks, sidesteps, and weaves from the attacks. She then ducks under a slash that went for her head and she performs a stabbing attack at his torso. Kisam sidesteps the move and raises his sword into the air. He brings it down and she leaps back while the sword causes another small crater. He then charges and swings at Kisam's head but the shark man blocks it with the flat end of his sword but winces when the flames from the sword scorch his left leg and right arm. Mei then jumps in the air and kicks the shark hard in the face hard, sending him skidding back a little. Kisam glares at her while blood fell from his broken nose. Kisam pushes it back in place and licks the blood off his lips. That's what I'm talking about. He says with his eyes filled with bloodlust and charges at her, increasing his speed. His sword strikes start to get faster and Mei starts to move her body faster to avoid the strikes. Kisam then brings his sword up into the air and brings it down fast. Mei blocks it using both hands on her sword but she then grunts at the strength behind it. Damn it. I forgot about his strength. I can barely hold it off. She said while gritting her teeth while Kisam grins as the tip of the sword makes its way to her left shoulder. Have you forgotten Mei? My blade Samahata doesn't cut, he says as his grin grows wider. Kisam then jerks the blade backwards while the bandages on the tip of the sword are torn apart by a bunch of sharp purple blades that extend and rip the flesh off her shoulder and some of her arm. Mei cries out in pain as the flesh on her left shoulder and arm were shaved off by a bunch of blades. It shaves the flesh from your bones. He says and cackled like a madman. Mei drops Kenham and clutches her now bleeding arm while stepping backwards. Naruto, who was pinned by Itachi to a tree from the strength of his sword, saw Mei on her knee clutching her left arm. Mei-chan. He screams out and then lets out a growl and increases his strength to push Itachi off, who was surprised by his increase of strength. Get the hell out of my way. He yells and kicks Itachi away, who lets out a grunt and Naruto leaps over the Uchiha and runs towards Kisam, who had Samahata in the air again and bites his thumb, then performs a few hand seals. This time I'll shave that face of yours off. He says and brings the blade down and Mei rolls to the side a while the sword hits the ground. Kisam smirks and does it again. Mei jumps back only for her arm to throb and she clutches it even harder. Damn it, he must have hit a nerve in my arm. She says. Kisam appears in front of her and brings the sword down on her head. Mei's eyes widen when she realizes she won't be able to make it. That was when the ground exploded and a black Komodo dragon appears out of it and opens its maw that was filled with razor-sharp teeth and snaps at Kisam's arm. The shark nin jumps back in order to avoid having his arm bitten off by the monitor lizard. Said creature hisses while green saliva dripped from his maw which hit the ground. Steam rose from the ground. Naruto appeared before Mei and helped her up. Mei-chan, are you okay? He asks, but his eyes widened when he saw the blood running down her arm. It's just a scratch, Naruto-kun. Mei says but winces again at the throbbing of her arm. Naruto growls at Kisam and draws Shinken no Akihei and adds lightning chakra to the blade. I'm gonna fucking kill you, you overgrown sushi roll. He says while the swordsman of the mist grin and steps forward. Go ahead and try, brat. I'll shave you and that little girl apart. He says but watches the dragon whose hissing got louder. Itachi appears before Kisam but then his eyes narrow when he senses another chakra level which was very powerful. Kisam, we must leave. Jiraiya is on his way and you know we're no match for him. He says while Kisam growls in frustration but sighs. Damn it, just when things were getting interesting. You were lucky, Mei, but next time I'll shave off your face. He says while Naruto's eyes become crimson. Try it and I'll you into chum, you fucking mackerel. He says in a demonic tone while the shark man chuckles. Sorry kid, but you're 10 years from being on my level. he says, and they leap away when a long pink tongue comes at them, but then retracts into a horse-sized toad that leaps and lands near Naruto, and Mei Jiraiya then appears near the toad and looks around for Itachi and kiss him, and then sighs. He sees Naruto with a first aid kit opened and was healing Mei's left shoulder and arm with green chakra. The black Komodo dragon dispels and Naruto then pulls out some disinfect and sprays it on Mei's shoulder and arm while she bites her lower lip from the steaming. He then pulls out some bandage wrap and starts to wrap it around the end of her shoulder and down to her forearm. "Let me know if it's too tight, Mei-chan," he says, getting a nod from his future bride. After he was done, she rips off the sleeve of her arm and throws it away. "Thanks, Naruto-kun," she says, and then gets up to retrieve Kenhim. She then seals it back up into the same scroll and walks back to the others. "Where the hell have you been, Niro-senin?" Naruto asks while Jiraiya looks at him. "Hey, now I was on my way, Gaki. I can't help it if I'm not as fast as I was in my prime," he says while crossing his arms. "Just be glad I showed up," he says while Naruto sprout witches and sighs. "That's not the point. Mei-chan got hurt because you were taking your precious time," he said while a tick mark appeared on his head. "She's a cage for Kami's sake, brat, not a weakling. She could have handled those two on her own if she wanted. It's possible she underestimated Kisame and slipped," he says. Naruto was about to speak up at his words until Mei places a hand on his shoulder. "He's right, Naruto, I did let my guards down for underestimating my former comrade and it could have cost me my life. I'm sorry if I worried you," she says while Naruto grabs her hand and strokes it. "It's okay, Mei-chan. Just try to be more careful, alright?" Naruto said, getting a nod from her. "Alright, let's get going. We should be in Tenzakugai after we leave town. Tsunade won't stay there for long," Jiraiya says, and they head off to Tenzakugai to find the next Hokage. The Namikaze and the Water Goddess. Hey guys, it's me N09 with another chapter for the Namikaze and the Water Goddess. Once again I apologize for the late updates, but I've been busy with real life. Also, here are the final girls who will be in the harem, and they are Tamari, Tenten, Koyuki, Akfem Kagaya, Yujito, Fem, Yamada, Shizune, and Yuigao. Hope you like the selections because that is all that'll be added. Now on with the chapter. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or anything affiliated with the other anime games, but I do own the jutsu I create. Chapter 4. Relatives, Bets, and the Snake. Naruto, Mei and Jiraiya were currently in Tenzakugai and walking through the busy streets. "So Kaiufu. I heard that my Oba-sen was considered to be the best medic in the elemental countries. What else do you know about here?" he asks, and Mei was wondering too since she heard about how powerful Tsunade was from her parents and always wanted to meet her in person. Jiraiya thinks about it and speaks up. "Well, aside from being known for her awesome skills in medical jutsu and being the granddaughter and grandniece of the first and second Hokage, she's also known to be very strong. She can smash a boulder with a tap of her finger and cause earthquakes with a click of her heel. The last time I saw her go all out, she demolished a mountain with her entire fist," he answered, causing Naruto's and Mei's eyes to widen. "Whoa. She can do that. Man, I can wait to meet her," the blonde says. "She also goes by another name, Naruto," Jiraiya says. "Oh. And what is that?" he asks. "She's also known as the legendary sucker," he says, and laughs out loud at the shocked look on their faces. "Legendary sucker, what exactly does that insinuate, Kaiufu? Because if it's in a perverted manner, then I'll," Naruto says as his brow twitched. Jiraiya looks at the look on his face and rolls his eyes. "No, not in that way, Gaki. What I meant was that she sucks at gambling. I mean seriously, she has a debt that's the size of the Hokage mountain," he states, and Naruto face faults but gets back up. "No way. No one's luck can be that bad," Naruto yells, but Jiraiya grins. "Sorry kid, but it's true. Her luck is so terrible that she even lost a bet to an 8-year-old," he states, and Naruto's jaw drop. "Please Kami, don't let that trait get passed on to me," he mumbles, and Jiraiya laughs out loud at that. "Oh, don't worry, Gaki. Tsunade's luck at gambling is a once-in-a-lifetime curse. You on the other hand have the luck of the fox," he states, and Naruto rolls his eyes. "Just because I'm affiliated with a fox doesn't make me one," he says, and Jiraiya shrugs. "Anyways, how are your skills in Mokuton going?" he asks his godson. "Not as far as I hoped. I can still grow trees, but it takes a lot of chakra to grow an adult-sized one. Right now I can at least use roots, vines, and branches from the trees and other plant life," he answers, and Jiraiya nods. "Mei-chan helped me with some of my lava-based jutsu. Say, how did I gain Yoten anyway?" he asks Jiraiya, who grins, and Mei wonders also because only members of her clan had lava and boil release. "Well, apparently Hashirama's and Tobirama's father Genryusai Senju had a high affinity for both fire and earth, and he combined them to gain Yoten. Not much is known about the man since he died during the beginning of the clan wars back then, but from the Senju clan history books his abilities with Jotun was so great that he can make volcanoes erupt to force of will and can even create small volcanic islands with his fused affinity alone. He answered, causing Mei and Naruto to gawk at him. Holy crap, that sounds awesome. To be able to create an island using chakra alone. Hopefully when I'm good enough with my Jotun I can pull that off. Then I can make it into a private resort for me, Mei-chan, Tamari-chan, and any other girl who wishes to help me revive my clans. He says in a thinking pose while Jiraiya, who was inwardly crying because of Naruto getting to have a harem to revive his clan and wondered why he couldn't have that luck. Mei was blushing at the thought of having a private island with her future husband and spoke up. Speaking of reviving clans, Naruto, how many females do you plan on having join your clan? She asks and he looks at her. Well, there isn't a total but no more than 10. Why? He asks her. Oh. Well, so that you know if anyone is going to bear your first child or take your innocence, it's gonna be me. She says with a cheeky grin on her face, and Naruto almost trips over his feet and Jiraiya started to giggle pervertedly. She then wraps her arms around his neck and presses her assets against his back. But since we can't have kids yet, that doesn't mean we can't have any fun while waiting for that, right, Naruto-kun? She whispers into his ear, making him blush at what she meant. Why yeah. He says while Jiraiya slowly reaches for his notebook. Hiro-sensei, if you value your manhood you will not pull that pad out. Naruto speaks out and Jiraiya slumps his shoulders. Aw, come on Gaki. Do you have any idea how fast my research will go? I'll even name the title after you. I'll call it The Prince and His Water Goddess. He states in Mei's brow twitches. What do you value more, Jiraiya-sama? Your research or your life as a male? She asks in a sweet yet dangerous tone as she held Naruto closer to her body and the man shivers at the dark aura surrounding her. Why is it that I get in trouble being a pervert and Naruto doesn't? He says, walking away and slowly dragging his feet, but ends up getting hit in the back of his head by the sheath of Ryokan. I'm not a pervert, Irobaka. Naruto yells out while a lump appears on Jiraiya's head. Mei smirks while Jiraiya rubs the lump he had. She giggles and then releases her future husband when 4 of her Anbu appear and sighs. Well, Naruto-kun, I have to be going now. She says, and Naruto looks at the Anbu and blinks. Do you have to? I really want you to meet my Oba-san. He says, and a sad smile appears on her face. I know I want to also, but I also have a village to run just like Sarutobi-sama does. Don't worry, I'll be safe and you can visit me whenever you like and send me letters via summoning or shadow clone. She says and walks over to kiss him on the lips and he deepens it before releasing it. She then backs away from Naruto and waves at him before all 5 mist ninmizu shunshin away. That was when a thundercloud appeared on his head and his shoulders slumped while he cried in I'm tears. I miss her already. He sobs out while Jiraiya falls on the ground laughing his ass off. Oh Kami, this is rich. Minato acted the same way when Kushina went on a 2-week mission to River Country. I've never seen someone sulk so much in my life. He says while Naruto glares at his godfather and looks away again. Flashback. Jiraiya was trying to hold in a laugh as he saw Minato pestering Kushina, who had a tick mark on her face as she and her team got ready to leave. So you have everything right, Kushina-chan? He asks while her vein throbbed, making the Anbu sweat drop at how the two were acting. Yes. She answered. Extra clothes? Yes. Extra food? Yes. Extra weapons? Yes. She growled out as more veins appeared on her head. What about extra raiment caused? If you want I can go. For Kami's sake, Minato, I have everything now, stop being such a worrywart, it's annoying. She yelled out, performing the demon head jutsu and yelling at his chibi form while Jiraiya snorted and covered his mouth. But. No buts, damn it. Seriously Minato, I'm going on a 2-week scouting mission, so stop worrying over me. She says and huffs while folding her arms until Minato cupped his hands into hers and an tears fell from his face. But I'll miss you, Kushina-chan. He blubbered out and Kushina's whole face turned red in embarrassment and her colleague snickered. I haven't even left yet, you idiot, and stop making a scene, you're embarrassing me. She yelled. After that, Kushina and the Anbu left out of gate while Minato was on his knees crying. I miss you already, Kushina-chan. He bawled out and Jiraiya busted out laughing and rolling around the ground clutching his sides. Kushina hears this and shakes her fist in anger and embarrassment and lets out a frustrating sigh. For the love of Kami, he's such a baby. She mutters. Flashback ends. Jiraiya couldn't help but think that this was similar in a way. Man, oh man, if old age doesn't kill me, then my fits of laughter will. Honestly Gaki, your father was a big baby when it came to your mother. You should have seen what your old man did to Fugaku when he tried to make the moves on your mom. Poor bastard was in the hospital for a month. I wonder what would happen if his son tried to pull a fast one on your fiancé. He says until Naruto gets out of his funk and his eyes were glowing red. If that team even thinks of touching my Mei-chan, I'll rip those fucking eyes out of his head, tear his beads off and shove them down his throat and throw him into a gay bar. He yells out and Jiraiya sweat drops. Yep, just like Minato. He says as his sweat drop got bigger when he saw the kanji for death hovering over Naruto's head and could have sworn he saw the faint image of the Shinigami hovering over his godson. Alright Gaki, we wasted enough time, so let's go and find. Run. Run away. That monster destroyed the castle. A civilian cried as he and some others ran past Naruto and Jiraiya. The two blinked on confusion. Monster. What the heck is he? Naruto starts to say until his eyes widen as he catches a whiff of what smelled like snakes. Kaifu. I smell a snake coming from that direction, and it's not that Proctor's scent from the Chunin exam. It's stronger and there's two of them. He says. So Orochimaru is close by. Let's go check it out Gaki. He says and Naruto nods while they head to the ruined castle. Destroyed castle. Naruto and Jiraiya appeared in the location of the destroyed castle and looked around. Yeah, this was Orochimaru's doing. Jiraiya says as he looks at the rubble. Naruto's eyes narrow. Guh. This place practically reeks of snake. But there's something else, it's not that strong, but I also got the scent of medicine, sake, and money. He answered. Jiraiya's eyes widen when he said that. Tsunade was here also. He says. Do you think there was a fight between them? He asks and the Toad-san and shakes his head. I doubt it. Tsunade is one person you don't want to corner, and if there was a fight, this castle wouldn't be the only thing that was leveled. Trust me, I know. He states and Naruto nods. Now one thing remains, what the hell does that snake want with her? He asks and Jiraiya HMMS. Local bar. Tsunade was sitting at a table with a worried Shizune and Taunton drinking sake, wondering if she should take Orochimaru's offer. She then lets out a sigh and looks at her image in the sake bottle. Can this day get any worse? She asks herself. Meanwhile, Naruto was walking behind a sobbing Jiraiya with a vein throbbing on his head. You are a pain in the ass, you know that. I turn my back for a few seconds and you end up flirting with a bunch of hookers. Are you trying to catch a case or are you desperate in getting Lady Rokaifu? Naruto asks while the pervert turned around and glared at his new apprentice. Shut up. They were perfect for my research and you ruined it. He yelled, but the winced when Naruto threw a pebble directly at his forehead. Baka. They were going to rob you. For Kami's sake, can you think with the head on your shoulders and not the one between your legs for once? In case you forgot, we have a mission to do in finding Saruoji's successor. Naruto said. Jiraiya's brow twitches and huffs. Killjoy. Always got to ruin my fun. What's the rush Gaki? You got her scent right? He asks. Yes I do, but it's close to being faint. You know if she runs away we'll lose her, and I'm not explaining to Saruoji why we lost my aunt. He said glaring at Jiraiya who was laughing nervously. Okay, no more slacking off. He says and then sees a bar. Hey, let's head to that bar and grab a bite. Hopefully someone in there will have some info on Tsunade's location. He said with a grin on his face and Naruto groans. I give up. Fine, let's grab some food and hurry and no flirting with women. He emphasized and the man's shoulders slumped while they head into the bar. Jiraiya was the first to enter and saw a few people eating, drinking, or chatting. Naruto walked in and winced while his nose twitched. Man, this place reeks of alcohol. Are you positive that bars are a good place for information? He asks. Of course I'm sure Gaki, in case you forgot I am, he says, but then pauses when he sees his old teammate sitting with a black-haired woman and a pig. Tsunade tilts her head and sees Jiraiya. She says as she squints her eyes and sees a white-haired man and a blonde kid. Naruto blinks and waves his hand in front of his dazed godfather. Oi Kaifu, are you okay? He asks. Tsunade, I found you. He yells, pointing his fingers at the wide-eyed woman, and Naruto jumps back in shock but then turned his head to see a blonde-haired woman. Jiraiya. What the heck are you doing here? She asks demanded. Naruto's eyes widen and looks at her. That's my aunt. She looks like she's in her 30s. Heck, her chest is bigger than Mei and Kaio-chan's. He ranted in his mind. The two then sat down with Tsunade and her apprentice, who was looking nervous while Naruto and Jiraiya missed it. Well, it's been a long time since we saw each other, Haim. He says while said Senju scoffs. Please Jiraiya. I know you didn't come here for old time's sakes, and who's the blonde Gaki? I thought you stopped taking students after Minato died. She stated and the man laughed lightly. You're right, I didn't come here on a social call, and as for the Gaki, he should seem familiar to you of all people. He answers. Tsunade raises an eyebrow and looks at the blonde. Can't say I have seen him before, so what do you want? Jiraiya rubs the back of his head and speaks. Well, Tsunade, our sensei has realized that he can no longer keep up the role as Hokage like he used to back then and has named his successor since Minato died 14 years ago. He wants you Tsunade to become the Goddamn Hokage of Konoha. He explained. Tsunade had a blank expression on her face and then looked down at her cup full of sake. No. I will not become the Hokage of Konoha. she said in a flat tone, shocking everyone. The title of Hokage is shit and is only good for one thing: getting killed, especially for those who want to become Hokage. She replied. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the woman who was supposed to be his aunt and they become slitted. Jiraiya sighs and rubs his head. You've definitely changed, Tsunade. What would your grandfather and granduncles say if they heard you saying this? He asks in a solemn tone while Tsunade scoffs. Frankly, I don't care since they're both dead because of that stupid title. Minato died young because he was foolish enough to give his life for the village, and because of him, I lost the last bit of family I had in this world. Go tell that old monkey to find another fool to take job, because like I said, only a fool would want to be Hokage. She said. That was when Naruto started to chuckle and Tsunade heard it. You find something funny, Gaki? She asks. Yes, I do. I find it funny that the strongest kunoichi in the elementals is nothing more than weak and pathetic crybaby who blames her sorrow and misery on her own deceased family and the one man who thought of her as a daughter. I don't why I got so excited in meeting you when you're nothing more than shell of your former self. He says while Tsunade glares at Naruto. You've got a lot of nerve talking to me like that, brat. Who the hell do you think you are? She growled out, only for Naruto's expression to change from humorous to pissed and his eyes were cold and slitted. Oh, so now that I pissed you off with the truth you won't get all high and mighty, huh? And who do you think you are calling the Hokages fools just because they gave their lives to protect something they cherished? Naruto says, standing up and slamming his fist on the table, rattling the food that was on it and leaving an imprint of his fist on it. I don't care what your fucking problem is, you old bat, but don't you dare blame Saruoji for your losses. You need to stop wallowing in self-pity and grow the fuck up. You don't see him or Jiraiya-sensei blaming Konoha for losing people they care about. He yelled, making the Senju's eyes widen at what he said. Jiraiya was impressed but worried for his godson's well-being. This Gaki has balls of steel to talk to the strongest female in the elementals like that. I don't know if I should be impressed or worried for his well-being. He thought until Tsunade stood up and gave Naruto a look that would scare even Orochimaru. That's it. You and me outside. I'm gonna teach you a lesson in respecting your superiors, brat. She yells and Naruto smirks. Fine. Let's settle this outside. He says while they head outside. Outside the bar. Tsunade was standing a couple of feet away from Naruto while Jiraiya and a worried Shizune and Toten were watching. Don't you think we should stop this, Jiraiya-sama? The brunette asks while Jiraiya smirks. Don't worry, Shizune, he may be young, but he didn't become a Chunin for nothing. If Tsunade was smart, she wouldn't underestimate him. Tsunade holds her index finger up and directs it to Naruto. One finger is all I need to beat you, brat. She says with an arrogant tone. Man, and I thought Neji and Sasuke team were arrogant. Is arrogance a disease that spreads in Konoha? He thought while he cracks his neck. You shouldn't underestimate me just because I'm a recently promoted Chunin. It could get you killed. He says and pulls a kunai out of his sleeve and flings it at Tsunade. The legendary medic tilts her head to the side while the kunai flies past her head and sees Naruto charge towards her and a smirk appears on her face. Naruto rears his fist back and tries to punch the female Sannin in the face, but she uses her index finger and swats it away, making him lean over and his eyes widen when she brings her finger and thumb at his forehead and flicks him hard. Naruto tumbles away while she smirks. That's it. I expected more from your apprentice Jiraiya, she started to say until Naruto puffed away, making her eyes widen. Page Bushin. Impossible. No Chunin should have that much chakra to pull that. She thought. Her senses kicked in and she leaped away from the ground and saw two pair of hands appear from the ground and then Naruto popped up from the ground. He then smirks and once again puffs away. Naruto appears behind her with his fist cocked back and swings it at her face. Tsunade manages to grab his fist with her hand and tosses him over her shoulder. He flips in midair and lands on his feet and smirks. Looks like you lose this round, Tsunade. He says and she had a puzzled look on her face. What do you mean I lost? You haven't even got a hit in yet. She stated and Naruto chuckles. No, I didn't, but you failed to do one thing. Remember when you said your index finger was the only thing you needed to beat me? Just recently you used your whole hand to stop my punch, therefore you failed to beat me, a newly promoted Chunin. He stated like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Tsunade sputtered and points at him, but then huffs and looks at the ground. Great. Just great. When word gets out that I got outsmarted by a promoted Chunin, I'll be the laughing stock of the nations. She mumbles. Shizune was gobsmacked and Jiraiya couldn't help but smirk. Another thing, Tsunade. Naruto says and she looks up. What? She asks, still sulking at being outwitted by a 14-year-old. Who was the last bit of family you lost a long time ago? He asks. It was my distant cousin. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki and she was gonna give birth to a boy October 10th, but then the Kyuubi attacked and they both died when the hospital roof collapsed. She said in a solemn tone. And who, pray tell, told you your nephew died on the day Kyuubi attacked? Naruto asks and she clenched her fists and she looked at the ground. It was those three vultures Koharu Himura and Danzo. She growled and Naruto sighed while brushing his hair back. Figures. Those bakas have caused nothing but trouble and worse, they lied to you about his death. He says and she looks up in shock. What? Are you telling me my nephew is still alive? She asks and he nods. Yes, and he's standing in front of you. Hello, Oba-san. Naruto says and Tsunade's eyes widen as does Shizune's and Taunton's. He's Tsunade-sama's oi, nephew. She asks Jiraiya and Taunton oinks. Jiraiya nods. Yep, and my godson. Jiraiya answers and Shizune's eyes bulge from her head. Tsunade did the only thing she could do. She fainted. Naruto blinks when he sees his aunt fall over and rubs the back of his head. He then sighs and walks over to Tsunade's full form and places her on his back. Hey, you with the black hair. What's your name? He asks Tsunade's apprentice. Shizune. She answers. Shizune-san, do you two by any chance have a hotel room nearby? He asks and she nods. Yes, we do. I'll take you both there. She says and motions them to follow her. Tsunade's and Shizune's rooms. Tsunade was laying on her bed groaning as she opened her eyes to see Shizune with a concerned look on her face. Tsunade-sama, are you okay? She asks while she sat up. Shizune. Where am I? The female Senju asks. In our hotel room. You fainted when we were in the middle of the village. Shizune explained while Tsunade blinked. I fainted. I must have had too many shots of sake. Wait a minute. Where is Jiraiya and the blonde kid? She asks. Outside the room waiting for you to wake up. Should I have them come in? Shizune asks her mentor who shakes her head. Have the blonde gaki come in first. And if Jiraiya tires anything kick him in the nuts. She tells her apprentice who giggles and nods. Afterwards, she opens the door and tells Naruto to come in. Naruto walks in and closes the door behind him and then walks over to the bed and sits by the side of it. How are you feeling, Oba-san? Did you manage to get the sake out of your system yet? He asks with a cheeky grin and her brow twitches. You are definitely Kushina's kid. I haven't met anyone who has a smart mouth like hers. She says and Naruto rubs the back of his head. Yes, Saruoji said I inherited that in her temper. He says while she smiles sadly. So this whole time my oi was alive and I didn't know. Did Jiraiya know about this? She asks and he nods. He did, but whenever he tried to search for you to tell you, he'd lose your trail. That or he's been doing research on his perverted book. He says while she sighs. Yeah, that sounds like my perverted teammate. She mumbles. Naruto then finds himself being pulled into a hug and feels teardrops falling on top of his head and feels her body tremble slightly as she hugged him even closer. Naruto returns the hug and rubs her back with one hand while she sobs quietly. Jiraiya and Shizune see this through a small crack in the door and they both smile as does Taunton. After holding her nephew in her arms for a few seconds, she releases him and wipes her tears away. So Oba-san. When do you plan on meeting the white snake? He asks while her eyes widen and looks at him. How did you, she asked and he smirks. Found the demolished castle and you're sent along with his there. It's one of the perks of being a Jinchuriki. He explained and her eyes widen even more. So you're the vessel for the Kyuubi? She asks and Naruto nods. Yeah, but she's not that bad. A little cranky and sadistic, yes, but not evil like a certain Uchiha and Snake. He growled while she looks at him wondering what Uchiha he's talking about. Anyway, when do you plan on meeting that pedophile? Naruto asks. In a week. Why? She asks. That faggot shoved his fingers into my gut and summoned some snakes to attack Konoha. I could have sworn he felt me up when he cut me off of Kaiu during the Chunin exam. He says while shivering at being violated by a pedo. Tsunade's brow twitches and then smirks. Say Naruto, how would you like to make a bet? She asks and the blonde blinks. Sure, what did you have in mind? He asks. Jiraiya taught you some techniques, correct? Did he happen to teach you one of your father's jutsus? She asks and Naruto nods. Yeah, he taught me some of his personal techniques and the Rasengan. Why? He asks and she grin. How far are you in using the Rasengan? She asks and Naruto holds his right hand up and chakra swirls into a ball of spiraling and compressed energy. I finished mastering it in 2 weeks during my training for the finals and now I'm working on my own version of the jutsu by shaping it into a weapon like a shuriken and hopefully work on throwing it. I got the shape down, but throwing it is like trying walk on air. Impossible, but I'm pretty sure I'll get it done. He says while she had an odd look on her face, but then smirks. Alright then. I'll give you until the end of the week to complete this other version of the Rasengan. If you win I'll give you this. She says and holds out a necklace with a green gem on it. Naruto blinks and looks at it. What is that? He asks and she smiles. This Naruto belonged to your great-grandfather the Shadame Hokage. It's kinda like an heirloom in our clan. This alone can buy 3 mountains and a gold mine. She states and his eyes widen. What if I lose? He asks and her grin grows. You have to give up all the money in your father's vault to me. So do we have a bet? She asks. Naruto looks at her hand and grins while shaking it. You've got yourself a bet, Oba-san. He says until he see the door open and Shizune fall over, as does Jiraiya. Tsunade-sama, are you serious? What are you thinking, placing that necklace in a bet? With your nephew no less. Are trying to kill the only family you have left. She yelled while Jiraiya groans and stands up, rubbing his back. Naruto blinks and looks at his aunt for an explanation. To make a long story short, I lost Dan and Nawaki when I gave them the necklace, and it is believed that the necklace is cursed and kills people. She says while Shizune gapes like a fish. Naruto raised an eyebrow and snorts. Curses are nothing but bullshit. Just like fate and destiny. I really don't believe in that crap, so I have nothing to worry about. He answers. But Shizune stammers while Naruto gets up and walks towards the door. Oi Gaki, where are you going? Jiraiya asks and Naruto looks at him. To train. I have a bet to win and a snake's ass to kick in less than a week, so my schedule will be pretty tight. See you later, Oba-san, Shizune-san. Naruto says as he shunshuns out of the hotel. Jiraiya does the same while Shizune lets out a big sigh. Tsunade looks at the necklace and grips it. Grandfather Uncle Nawaki, Dan, I am betting your hopes and dreams on this boy, please let him succeed and prove me wrong, he's all I have left in this world. She begs in her mind while praying that Naruto does win the bet they just announce. Hey Omina, hey everyone. This is NAMIKAZE09 back with another chapter for the Namikas and the Water Goddess. I hope you loved the last chapter because this one is gonna be awesome. Also, I'm changing the harem a little. And so that you guys know, Kakashi will redeem himself for ridiculing Naruto's training and for being a jerk. Jutsu. Kaiten Hijutsu. Daiguren, original, so I get credit. Jutsu or Japanese translation. Secret fire release technique. Great Crimson Lotus. Normal speech. Was I drunk when I agreed to be a part of his crew? Scroll book author notes event titles. The Great Shinobi Wars. Demon Summoner fusion speech. Finally, I can go wild. Human thinking. Oh, shit. This is gonna cost us. Demon Summoner fusion thinking. Oi. Don't you dare ruin my fun, you hear. Disclaimer. I don't own Naruto or any other anime video game weapon, technique sect. But I do own the made-up weapons, jutsus, fighting styles act. Chapter 5. Ninja Battle Royale PT. 1. Danzakugai Forest. Naruto was panting heavily in the middle of the charred and destroyed forest. Sweat was dripping from his face as he looked at the tree that was currently demolished. Damn it. Not good enough. It needs to make a clean cut, not demolish it. He says as he straightens himself up and wipes the sweat off his face. He then sits down and crosses his legs with a peeved expression on his face. Come on, Naruto, think. You want to make the blade thin enough to the point where it can cut through its target cleanly while keeping the core balanced. Hey Kaiju-chan, do you have any suggestions? Naruto asks the vixen. You could try adding less chakra into the core, but make sure it's balanced enough to rotate and move along with the blade. The blade should have more chakra added into it so that it can be stretched out. That way, even if the person dodges the attack, the velocity and speed that the blade is going will suck that person into the vacuum and the rotating blade will tear the target apart. She explained. Naruto thought about it for a while and slapped himself on the forehead. Kami, I'm such an idiot. Why didn't I use that method sooner? He said in a frustrated voice. Simple. It's because you're blonde. Caillou said with a grin on her face, which caused Naruto to face fault and get back up looking pissed. Fuck you, Caillou. He yelled out loud while she giggled. Maybe later, Foxy-kun. She said while Naruto mumbled about horny vixens being jerks. Now that just might work. I'll give it a try tomorrow though because I am tired as hell. Naruto says as he gets up and then he performs a series of hand seals and plants them on the ground. Trees shot up and replaced the ones he destroyed and then walked away, only to see a bug-eyed and gobsmacked Shizune. Why you can use Mokuton? She asks as she pointed at the trees. Naruto smirks at her expression and nods. Yep, I've been able to do that since I was 5, but I had to keep it a secret from certain parties on the council. He said while she stared at the trees. But I thought only the Shadame could pull that off. No one else in the Senju clan was able to perform Mokuton after he died, so how were you able to pull it off? She asked. Oh, that's simple. When my roommate was sealed into me by my old man, her Yaokai caused a dormant gene for the wood-based Kekkei Genkai to activate, and when I was working on my chakra control exercises with Seruoji when I was little, I poured too much into the ground and grew a tree the size of a full-grown man. Afterwards I trained in using it in secret. He explained. Shizune snapped out of her stupor and spoke up. Look, Naruto-kun, I know you and Tsunade made a bet on the necklace, but she tried to explain, but he cut her off. And I told you that I don't believe in that superstition crap, Shizune-chan. The only person that decides when I die is either Kami-sama or me. I don't believe in stuff like fate or destiny. I make my own path and anyone that tells me otherwise can piss off. He said in a serious tone while she remained silent and took the info in. So you're not afraid to die? She asks and he shook his head. Nope. Death is a natural part of order, so I don't fear it unlike a pale-faced boy chaser we all know and hate. He said brushing his hair back and walks past her. So are you coming back to the hotel or what? Because I don't think it would be wise for a pretty lady like you to stay out at night all alone. He said. Shizune blushed when he called her pretty but shook it off and glared at him. Hey, I am not weak. I was personally trained by Tsunade-sama herself. She yelled following behind him. I never said you were Shizune-chan, but you got to remember we're not the only ninja roaming these forests. He said. Oh. She says as they made their way back to the hotel. Hotel room. Naruto kicked the door to his room open and flopped down on the bed. Ah, so soft. He said burying his head into the pillow. Shizune was about to speak up until Jiraiya popped out of nowhere with a grin on his face. Yogaki. He yelled causing Naruto to jump out of his bed and hit the ground while Shizune leapt back with a scalpel in her hand until she saw Jiraiya and put it away. Naruto groaned and got up from the ground and saw Jiraiya. What's the big idea scaring me like that, you old pervert? And where's my Oba-chan? I thought you were with her at the bar. He asks and the Toad Sage shrugs. I left not too long ago and she's still there I think. He said rubbing the back of his head and that was when he was mule kicked in the face by Naruto and sent flying out the room. Yubaka. You left my only living family member in a bar filled with drunken men. Naruto yelled until Jiraiya got into his face with 2 shoe imprints on his face. Tsunade's a grown woman, you brat, she doesn't need my protection. She's a Sannin for crying out loud. He yelled in his face. That's not the point, you pervert. As her former teammate and a man you should be looking out for her and making sure no other guy takes advantage of her, and for all we know Orochimaru or one of his goons could be spying on her. He screamed. Shizune however was watching the two arguing over Tsunade's well-being and said female Sannin appeared blinking in confusion. Hey Shizune, what's the pervert and the brat arguing about? She asks her apprentice who sighed. You unfortunately. She answered getting a confused look from Tsunade. Shizune explained the situation and Tsunade rolled her eyes but couldn't help but smile at how her nephew was being protective of her. Come on Shizune, let them argue until they pass out. She said leading her apprentice out of the room while the godfather and godson kept arguing. I swear that kid is just like his old man. Minato was the same way when it came to me and Kushina-chan. He would always fuss about how that pervert should act his age and look out for his precious people. Tsunade stated and grinned afterwards. The only difference is that the Gaki inherited his mother's temper and take no shit from anyone attitude. As she leads Shizune to the room where Taunton was sleeping, the brunette had a few doubts in her mind. Tsunade-sama, do you think Naruto-kun will be able to master his version of the Rasengan in less than a week? She asked as she sat on the bed while Tsunade thought about it but then smiled. Personally I think he will, I mean he did master the Rasengan when he was training for the Chunin exams. Jiraiya told me how he beat a prodigy from the Hyuga clan without even trying and then he beat the Jinchuriki for the Ichibi no Tanuki without using his roommate's chakra or power for that matter. Tsunade said being proud that her clan still kept up their rep as the most powerful even if she and Naruto were the only ones left. So what are you gonna do about Orochimaru and Kabuto's offer? Shizune asks. Oh don't worry, I already have an answer for that snake. She replied with a vicious smile on her face. Final day. Morning. Naruto was sprawled out on the bed snoring and scratching his chest, dreaming about Mei serving him ramen in a skimpy bikini, and that was when Shizune barged in the room panting and Naruto instantly jumped up with a Hiraishin kunai in his grasp but saw Shizune panting and lowered his stance. Hey Shizune-chan, what's up? And why are you exhausted? Shizune managed to catch her breath and spoke up. Tsunade-sama she's gone. She went back to the castle to confront Orochimaru and his second in command. She cried, which caused Naruto's eyes to widen. What? Where the hell is Iro Sennin? He asked and ran to grab his jacket, blades, and weapons. He went on ahead to catch up with her. He told me to come and get you. She explained while he finally managed to put his last Anbu boot on. Come on then. Let's hurry up and catch up with the pervert. He said as he ran towards the balcony with Shizune behind them and they leapt out of the window. Jiraiya was currently making his way towards the castle and he turns his head to see Naruto and Shizune catch up with him. Glad you two could catch up. Naruto, do you still have a good scent on Tsunade? He asked and got a nod from the blonde. Yeah, she's close along with a Hibi and someone else whose scent is kind of familiar. Naruto stated. Do you think Tsunade-sama accepted Orochimaru's offer, Jiraiya-sama? Shizune asked in a worried tone while the Toad Sage seemed skeptic. I hope not Shizune, otherwise I'll have no other choice but to kill her. He answered grimly and prayed he didn't have to do that. Well, the brunette's eyes widened in shock and she looked down, hoping it didn't have to come to that. Hey, you two don't doubt her yet. Naruto called out, getting their attention. Tsunade Oba-chan may be a heavy drinker and a terrible gambler, but to join forces with a boy Chaser. I bet you she'd rather kiss Yuro Kyofu than even accept his offer. He reasoned. Jiraiya twitched at the jab but kept his expression the same, and if you're wrong Gaki. That was when Naruto remained quiet for a while and then spoke up. I'll beat her near an inch of her life, remove whatever sake still left in her system, and drag her ass back to Konoha by her ankles. He said, cracking his knuckles. TCH. You are her nephew, alright. Now let's pick up the pace. I think I saw an explosion near the location of the castle. He ordered and they sped up. Meanwhile, Tsunade was panting a little and was trying to bash Orochimaru and Kabuto's brains inside their skulls. Knowing that the small area was a disadvantage to them, Kabuto made a suggestion to move to a more suitable location. Orochimaru agreed and let his right-hand man lead him to a large clearing. It seems that Tsunade Haim is out of breath, it might be a good time to put it to use. Orochimaru said. Kabuto took out a soldier pill and ate it as he said, although Taijutsu is not actually my forte, then he did a few hand signs and his forearms glowed blue. Chakramesu no jutsu. He said, making the slug Sannin's eyes widen. So he knows medical jutsu. Great. Tsunade thought. The med nin suddenly disappears and her eyes widened as Kabuto's hand exploded from the ground beneath her feet. She jumped into the air and slammed her fist quickly into the ground, but Kabuto managed to evade the deadly strike. Large chunks of stone surrounded the two medical ninjas and Tsunade looked to see a large stone by her foot and she kicks it at Kabuto. His kneeling form disappears from the stone's deadly path and he was now behind her in an instant while she stayed in midair. Kabuto tapped her bicep and abdomen only to leave Tsunade with an opening as she touched down on the ground. She slammed her shoulder into Kabuto's chest, making him slide back a few inches from her while she winced in pain. Ouch. Tsunade says, inspecting her arm. Damn, he cut my muscles. She thought to herself and glared at the smirking spy. That's right, I cut your bicep and abdomen muscles, so that super strength trait of yours will not be a nuisance to me anymore. He stated with his arms still glowing. Chakra scalpels. But if you have that, then why would you cut my muscles? Why aren't you aiming from my arteries? Tsunade asked, confused. Kabuto smirks and tilts his glasses up. Although my skills in the medical field are excellent, but in the midst of a battle I am not that accurate to aim for your arteries or main organs. But if I aim at your neck, it shouldn't be a problem. As he said this statement, he moved toward Tsunade. Tsunade, who thought that he was aiming at the neck, made an attempt to block it, but Kabuto performed a feint attack and aimed at her chest instead. Damn you, cough, you hit my lung, cough, I can barely breathe. Tsunade coughed. He isn't an ordinary med nin. His speed and strength exceed my own even in my prime. Kabuto shifted his glasses. It would be a bother if you were to die, so I won't aim for your neck, but after that blow you shouldn't be able to move around. He explained, but to his surprise Tsunade struck him in the neck, sending an electric jolt through his invertebrate. Damn it. I didn't hit her lungs at all. He stated and tried to get back on his feet. But something was wrong with his body functions. What the wham? Tsunade lands a punch across his face and sent him sprawling to the ground before he could figure out what was happening to his body. This isn't caused by my muscles, it's caused by my nervous system. I see that you seem to realize your problem. I converted my chakra into electricity and transferred it throughout your body. Tsunade said with a smirk on her face. Orochimaru had a smile on his face while he watched the fight. I see the nervous system runs on electricity, but Tsunade disrupted the initial flow by sending more electricity through it. Now the signals in Kabuto's body is sending to the brain cerebellum is emitting so many signals that it can't distinguish them all at once. Tsunade took advantage of the situation by healing herself while Kabuto knelt there trying to figure how to reoperate his body. Okay, if I moved my right hand, my left leg moves. If I move my left foot, my right shoulder moves. In a matter of moments, Kabuto was able to figure out how to move 60% of his body. Don't think that your level of power can defeat me. Kabuto shouted as he stood back up, much to Tsunade's surprise. What? He figured out how to control his body already? She asked, bewildered at the fact that this kid managed to get his body functions back up. You're afraid of blood, right? Kabuto asks with a maniacal gleam in his eye. I think I'll show you some now and then scatter enough of it until you feel like you're at the brink of death. He said, pulling out a kunai and charging at Tsunade, who was still trying to heal herself. Kabuto raised his blade up and tried to bring it down on her chest until a foot planted itself on the side of Kabuto's head and sent him flying backwards and towards a surprised Orochimaru and landed in between them. Tsunade looked up at her savior and saw that it was her nephew. And Naruto? She asks while the blonde turned his head and grins at her, revealing his canines. Hey Oba-chan. Why didn't you invite me to the rumble? You're not the only one who likes a good fight now and then. He states while Jiraiya and Shizune appeared in between her as well. Orochimaru frowns and unfolds his arms. Why am I not surprised? If it isn't Jiraiya. He hisses while the sage smirks. Long time no see Orochi team. He said. Tsunade took this opportunity to charge at Kabuto with her fist cocked back and ready to knock his head off. That was until Kabuto split his palm open and sprayed blood on her face, making her body freeze up. "Be blood," she said shivering. "Finally my body can fully function." He said with glee and punched Tsunade right in the jaw and sent her flying backwards only for Naruto to catch her. "Tsunade-sama." Shizune cried out while Naruto gently set her down while she shivered. "She hasn't gotten over it yet. Damn it." Naruto thought and set his gaze on a smug-looking Kabuto. "You're gonna wish you hadn't done that, traitor." Naruto growled out, cracking his knuckles. Kabuto on the other hand scoffed and remained smug. "Oh? And what are you gonna do, Naruto-kun? From my stats you were dubbed as a no-name loser in the ranks and compared to Sasuke-kun you're nothing." He stated, but that was when Naruto fired a gust of wind at Kabuto with a flick of his wrist and Kabuto's eyes widened. When the gust died down, Kabuto felt a sharp pain on his left cheek and chest. His cheek sliced open and a red smear appeared across his chest. Kabuto rubbed his cheek, looked at the blood on his hand and back at Naruto who had a vicious grin on her face. "Sasuke's got nothing on me, especially since I beat last year's Rookie of the Year and the vessel for the Ichibi no Tanuki without using Kyuubi's power. Matter of fact, I barely broke sweat and if that faggot had faced Gaara, he'd be nothing but a smear on the wall, you butt-humping bitch." Naruto replied. Kabuto suddenly charges at Naruto intending on taking him out, but he suddenly hunched over coughing up blood due to the fact that Naruto was crouching down with his fist buried into his gut and took a few steps back. Before he could retaliate, Naruto uppercuts him in the jaw and send him sprawling back in front of Orochimaru. Naruto stands back up and cracks his neck and knuckles. "Hey, Orochi-yuke," he said, making Jiraiya snort while the Hibi sneers at the Namikaze. "Tell your bitch to get back up on his feet before I die of boredom." Kabuto rubs his jaw and glares at Naruto while pulling out a blood pill and swallowing it. "You're gonna wish you hadn't done that, you brat." Kabuto snarled out while Naruto got into a battle stance and did a come-on gesture with his hand. "Bring it on, bitch. I'm gonna beating your ass into the ground for what you did to my aunt earlier," Naruto said, which made their eyes widen. He was Tsunade's nephew. "You're related to Tsunade?" Kabuto asks in shock while Naruto grinned. "Yep, and to the Sho and Nidaime Hokages as well as the Yondaime Hokage aka the Kairoi Senku. Minato Namikaze," Naruto says with a huge grin on his face, making the two's eyes widen and remain silent. That was when Kabuto yelled. "Impossible. There's no way weakling like you is related to the Senju clan, especially to the legendary Yellow Flash." Jiraiya on the other hand chuckles. "He's not lying, brat, and as for being a weakling, Naruto, I don't think you hit Kabuto hard enough to prove your point to him," he said. "You're right. Next time I'll crush his skull," Naruto says, flaring his chakra. "And scatter his ashes into the wind," he said as his eyes became as cold as ice. "Enough of this," Orochimaru snarled out. He bit his thumb and smeared it across his snake tattoo and slammed it into the ground. Kuchius no Jutsu, summoning technique, in a puff of smoke, a two-headed snake appeared and hissed at the four shinobi. It then lunged at the two after Orochimaru and Kabuto leaped on the other hand. "Shit. Scatter." Jiraiya screamed. Shizune grabbed Tsunade and they leapt away while the snake slammed into the ground, causing the ground to shake and large rock debris to fly. "Kabuto. You deal with Tsunade's apprentice and Naruto. I'll take care of my buffoon of a teammate," he ordered. Kabuto nods and leaps away, jumping from rock to rock, locking onto Shizune and a still frozen Tsunade. He then appears in front of a surprised Shizune and strikes her directly into the face, making her cry out and be sent descending towards the ground headfirst with Tsunade. That was until Naruto appeared and caught them both and landed back on the ground. He growls at Kabuto and sucks air into his mouth. Futen. Shinkitama, wind release. Vacuum bullets, Naruto exhales and fires a gust of wind and a series of small wind bullets. The gust of wind hits Kabuto and the Mednin blew back a little, but his eyes widen when he sees the invisible wind bullets descend towards him. "Damn it," he says and shields his body, but hisses in pain when the bullets cut and pierce his arms, legs and torso, while the speed and force of the wind increased and he is sent moving farther from them. Naruto stops the jutsu and does another series of hand seals and slams them on the ground. Doten. Ryusi Kaiden, earth release. Rising platform. That was when a large round platform of earth formed under the three and it shoots up and stops 20 feet. "See if you can snap her out of her hermophobia, Shizune-chan. I'm gonna stop that snake from descending," he says while pumping chakra into his feet. When he has enough he blasts himself into the air and performs another series of hand seals. After that his chest expands and his cheeks bulge. Yoten. Yagen Numa, lava release. Lava lake, Naruto regurgitates a large glob of lava from his mouth and the molten substance hits the ground and rushes towards the snake. Kabuto managed to land on the ground and heal his injuries, but then he looks up and his eyes widen when a large wave of lava descends towards him. Oh shit, I can't be hit by that. He jumps away when the lava hits his current location and he lands on a boulder. He looks up to see Naruto releasing lava out of his mouth and he gaps at him. How can he use Yoten Jutsu? He asks himself and wipes the sweat of his head due to the heat the lava was releasing. Man, if the heat is this tense then I better not get touched by the molten substance. He says and looks around trying to find a way to get to Tsunade, but he smirks when he sees a trail of boulder. Meanwhile on top of the snake. Two blurs were seen clashing simultaneously on top of the snake for a while until they appeared staring each other down. Do you honestly think you can defeat me, Jiraiya? You were the weakest of the three back then and you still are. The traitor taunted while the Toad Sage smirks. You're so full of it. Just like the Uchiha brat who thinks he's unstoppable because of his bloodline. He said, and that was when Orochimaru launched 3 poisonous snakes from his sleeves and they descended towards Jiraiya who evades them and in a burst of speed vanishes and palm strikes Orochimaru in the chest hard enough to send him flying backwards. You're gonna have to do better than that, Orochi-chan. Jiraiya drawled out until he was bit in the jugular by an extra snake. Orochimaru landed and skidded backwards smirking, but then he frowned when Jiraiya turned into mud. His eyes widened and before he could react, a fist smashed itself into Orochimaru's jaw and sent him tumbling backwards. Like I said. Jiraiya lands back on the ground with a serious expression on his face. You're gonna have to do better, that Orochimaru. Said Snake Summoner gets back on his feet shaking the cobwebs out of his head and spitting out blood and glaring at Jiraiya. Before he could react, the two-headed snake cries out in pain and shakes violently due to the fact that he was slowly being consumed by lava. The two Sannin keep their grip on the squirming reptile. Orochimaru looks down and his eyes widen when he sees lava on the ground but was even more surprised when he saw Naruto spewing lava from his mouth. How is that boy using Yoten? Only the Terumi clan was capable of doing that. He states glaring at Jiraiya who smirks. No, he's not a Terumi, you idiot, he's a Senju and they possessed a bloodline that allowed them to combine more than 2 elements to create a sub-element. Naruto can use that and 2 more sub-elements but I'm gonna let that be a surprise. He said while the snake growled. Naruto lands on top of one of the thrashing snake's heads and struggles to hold on. Stop thrashing, you legless lizard. Naruto shouted, pulling out the Raikon and stabbing in the head. Said snake only thrashes more violently which forces Naruto to be flung off the snake and ascend into the air. He hears Shizune cry out in pain and looks down to see the Kunoichi be struck in the chest and then get knocked out. His eyes flashed in anger when he saw the bastard taunt and brutally attack his aunt. Naruto remembered that he placed a Hiraishin seal on Kabuto when he punched him in the torso earlier and does a small series of hand seals. Kabuto on the other hand cocked his fist backwards and sends it forward, ready to bash her skull in, until a flash of yellow appeared in front of him and hissed collided with something, but it wasn't Tsunade. Kabuto's eyes widen when he sees Naruto appear in front of him out of nowhere with his fist connected to Naruto's jaw, but what was shocking was that Naruto didn't seem fazed by the punch and said blonde set his piercing gaze onto the traitor. How did you, he stammers out but didn't get to finish because Naruto uses a chakra-enhanced punch and sends him flying off the platform and hitting the ground hard, leaving an imprint of his body on the ground. Tsunade just remained in her frozen position staring at Naruto. And Naruto. Was all she could say right now. Stay here, Oba-chan, and look out for Shizune. I'll deal with the trash. He said and shunshuns off the platform he made and lands onto the ground, making his way towards Kabuto, who was getting up and clutching his broken ribs while blood seeped from his mouth. I'm gonna enjoy pounding your ass into the ground, traitor. Naruto said slowly cracking his knuckles. Kabuto smirks as his ribs fully healed and wipes the blood from his mouth. So my assumptions were wrong about you. But it doesn't matter anyway. You may have been strong enough to beat Neji and that Gaara character, but I am on a whole different level. If anything, I am on par with Kakashi Haddock. He said smugly. Naruto stood there for a moment and then busted out laughing. Kabuto seethed at the fact that Naruto was laughing at him. What's so funny, you brat? Kabuto yelled while Naruto continued to laugh but calmed down and wiped a fake tear from his face. You think I should be afraid of you just because you're on par with that loser of a Jonin? Oh, I am so petrified, please don't hurt me, Kabuto. Naruto said mockingly, acting like he was afraid of Kabuto who was getting pissed. Naruto suddenly regained his posture and spoke up. Let me tell you a little secret, Kabuto. During those 2 matches I wasn't even showing a fraction of my real strength. He states while Kabuto narrows his eyes. You're bluffing. He growled out while Naruto shook his head. I don't bluff, team, especially to some fruitcake who's butt buddies with a gender-bending pedophile who has an unhealthy infatuation with little boys. Naruto said and then taps his chin with his index finger and looks up at the sky. But then again, you're probably the closest thing to Oryuke would get since no female in their right mind would even touch him," he stated. Kabuto on the other hand was seeing red and he was sending murderous intent at Naruto. "I'm gonna make your death slow and painful, you little shit." The Mednin snarled out and his chakra no Mesu flared up. Naruto did a gesture that said bring it on. Kabuto shot forward in a burst of speed and swung at Naruto's head. When his scalpel cut through Naruto, the blonde faded away, which caused Kabuto's eyes to widen. An after image. Kabuto asks himself, but then he cried out in pain while blood shot out across from his back and he stumbled back. Naruto was behind him smirking with his right arm in a slashing motion and his index and middle finger were extended out while his arm glowed light blue. "You're slow, team, is that because you gave the Hibi a quickie before you went to meet up with my aunt?" Naruto taunted while the chakra from his hand grew into an arm blade and extended a little. Kabuto lets out a frustrating yell and unleashed a series of precise slashes and thrusts at Naruto, who managed to black everyone with his wind chakra-coated arm. "How can you be this powerful? You were dubbed the dead last in our generation, yet you fight like a seasoned shinobi." Kabuto made an attempt to cross-slash him in the chest, but Naruto twists his body and slashes him in the side and right leg while blood spurts out and then slashes him twice across the back, making Kabuto cry out in pain and frustration. "Damn you." He yells and leaps away from him, trying to let his injuries heal. "Ah!" Naruto said and once again vanishes and kicks Kabuto in the solar plexus, making him spit up. "No resting for you, Kabu-chan." Naruto says and stabs him right in the torso with the extended blade. Kabuto froze for a second from the pain he was feeling and Naruto pulls it out and roundhouse kicks him in the temple, making Kabuto flop and bounce on the ground like a rag doll. "Man, this is boring. For being Orochi team's right-hand man, you're weak as hell," Naruto said while the chakra disappears from his arm. Kabuto slowly gets up while blood drips from his body and he pants a little. "You think you've won?" he said and saw the grin appear on Naruto's face. Said blonde gets into a horse stance and claps his hands together in a prayer position. That was when wooden tendrils shot out of the ground and around Kabuto, making the man's eyes in disbelief. Before he could do anything, he was ensnared by the tendrils, which started to squeeze him slowly. "And no way." Kabuto mutters but groans when the bindings became even tighter. Tsunade's eyes widened so much that they looked like they were gonna fall out of her sockets. Mokuton. He can use Mokuton," she stammers out. Jiraiya and Orochimaru stopped their fight and the Hibis looked like he was gonna have a heart attack. This can't be. That brat can use the Shadame's Mokuton power. How? Not even Tsunade or her brother could recreate it. The snake cried and was inwardly seething at the fact that he couldn't make the boy his vessel thanks to the Kyuubi. "Yeah, it's pretty awesome, huh? He first discovered it when he turned 5 and with sensei's help Naruto was able to learn how to use it properly," Jiraiya states. "And that is what separates Naruto from your golden boy of an Uchiha. Naruto gained his skill through blood, sweat, tears and pain, while that weakling had everything given to him. He didn't beat Neji and Gaara through luck or with his bloodlines. He used his actual skill just like his ancestors and parents did, and that is what separates him from the prodigies," he said, and they once again engage in battle. Kabuto on the other hand was struggling to get out of the jutsu while Naruto shook his head. "Dude, the more you struggle the more pain you're gonna be in. Seriously, how is it that you're on par with the Cyclops again?" "Oh well, it doesn't matter." He stretches his right hand out and forms the Rasengan spiral sphere in his hand, but it didn't stop there. High-pitched sound echoes throughout the area and that was when 4 spinning curved blades formed around the Rasengan and extended until it was the size of a windmill shuriken. Kabuto's mouth dropped when he saw the jutsu while Naruto's grin grew. "Kabuto, let me introduce you to my version of my old man's technique, the Rasengan. But this version is even deadlier than the original. And the best part about this one is that I can throw it," he said, causing Kabuto to curse and squirm in the wooden bindings. "I wonder just how much damage this technique can do to the human body. Care to be my guinea pig for this experiment?" Naruto asks sadistically. "Fuck you, Namikaze." Kabuto roared but cries out when his shoulders were dislocated. "Sorry bro, but I don't swing that way. I prefer females. Now say hello to the Rasen Shuriken, spiral shuriken." Naruto brings his arm back and then throws the techniques, making the Sannin and Kabuto's eyes widen. "Holy shit, he threw it." Jiraiya screamed in amazement. Naruto just accomplished one of his dad's goals. They all watched as the screeching attack made its way towards Kabuto. "No. No. Damn you, Naruto arg." He cursed but cried out in sheer agony as the technique grinded into his body and tore him apart at the same time. That was when a spherical vortex made of chakra slowly surrounded Kabuto's body and expanded, creating a large crater for a few seconds, and then it explodes, making everyone shield their eyes from the move. When the dust cleared, they all saw a 20-foot wide crater and in the middle of it was a bloody and shredded Kabuto laying face down and twitching on pain. Naruto let out a sigh of relief and looked down in the crater and grinned. "It official, I am awesome. How do you like my new technique cock blocker?" Naruto said while doing a victory sigh. Tsunade on the other hand remained speechless and for the first time in her life a true smile formed on her face. He did it. He won. She thought. Chapter 5. Ninja Battle Royale PT. 2. Naruto leapt back on the rock platform where Tsunade and an unconscious Shizune were and walked over to the motionless brunette and kneels down. His hand started to glow green and the green chakra formed over Shizune's body. The injuries on her body started to heal up and then the glow died down. Shizune groans and slowly opens her eyes only to see Naruto's smiling face. "Naruto-kun?" she asks and the blonde nods. "Glad to see you're okay, Shizune-chan," Naruto says while she sits up and shakes her head a little. "The last thing I remember is that Kabuto character striking me in the chest and knocking me out," she said. "Yeah, he did, but you won't have to worry about him because right now he's taking a dirt nap, but not a permanent one," he replied with a grin on his face, but then he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned his head to see a smiling Tsunade. She then removes the necklace from her neck and puts it on Naruto's. "I believe this now belongs to you now, Naruto. Congratulations, you won the bet," she said and he smiles back at his aunt. "But Jiraiya and Orochimaru." Orochimaru was furious. No, he was beyond furious because the so-called former dead last of the Leaf Village now last heir of the Namikaze and Senju clan had beaten his right-hand man with an improved version of his most hated enemy's jutsu, the Rasengan. Man, oh man, if only you could have seen the look on your face, Hebe. I can't believe the Gaki managed to make an improved version of the Rasengan and throw it, and in a week no less. Guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, Hebe, Jiraiya states while the Hebe's frown grew. This boy is starting to become a nuisance. First he ruins my invasion plans, now he beats Kabuto-kun with a more powerful version of the Yondame's technique. Not to mention he is the last male of the Senju clan with the powers of the Mokuton, as well as Yoten Jutsu in his arsenal, and not once did he use Kyuubi's power. If he continues to grow at this rate he'll become a huge problem for me in the future, so he must die. Right now. That was when Orochimaru leapt off the dying snake and descends towards the others. Jiraiya curses and leaps after the criminal. "Oh no you don't." Orochimaru suddenly twists his body in mid-air looking back at Jiraiya and launches his long purple tongue at the Gamasenin. Jiraiya manages to evade the tongue, but it wraps around the man's ankle. What the devil? Jiraiya didn't get to finish because he is jerked backwards by the tongue and slammed into the hard ground. Orochimaru adverts his body towards Tsunade, Shizune, and Naruto, with a blade of Kusanagi extending out of his mouth and aimed right for Tsunade's back. Shizune saw this and gasped. "Tsunade Sama, look out." Shizune cried out. Tsunade turned around and her eyes widened as she saw Orochimaru head right for her with a maniacal look on his face and his blade aimed for her heart. Clang. Orochimaru's eyes widen when he sees his prized weapon being blocked with the flat side of Naruto's Ryokan. "You really are a stupid fool, Oryuke," Naruto said and started to channel lightning chakra from his hand and into the blade. Raiden. Raikou Nagashi, lightning release. Lightning current. Currents of yellow lightning shot out of the blade and struck Orochimaru all over his body. The Hebe cries out in pain as he is electrocuted and burned by the jutsu and starts to stumble backwards. Naruto ended the jutsu and took this opportunity to strike the white snake dead in the face with his fist and send him flying off the rock platform and into the ground. Orochimaru lands back on his feet, skids back a little, and retracts his blade and grits his teeth in pain and slowly gets back up as static jolts around his body. "Damn it, I forgot about his lightning affinity when he used it against the vessel for the Ichibi," he growled out. "But that means he also possesses a water affinity, meaning he can use all 5 elements. But that's not possible. The only way he can gain all 5 is if he had the Rinnegan." Jiraiya groans and gets back on his feet rubbing his head only to see Orochimaru struggling to get up. "Man, I can't believe he got me with that disgusting move. Now I'm gonna have to use disinfectant to get that slime off my ankle. Kami knows where that thing has been." Jiraiya mumbles. Kabuto. The torn, bloodied, and slowly healing Kabuto was slowly crawling out of the crater with just one arm. "Damn it, that jutsu has slowed down my healing factor. I can barely crawl out of this crater without being in so much pain. It was a good thing I put a strong layer of chakra around my body, otherwise the technique would have destroyed me," he said and winced in pain as his torn left arm throbbed and continued to crawl up the crater. Meanwhile, Naruto was about to advance on Orochimaru with his blade drawn only to have Tsunade step in front of him. "Oba-chan?" Naruto asked and said. Senju looked back at him and smiled. "I'll take it from here, Naruto. You've done your fair share in handling the bastard's right-hand man, so now it's my turn to deliver some justice on this bastard," she says. Naruto blinks at her and grins. "Sure thing, but first." Naruto placed a glowing green hand on her and her previous injuries were gone instantly and her body was rejuvenated. There. Now you don't have to worry about facing the team with only half of your strength and show him what real ninja is capable of doing. He says and she grins back. Thanks, and once we're done with him we can celebrate with a big bottle of sake. She said, and that was when Jiraiya appears. Mind if I join in the battle? The sage asks. The more the merrier. It's time to show this traitor what real ninja are capable of. Tsunade answers and Orochimaru was cursing inwardly. "Oh Orochimaru-sama," said man heard the weakened and strained voice and turned his head to see a bloody Kabuto crawl out of the crater. Naruto on the other hand was surprised that the traitor survived his new technique. Well, would you look at that. The bastard survived. Oh well, I'll just have to be sure he's dead for real this time. Naruto says. Orochimaru leaps away and lands near a weakened Kabuto. How long will it take for you to heal? He asked his second in command. Another couple of hours to say the least. I'm sorry, but that attack did a lot of internal damage to my body. Kabuto said as he coughed up a little blood and the snake frowned. I see. Now I have no other choice. He said and rolled up his sleeve, revealing the snake tattoo. The three-leaf ninja saw this and their eyes widen. Great, he's gonna summon Manda. You ready, Tsunade? Jiraiya asks and she nods. I was born ready. After today there will be one less Sannin in the ninja world. She said, and that was when Naruto spoke up. Mind if I join? There's a friend of mine who has an overdue reunion with that legless worm. Naruto asked and Jiraiya grins. You sure you got the energy to do a summon, Naruto? He asked and Naruto chuckles. More than enough. This is a once-in-a-lifetime fight and I want to be in and remember for the rest of my life. The blonde replied and Jiraiya chuckles and nods. Very well. He says and bites his thumb as does Tsunade. Shizune, get as far away as you can. She ordered and the brunette nods and leaps away. Naruto rolls up his sleeve and reveals the Hydra tattoo, getting a raised eyebrow from Tsunade, who shrugs and wipes her blood on her palm as does Jiraiya, while Naruto wipes his on the tattoo. The four go through a small series of hand seals and stop at the ram seal and slam their hands on the ground. Kuchiyus no Jutsu, summoning technique. The four called and an explosion of smoke engulfs the area. When it clears, Gamabunta, Katsaya, Manda and Yamada in her dragon form appear in the area with their summoners standing on their heads. As soon as Yamada no Orochi was seen, Tsunade and Shizune's eyes bugged out of their heads while Orochimaru and Kabuto had looks of surprise and disbelief on their faces. Holy, Shizune sputters out as she shakily points at the eight-tailed and eight-headed Hydra. And no way. Gaki, you're the summoner of Tsunade, also sputters while Naruto had a huge grin on his face. Jiraiya was wishing he had a camera for this. This can't be, that's the Yamada no Orochi. How in the world did a brat like you gain the summons of the legendary Akihi clan? Orochimaru practically screams since he's been searching all his life for the contract and was pissed beyond belief that some kid had it in his possession. That's for me to know and you to never find out. Besides, Shiro-chan wouldn't even let a vile creature like you be the summoner of her kin and would more than likely kill you, and judging by the look in her eyes, she's ready to tear you and the overgrown worm you're riding on apart. Naruto said. Yamanda hissed out while 7 of Shiroi's heads hiss and snarl at the traitor. Hello, traitor. You've got some nerve making your own contract to give to that leech on your head, especially after I banished you and your kin from my tribe. She said, releasing murderous intent on the snake who sneered at his former leader. As if I care. I'm free from your control and your rule, wench, and now I'll finally have the pleasure of killing you and ending your reign as the ruler of the reptiles. Manda stated, and Shiroi's main head shot red fire out of her nostrils. You pompous fool. Have you forgotten who you're talking to? You're nowhere even close to being my equal, hatchling. She said and slammed one of her tails on the ground, creating a small earthquake. I'm gonna rip you apart and give your carcass to the crocodiles. We'll see about that. Orochimaru, no sacrifices are required for this. She's more than enough. He said as he reared his head back while Gamabunta slowly drew his tanto. You were always the arrogant one, Manda. Yamada-sama, allow me to assist you in dealing with this Hebe. The chief toad asked. I too would like to help you, Empress of the Hydras. Katsaya requests and Shiroi nods. But of course. The more the merrier. She says. Katsaya decided to start the battle off first. Zessie Nensen. Acid slime, acid spewed from her mouth and Manda slithered around to avoid it. He was able to constrict himself around Katsaya and opened his mouth to bite the slug and inject his deadly venom, but Gamabunta joined the fray and thrusts his blade forward at Manda's head only for the snake to avoid it and clamp down on the toad's blade. One of Shiroi's heads opens its mouth and red fire slowly appears and grows. Kaiten. Aiku high, fire release. Blazing fire. A stream of red-hot fire shoots out of her mouth and descends towards Manda. Said snake sees the attack from the corner of his eye and curses as he releases his hold on Bunta's Tanto and Katsaya. He lets out a hiss as he heads straight for Shiroi, who stops unleashing the fire attack. Naruto on the other hand starts to work on a series of hand seals. Shiroi-chan, lift your head up so that I can get a better view of the ground. The blonde says. Hi. The Hydra Queen replies and does so. Great, now to slow that team down. Yoten. Daiyogen Numa. Naruto stops making hand seals and his cheeks bulge out. He suddenly releases a large stream of magma that lands on the field and slowly spreads across the ground. Manda sees the lake of lava and suddenly skids to a stop before he could come close to touching the molten rock. Damn that blonde urchin. Manda growled out. Now's our chance Bunta, give me some oil. Jiraiya says as he does a series of hand seals. Got it? The chief toad says. His stomach bulges and afterwards, so does his cheeks, and then he shoots out a jet of oil. Payton. Gameu Enden, fire release. Toad oil flame bullet. Jiraiya releases a flame blast. When it makes contact with the oil, it turned into a high-powered flamethrower that descends towards Manda. Before the snake could react, his body was engulfed by a torrent of flames. After a while the technique starts to recede, and the three were wondering if the technique worked. Did he get him? Tsunade asked as the smoke started to clear. When it did, they saw the scorching form of Manda, but to their surprise, the body slowly crumbled. Damn it. He shed his skin. Naruto said as he looked around as did Shiroi. Indeed. Out of all the snakes Manda was the slickest. Keep your eyes and ears focused Naruto-kun. The Hydra Queen advised while the blonde nodded. The ground started to shake and Naruto's eyes widened. Crap. He's underneath us. He said. Shiroi's eye did the same and a purple blur bursts from the ground and heads right for her. Shiroi uses her clawed hand to grab the blur, but to her surprise, it was just the tail. The burst once again and Naruto turned his head to see Manda appear behind Shiroi with his mouth opened wide. Gotcha. He cried as he ascends at the two. The white hydra on the other hand smirks and before Manda knew it, two of her tails wrapped around his mouth and closed it shut. Please. As if a move like that would work on me. She stated and flung him over her and slammed him into the magma lake and he let out a high-pitched hiss. Before he had the chance to free himself, the blade of a giant tanto slams into the top of his mouth and pins him to the ground. Keep it shut. Tsunade yelled since she was the one who used Bunta's tanto to pin him to the ground. Nice move Haim. Jiraiya calls out and the slug summoner gives him a thumbs up. Orochimaru on the other hand growls in frustration because the battle is not turning out the way he wants it to. This is starting to become troubling for me. I have to at least take one of them out. He thought and had his sights on Tsunade. He then launches his tongue at the unaware female Sannin and said appendage wraps tightly around her neck. A strangled gasp escapes from her mouth and she struggles to free herself. Let's see you get out of this one Tsunade Haim. Orochimaru says as he increases the pressure. A spinning demon windmill shuriken makes its way towards the appendage and instantly severs it, freeing Tsunade who pulls the limping appendage off of her and rubs her neck. Orochimaru's eyes widen in shock when his tongue was cut in half and instantly retracts whatever part of his tongue he had left into his mouth. Naruto appears behind Orochimaru with yokai covering his arms. He extends them outwards, creating ethereal yokai arms that ensnare Orochimaru's arms, and said Sannin's eyes widen in surprise. Hey Orochi-chan. Naruto calls out getting the man's attention. Here's a known fact about Jinchuriki and their partners. When sealed in their hosts, the vessel gains immunity to their potent chakra as well as the ability to use a certain amount. But it has another effect. One that is bad for those who make contact with the chakra. Naruto says while the yokai slowly squeezes the man's arms and they start to sizzle. You see when the skin is exposed to a Bijuu's raw and potent chakra it acts like a poison and depending on how much yokai the host conjures, it eats away at whatever it touches like your arms for example. Naruto says and Orochimaru starts to grit his teeth in pain. Right now I'm pouring Kyuubi's chakra into your arms and destroying the cells, muscles, and even the bone. Orochimaru couldn't take the pain and howls in agony as the blonde adds more yokai into the man's arms. Said White Snake manages to rip his arms free from the ethereal arms and leap away glaring dangerously at Naruto. Ah. Damn you boy he didn't get to finish because a fist slammed into his jaw courtesy of Tsunade Senju and was sent flying off of Manda and hitting the ground hard. Kabuto on the other hand halfway recovers from the attack from not too long ago and leaps towards his master. Orochimaru slowly gets up and watches as his arms turn black and the skin flakes of. My arms. They feel like they're on fire. He says and they limp down to his sides. That was when Naruto, Tsunade and Jiraiya appeared in his line of sight and Kabuto appears next to his master clutching his stomach. Drrrr damn you all. Orochimaru, you suck as a summoner. Thanks to you, I can't eat solid food for a month thanks to this damn blade that has put a hole in my mouth. You better not summon me again unless it's to face that wench. He said setting his gaze on Shiroi. You couldn't beat me then and you can't beat me now weakling. Now get out of my sight before I uphold my end and turn you into Crocchow. She snarled out and Manda let out an angry hiss and dispelled. Orochimaru-sama, we should retreat while we can. I'm still recovering from that attack Naruto used on me, and without your arms, you can't use any jutsu. Kabuto stated, and the snake Sannin growled and glared at the three with all the hate he could muster. I can see that. Consider yourselves lucky, especially you boy. You will regret crossing me and my ambitions, and I will crush Kano into dust. He swore while Naruto had a feral grin on his face, and his eyes were crimson. And I look forward to the day when I bring your head back as a trophy and mount it on your student's wall, Orayuke. Naruto responded while the snake hissed and sank into the ground. But bye for now, Namikaze. Next time I will kill you. Kabuto says and poofs away, as do the summons. After a few minutes, Naruto sighs. Well, that was fun. He said, and that was when Shizune appeared next to them. Yeah, fun if you can call it that, mister. I love destruction and chaos. Jiraiya commented while Naruto snorts. Blame my roommate. She's a bad influence on me. Naruto replied while Caillou giggled in his mindscape. I love you too, Naruto-kun. She says. Now then, all that's left is to get our things and Taunton and head back to the village. Jiraiya states. Already? Come on now, Kyofu, we don't have to be back at Konoha for another week. In case you haven't noticed, I haven't got a chance to spend a lot time with my aunt. Naruto said. Jiraiya groaned and was about to speak up until Tsunade smirks and wraps an arm around her nephew. Don't be such a wet blanket, you pervert. Let's go have some fun for a change. I could use a new poker partner. She said with a grin while Shizune sighs. Fine, but only for 3 days. I don't need another verbal lashing from the old monkey. Jiraiya commented. Got it. Oh, and Oba-chan, you owe me 14 years worth of birthday and Christmas presents. He said, and she fell over while he walked away with his hands in his pockets grinning. Jiraiya on the other hand laughs his ass off while Tsunade gets up and mumbles about greedy ass nephews, and the two take off. Chapter 7. Back to Konoha. Hanahagakure Hokage Tower. Hiruzen's office. Hiruzen was currently sitting in his office giving a nervous Kakashi Haddock a glare that would make even someone like Orochimaru nervous as hell. Do you want to know the reason why you are here, Kakashi Haddock? Sarutobi asked the man who shook his head. It's simple actually. You see, I got a report from a certain visiting cage about how you blatantly neglected one of your students in the hospital when he asked you for help against a powerful opponent, and you verbally insulted him and ridiculed him for his skills as a shinobi, stating that he shouldn't even be a shinobi. He said in a tone that meant Kakashi was in deep shit. Not only that, but you even had the nerve and gall to say the only reason he is even a shinobi in the first place is because I felt sorry for him. The god of shinobi released a burst of kai on the jounin, who shivered in fear. Where do you, a ninja under my authority, go off saying something like that when you know good and well that Naruto got his headband after stopping that traitor Mizuki from escaping Konoha with the forbidden scroll? He asked as the man looked away in shame while Hiruzen sighs. I am very disappointed in you, Kakashi. If there is one thing I don't tolerate is favoritism, negligence, and disrespecting a guest of our village, especially a guest that is a kage. Do you have any idea how much trouble we could have gotten in for your stupidity? He growled out and Kakashi flinched. I am sorry, sir. Kakashi apologized. Yes, I know you are, especially with how fucked up your team is minus Naruto, since he was the only one in your team to be promoted to the Chunin rank. Pretty impressive for the dead last of the academy, right? Hiruzen replied while Kakashi remained silent. Hokage-sama, if I may ask. How did Naruto get so strong in less than 2 months? And how was he able to use those elemental jutsu, especially with his chakra control being so out of date? Kakashi asked Hiruzen, who sighed inwardly. If you must know, I had Jiraiya train Naruto and help him learn the things you failed to teach him in the past 2 months, since you were too busy coddling the Uchiha brat, and that boy's lack of discipline could have cost us to lose some important clients. Hiruzen said harshly, which made the son of the White Fang cringe. But thanks to Naruto and his performance when he faced and beat not only the Hyuga prodigy of the branch house, but also beat the Kazukija's son, who might I add was the vessel for the Ichibi no Tanuki, Shukaku, the clients we got have doubled, and most of them have requested to have Naruto join in the high-paying missions they are offering to Konoha. He finished. I see. So what is happening to Team 7? Kakashi asked. Simple. Until I say otherwise or until my successor gets here, Team 7 is on a 6-month probation period and will not be allowed to do missions outside the walls of Konoha and will have to do D-rank mission. As for you, Kakashi, I'm afraid I have no other choice but to cut your rank down to Takubetsu Jonin. He said, which made the man's eyes widened and was about to speak up only to have Hiruzen raise a hand. Don't say anything. You will have a chance to regain your status once the probation is done, but until then you'll be doing 2 shifts of guard duty each day and you are not allowed to read your book during this time. He said and was inwardly smirking as he saw the horrified look on Kakashi's face. And that's not all. You will also be assisting your students in these D ranks and train them properly, meaning you will train Sakura and Sasuke equally, or else you will be having a one-on-one session with Ibiki and Anko for insubordination. He finished. Yes, sir. Is there anything else? Kakashi asked in a low tone. No, and Kakashi, Minato and your father Sakuma would be very disappointed in you. I suggest you start waking up to reality and acting like a real ninja is supposed to, and pray that Tsunade is in a forgiving mood due to the fact that you neglected her nephew's training and progress as a ninja. He said as Kakashi left the room, but then his eyes widened and paled when he heard this as the door closed behind him. Hanzakukai Casino. Tsunade had walked out of the casino with a grin so wide that it looked like it would split her head in two, and the reason why is because her nephew had practically cleaned the casino out and she was hugging a huge bag of money to her body and giggling like crazy. Shizune was right beside with bug eyes and her jaw hanging from the ground, as was Taunton. Jiraiya on the other hand was patting a bored Naruto on the back, saying how proud he was of his apprentice for being a gambling god. For those that had lost to Naruto were on their knees crying while looking at their empty wallets. Some of the richer folks nearly had heart attacks when Naruto cleaned them out in 5 games of blackjack and 21. I still can't believe that Naruto-kun won all that money. Shizune said with a stumped expression on her face. I never knew you played poker. She said while the blonde shrugged. Nah, Saruoji taught me how to play that in shogi when I was 8 and I'd always win somehow when I play him in 21, but it was with candy. He mentioned something about me having the luck of the fox on my side, though I could never beat him in shogi. The man may be old, but he has an IQ that'll make the Hebe cry. Naruto commented until he was glumped by a squealing Tsunade who was hugging him so tight that he turned purple and his bones started to crack. You've made me the happiest woman in the world, my favorite nephew. She said as Naruto struggled to escape from her death hug. Oh Oba-chan, you're crushing my spine. He strained out, but then she dropped him and hugged the money once again. I've never seen Tsunade-sama so happy. Shizune said with a sweat drop on her face while Naruto got up and popped his back in place. Yeah. Remind me to steer clear of her grabbing range from now on. Naruto muttered, rubbing his back painfully while Jiraiya snickered. After staying in Tanzakugai until the end of the week, the group left and was now traveling on a dirt road towards Konoha until the blonde stopped. Tsunade and Jiraiya saw this and stopped as well as did Shizune. Whoever you guys are, come on out or I'll make you come out. Naruto called out, and that was when 4 blurs landed onto the ground in front of them, revealing themselves to be Iwanin, and from the looks of it, they had their focus on Naruto. So the rumors are true. The Konoha no Kairoi Senku, Konoha's yellow flash, does have an heir. Said a female who stepped forward. She had short black hair and pupil-less pink eyes. She wears what seems to be a long, red kimono with the sleeve on her right arm missing, as well as the bottom left side of the kimono, the brown Wagakure flak jacket, fishnet tights and shorts over them. And you are? Naruto asked while the female narrowed her eyes at Naruto. My name is Kuritsuchi Otsuburo, the granddaughter of the Sandaime Tsuchika Jiraiya Tenbin no Inoki of both scales, and I'm here to kill you. She said and instantly flung a kunai at the blonde's heart at speeds that surprised Naruto, who dodged to the left. Kuritsuchi suddenly appeared in front of him swinging a kunai at his throat and another at the area where his kidneys were, but Naruto reacted by grabbing both of her wrists and keeping them t-bay. Man, she's fast. Naruto said, impressed. The other Iwanin were about to interfere until Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune appeared in front of them. Don't even think about it, you brats. Jiraiya said, releasing Kai on the now frightened ninja, because they knew they were no match for 2 Sannin, especially one that trained their most hated enemy. Just stand there and watch my nephew beat the stupidity out of the midget's granddaughter's ass. Tsunade said while they paled. And nephew? He's a senju? One male asked. Oh shit, we're so screwed. The other one said. Kuritsuchi was gritting her teeth in frustration as she tried to use her strength to push her kunai forward, but Naruto's strength was beyond hers at the moment. A smirk formed on Naruto's face and his bulged, confusing the kunoichi until he sprayed what looked like brownish-green liquid in her face, making her back away, yell in frustration, trying to rub the substance off her face. Ugh. That was disgusting, you bastard. She screamed. This coming from someone who takes dirt baths. How's about I wash you off? Naruto commented and did a few hand seals. Suiton. Mizurappa, water release. Violent water wave. He shoots a fast stream of water at Kuritsuchi, who cries out in surprise when she is hit by the blast and hits the ground hard. Water drips down her face while she looks up at Naruto with a growl escapes her lips. What? Now it'll be easier for you to get that excess dirt out of your hair. He said cheekily, which caused a tick mark to form on the back of her head. Shut up. She yelled in anger, does a few hand seals and leaps into the air. Imton. Sakejim no jutsu, lava release. Quicklime congealing technique. She spits a large quantity of quicklime from her mouth in the form of a substantial projectile that makes its way towards Naruto. Whoa, she can use Yoten too. Well then I can play that game. Naruto says. Yoten Maguma Bakuden, Lava Release. Magma Bomb. Naruto fires a large orb made of molten rock from his mouth which heads towards Kuretsuchi's attack and cancel each other out and lava splatters all over the ground. What the? You can use Yoten too? She asked astonished that a Leaf Nin, the Yondame's son no less can use it. That and more. Naruto replied and aimed his index and middle finger at her while sparks of lightning form around them. Raiden. Byakurai, Lightning Release. Pale Lightning. Naruto fires a beam of bluish-white lightning at the Iwa Kunoichi, whose eyes widen at the speed it was going and barely dodges it as it grazed her shoulder, making her wince in pain. Naruto appeared below her with a tri-pronged kunai drawn and before she could react, he plunges it into her stomach and her eyes widened in shock. The Iwa Nin watching gasped in fear as they saw their leader's granddaughter get killed. Kuretsuchi-sama. One of them called out while she stood there frozen, but she smirks at Naruto who raised an eyebrow until he saw her dissolve into mud. Atsuchi Bunshin, Earth Clone. Then that means he didn't get to finish because earth spikes rose from the ground and impaled him in several areas of his body and he gasped in pain. Keikuzo Naruto said while Kuretsuchi leapt out of a tree with a smirk on her face. You lose Namikaze. She said in triumph. Any last words before I finish you off? She asked as she pulled out a kunai and raised it. Naruto on the other hand coughed up blood and grins weakly. Was all Naruto said and glowed white. Kuretsuchi's eyes widened and cursed. Oh shy she couldn't finish because Naruto exploded into smoke. A few seconds later Kuretsuchi leapt out of the smoke with burns on her skin and clothes and lands back on the ground panting a little. You're pretty quick. Naruto said crouching down on a tree twirling a tri-pronged kunai as she turned her attention towards him. Impossible, how did you substitute yourself without me sensing it? She asked while Naruto grinned. What can I say? I inherited my old man's speed, though you're the first foreign nin aside from my fiancé to force me to move that fast, especially since you're both Yoten users, though her style is more adverse than yours. He commented while she scoffed. Well then she must not be that great. She never got to finish because a flash of silver shot past her and embedded into a tree and it happened to be a tri-pronged kunai knife. A cut formed on her cheek and a little blood dripped down her face. She wiped it off and looked up at Naruto, whose gaze was now as cold as ice which nerved her a little. Rule number 1 Kuretsuchi-chan, don't insult my fiancé because can kick your ass 6 ways to Sunday and will send you back to your old man in a matchbox. He said harshly. Grow up. What happened back then was war and your people are just as responsible for killing Leaf Nin than my father was killing your leader's ninja and killing me will be bad for your village and do you know why? He asked while she remained silent. Because not only am I the last Namikaze, but I'm also the last Senju meaning that I am related to not just the Yondaime, but the Shodai and Nidaime, and also the future Godame Hokage's nephew, so technically I'm related to 4 Hokages. He answered making her eyes widen in dread. So now do you understand? Killing me will get your village wiped off the face of the earth by my village and her allies, so I'll do us both a favor and end this. He said as he appears in front of her without warning and with a Rasengan in his right hand reared back and slams it into her stomach, making her gasp out in pain and be sent flying towards her comrades and hitting the ground hard, losing consciousness. Don't worry she's alive. I held back enough power only to knock her out now please leave. I don't have the time nor patience to deal with what little grudge you have over my dad, so do what I told her and grow up. He said. The Iwa team glared at Naruto, but then took their leader and leapt away into the forest until the Leaf team couldn't even sense them. Naruto pulled the kunai out and put it away sighing. Well then shall we? I'm pretty sure you're ready to bust some heads when we get back Oba-chan. Naruto said grinning while Tsunade blinks, but grins also rubs her hands together in an evil fashion. Jiraiya and Shizune sweat drop when they see this. Oh boy, the village is gonna suffer some major collateral damage when she returns. Jiraiya mumbles while the brunette nodded. Hey Oba-chan I'll race you to the village gate. Naruto challenged while Tsunade grinned. You're on Gaki. She said and the last 2 Senju took off like rockets, leaving a dust trail behind Shizune and Jiraiya who were stumped. Where in Kami's do they get this energy? Sighs come on Shizune. Jiraiya says and they run off to join up with Tsunade and Naruto. As they made it into the gate and headed towards the tower, they all noticed that the villagers and ninjas were wide-eyed when they saw Tsunade and Naruto. The ninja were giving Naruto nods of respect as they made their way towards the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. You ready? Naruto asked his aunt who cracked her knuckles. Is that a trick question? It's time to rip out the weeds that are sucking the life out my ancestors' legacy. She said as she made her way towards the doors and then kicked them away, revealing a shocked council. Saratobi on the other hand was smiling warmly, while Danzo was fuming that the Iwanin he had one of his rude Anbu inform about Naruto's heritage, failed to kill him, and now that Tsunade was back in the village, he had to be extra careful, especially since his two main backers have been removed from their position, thanks to Hiruzen Saratobi. "Ah Tsunade, it's great to have you back in the village," Hiruzen said with Tsunade smiling back. "Likewise sensei, and I'm pretty sure you'd love to retire again and hand the mantle to me, correct?" she asked, getting a chuckle from the man. "But before we get to that, I need to know where those old buzzards Koharu and Hamura are, since they were the ones who told me that my nephew here was dead and were the ones, as well as a certain group in this council, responsible for how he was treated due to the fact that he contained the Kyuubi," she asked in a sweet yet dangerous tone that made the civilian members cower in fear. "They're currently under house arrest until I say otherwise, Tsunade, since they, along with a certain warhawk, were responsible for lying about the demise of the current Mizukage's future husband after the civil war was over in Kiri and falsified documents that I didn't approve of," he said, and Tsunade raised an eyebrow at this. "Current Mizukage? Future husband? Is there something I should know?" she asked, which caused Naruto and Jiraiya to start sweating bullets. Hiruzen saw this and an evil grin formed on his face. "Oh? You don't know? I thought Naruto or Jiraiya would have told you once they found you," he asked while the two waved their hands and shook their hands frantically in the background, screaming silent no's. Tsunade on the other hand blinked in confusion a couple of times. "Tell me what?" she asked while the two shook their fists violently at the old monkey. Wo's grin grew. "That your nephew is engaged to the goddamn Mizukage mate Terumi," he answered, making her eyes bug out while the master and apprentice slapped their foreheads. "As well as the late Yondaime Kazukiyage's daughter Sabaku no Tamari, who was given to Naruto by Suna as compensation for their attempted invasion with Orochimaru," he answered. "Say what?" she yelled while the two made their way to an opened window. "Naruto. Jiraiya. You two have some explaining to do," she said as she turned her head and saw them make an attempt to leap out the window. "And where do you two think you're going?" she yelled, which made them freeze in place. "Run, Kyofu," Naruto cried as he leapt out the window with Jiraiya behind him. Tsunade ran towards the window with tick marks on her head. "Boy. You two come back here right now and explain yourselves," she yelled, waving her fists at their retreating forms, and then looked back at Hiruzen, who sighs. "Go ahead, Tsunade, but keep the damage to a minimum," Saratobi said while a predatory grin formed on her face. "No promises," she said cheekily and leapt after them. A few minutes later, two girly screams were heard begging for mercy while an enraged Tsunade was beating them senseless, causing large sweat drops to appear behind the clan heads. "At least things won't get boring with those three around," Tsume said to Hiashi, who just nodded. "Indeed," he said, and a large crash was heard which made the ground under them shake. Hiruzen slammed his head on the desk and groaned. "Why do I bother?" he muttered out. Announcement. Unfortunately, everyone, the following scene of Tsunade beating her former teammate and nephew was so violent and graphic that I had to skip the scene and move on to another. I apologize for the inconvenience, but the raiders would get me in trouble. Hospital. After Tsunade had beaten some sense out of Jiraiya and Naruto and healed them, she, Naruto, and Shizune went to the hospital after she heard about one of the genin getting seriously injured during the Chunin exam prelim matches and went to see if she could do anything to help this person. As they made their way to the second room of the hospital, they heard the sound of someone yelling about proving his flames of youth despite being injured, and as they turned the corner, they saw a pissed-off Tenten dragging a protesting and struggling Lee, who was wrapped in a bandage-like cocoon, back to his room. "Lee, you're going back to your room and you're staying there. You shouldn't be training in your condition anyway, you got injured during your match in the prelims," Tenten said, and she struggled to drag Lee back to his room. "But Tenten, I will weaken if I don't at least get a day's worth of training. Please, just 30 push-ups and I'll be done for today," he tried to reason. "No, you baka, the doctor said to stay off your feet until Tsunade-sama gets back, and training will only make it worse," she responded and was inwardly cursing at how her teammate could be this strong even in his current condition. "Yo, Panda-chan needs some help," a voice behind her asked, and a tick mark formed on her head and growled at the nickname. "Don't call me that," she yelled as she turned around, but then paused when she saw Naruto walking towards her with his hands in his pocket and was grinning. "And Naruto? Yo. Hey Lee, shouldn't you be in bed, bro?" Naruto asked while the bowl-cut ninja blinked when he saw Naruto. "Naruto-san, you have returned, my youthful friend. Congratulations on your promotion," Lee said with a grin on his face while Tenten bonked him on the head and said blonde chuckled. "Same here, oh yeah, I'd like you two to meet my—" He didn't get to finish because a green blur crashed into him and sent him flying into a wall, and that blur happened to be a grinning guy. "Tsunade-sama, you have retuned. Thank you, oh youthful Kami, you have answered my prayers," he said in a prayer position with tears falling from his face while a spotlight shined down on him which caused everyone to sweat drop. Tenten on the other hand was trying to pull Naruto out of the imprint he made in the wall when Guy crashed into him and successfully did so while the blonde had swirls in his eyes. "Hey Naruto-kun, are you alright?" Tenten asked the groaning blonde. "Tenten, why are there three of you standing in front of me?" Naruto asked the girl who sweat dropped until he shook the cobwebs out of his head. "Man, what the heck hit me?" "Not what hit you, Naruto, who hit you?" Tenten said, pointing at Guy, but then her eyes bugged out when she saw her idol standing a couple of feet from her. Is that she tried to say but the words died in her mouth. "Yep. That is Tsunade Senju. The next Hokage and my aunt," Naruto said, which made Tenten's jaw drop and just stare at Naruto, who blinked a few times. "What?" he asked, and the next thing that happened was that she fainted, but luckily for her she was caught by Naruto before she hit the ground. Tsunade shook her head and then looked towards a bound-up Lee. "So you're the one who got injured during your fight with Sabaku no Gara, correct?" Tsunade asked Lee, who blinked and nodded. "Well then let's head to your room and see what the damage is, but first let's get these off." She ripped off the bandages he was bound in without even trying, shocking the Taijutsu specialist. "Now come on, young man," she said, motioning him to follow her, which he did while Guy was thanking Kami for bringing the goddess of medicine back to the village. Naruto on the other hand sweat dropped while holding an unconscious Tenten in his arms. He sighs and sets her down on the ground, pulling out some smelling salts from one of his pockets, popping the bottle open and waving it in front of her nose. A few seconds later, her head shot up and she looked around. "Who? What? Where?" she said and saw Naruto. "Oh hey Naruto-kun, I had the weirdest dream that Tsunade-sama was here and you were her nephew," she said, and the blonde rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, I hate tell you this, but it's true," he answered, which made her eyes widen. "But don't faint again." Tenten rubbed the back of her head and blushed in embarrassment. Sorry about that. Oh, I wanted to talk to you about those two swords you had on your person after the Chunin exams, but you already left with Jiraiya-sama to find Tsunade-sama. Where did you get them, by the way?" she asked. Naruto was about to speak up, but that was when an Anbu appeared in the hospital. "Namikaze-sama, the Sandaime wanted me to inform you that your fiancé Sabaku no Tamari has arrived while you and Jiraiya-sama were away to look for Tsunade-sama, and right now she's at the Nara clan's compound," he stated, and Tenten's eyes bugged out when he said Tamari was his fiancé. "Gotcha, well I'll see you later Tenten, and I'll head to your dad's weapon shop and bring my swords with me," he said and shunshuns away. Nara compound. Tamari and Shikamaru were engaged in a terrifying game of shogi. So far Tamari won 4 games with Shikamaru winning 5, and so far they were evenly matched. "I should have known you two would have been doing this," said a voice, and the two looked up to see a smirking Naruto and Yoshino Nara, Shikamaru's mother, approaching them. "Thanks for the green tea, Yoshino-sama. I've never tasted anything so amazing like the kind you made," he said politely and bowed. "Why thank you Naruto-kun, and just call me Yoshino-san and be sure to treat your fiancé like a queen," she said while he chuckles and does a mock salute. "Yay, ma'am," Naruto said, which made her giggle and looked at Tamari. "You've got a good one here, Tamari-san. Polite, strong, rich, and not lazy," she emphasized, which made Shikamaru's brows twitch while Shikaku, who was cleaning up some deer antlers to send to the pharmacy center, sneezed and muttered troublesome wife. Tamari on the other hand grinned and nodded, and as soon as Yoshino left, Tamari placed her game piece on the board and said checkmate, which caused Shikamaru to slump his shoulders. The fan user then walked over to Naruto and wrapped her arms around his neck. "Hey Naruto-kun," she said while he smirked and wrapped an arm around her waist. "Hello yourself, beautiful," he said. "Thanks for letting my future wife stay here while I was gone," Shika said, however waved his hand in dismissal. Yeah, whatever. Wait, did you say future wife?" he asked as he shot his head up in shock, and Naruto nodded. "You're engaged to her?" Tamari on the other hand narrowed her eyes dangerously at the shadow user. "Yes, I am his fiancé. Is that a problem, you lazy rat?" she asked in a tone that promised pain and was slowly reaching for her fan and use it to cave his skull in. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw what she was about to do, and Shikamaru was about to open his mouth only for Naruto to speak up. "Whoa, would you look at the time, we gotta go and get you settled at my apartment, Tamari-chan," Naruto stated while she looked at him with a raised eyebrow. "Apartment? I thought you had a clan complex," she asked. "Oh, I do, but sadly I need my godfather Jiraiya, who is now in the hospital, has to remove the barriers and security seals since he and my dad made some new ones that keep people out, and sadly, I'm only intermediate level when it comes to Fuinjutsu and I could end up killing myself if I messed with them," he answered. "Oh, I see. Well, is the apartment nice?" she asked, and he scoffs. "Nice? My mom left me the place and it is beyond nice. Trust me, you'll be wowed by it," he said. "So where's your stuff?" he asked. "Oh, I got everything I own in a sealing scroll," she said, releasing him and grabbing a large scroll from the porch, and Naruto whistled. "Wow, did you bring the whole house with you?" He asked humorously and she responded by lightly punching him in the shoulder. "Shut it you and carry me to your apartment," she ordered with a playful grin on her face. After Naruto straps the scroll with her belongings on his back as well as her fan, he scoops her up in his arms, holding her bridal style and making her giggle while she wrapped her arms around his neck. "See you later Shika," he said and shunshuns away with his second fiancée, while the Nara mutters troublesome, but he was also glad that he now had another rival aside from his dad and Shogi. Naruto's apartment. Naruto and Temari appeared in front of his door and he sets her down. "Well, here's our humble abode until we move into my parents' complex," he said as he pulled out the key and opened the door. As they entered, Temari whistled at how clean and decorative the place was. "Wow, this place is huge. Your mom must have been loaded to afford a place like this," she said as she looked around. "Yep, she was and so was dad, though I barely scratched the surface on either of their accounts, so there's no need to worry about money. Oh, and before I forget, there's someone you've got to meet," he said, and a red kit popped out of his jacket and landed on the ground, which surprised Temari. The fox then glowed and transformed into a human shape, and after the glow died, it revealed Caillou in her human form, grinning, and Temari's eyes bugged out. "Temari, say hello to my first mate and tenant, the Kyuubi no Yoko, or Caillou as I call her," Naruto said, which made her sputter and point to Caillou, who just giggled. "You can relax, Temari-san, I'm not gonna hurt you or anything, even though I'm the strongest of the Biju, I'm not like that bloodthirsty weasel Shukaku," she stated while the wind user let out a sigh of relief. "So you're Naruto-kun's third future mate, huh?" she said and started to walk around a nervous Temari and seemed to be inspecting her body. "I'm not bad. You take real good care of your body and despite your age, you're filled out in the right places," she commented, which made Temari turn red due to the fact that she's being checked out by the opposite gender and a female demon no less. Naruto on the other hand had to plug his nose in from the thoughts he was getting, but what he saw next made his eyes bug out. Caillou was groping Temari's breasts with both hands and were giving them a good squeeze. "Wow, you're already a C-cup," she said as she squeezed them more, and Temari's eye was twitching in embarrassment and steam escaped from her ears, but she squeaked when Caillou grabbed and squeezed her rear. "Damn, do you have any idea how many girls would kill to have a nice and firm ass like this one?" she stated. Naruto managed to snap out of his stupor and cough. "Ahem, Caillou, I think you should stop inspecting Temari-chan before her head explodes from the amount of blood rushing in it," he said, and the demoness blinks and looks at Temari's red face. "Oops, sorry about that. Anyhow, welcome to the family, Temari-chan, and don't hesitate to do anything I wouldn't do with Naruto-kun, especially with what he's packing in his boxers," she said, which made Temari cover her nose and Naruto to turn red. "Caillou," Naruto yelled out in embarrassment. "Night." After that little scene and after Temari got settled in and they had dinner, Naruto was currently in his room in a grey sleeveless t-shirt and a pair of black shorts, writing down some notes from a Fuinjutsu book he got from Jiraiya during his training. Caillou was currently in her fox form, sleeping on the edge of his bed, curled up into a ball with her ears twitching occasionally. As he continued to do this, there was a knock on his door. "Come in, Temari-chan," Naruto said as the door opened. He looked up and saw Temari with her hair down and was wearing a light purple shirt that stopped above her knees. "Hello beautiful, come to give me a goodnight kiss?" he asked as he put the stuff away. Temari smirks and walks over to the bed and sits down on it. "Actually, I was hoping to stay the night with you, Naruto-kun. Please?" she asked with a pout on her face while he chuckles. "Sure, I was bout to hit the hay anyway," he said, getting a grin from her. She crawled onto the bed and then kissed him on the lips and he returned it. After kissing for a few minutes, their lips parted and Naruto laid back. Temari rested her head on his chest and pressed her body against his while he wrapped an arm around her. "Good night, Foxy-kun," Temari said while he smirked. "Good night, Sabaku-hime," Naruto stated and snapped his fingers, which resulted in the lights turning off. A few seconds later, Temari squeaked. "Hey. No groping, pervert," Temari said in the darkness. "That wasn't me," Naruto stated and heard Caillou giggling. "Caillou. Ah. Oi. Stop feeling me up, you perverted vixen, and Naruto, move your leg, it's poking me," she said, only for Naruto to remain silent. "Naruto, did you hear me?" she asked as she shifted her body around. Temari-chan, that's not my leg," Naruto replied and said female blonde was glad Naruto couldn't see the huge blush on her face. Caillou on the other hand was giggling like crazy. "I told you he was packing," she said and groped them both, making them yelp. "Caillou," Naruto and Temari yelled at the same time as she grabbed them both in the darkness. What if Naruto trained by summons for Chunin exams harem end here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.